And that night that I was there, I had a similar, like, just like you did. It's just like, holy cow, there's freaking deer everywhere doing what in my dreams, like what they would do, you know? And like, you know, the only difference is I killed mine. So.
Yeah.
The HUNTR Podcast is brought to you by Deer Grow.
Heck yeah, man. Dude, we put a lot of food in the ground every year, you know, seemingly more and more, and we have a ton of fun with it during the off season. There's some struggles that come with it too, though, right? Obviously, the back of my truck is evidence, you know, right now. It's a couple weeks after I jackknifed, you know, a 4,800-pound material spreader, you know, as I was coming down, and it was too much weight for my truck there. But, you know, all those struggles aside, you know, Deer Grow really has been a staple for our food plotting process for several years now. Yes, we like to put lime and fertilizer on the plots, you know, if we can, but there are some that it's just we're not able to get to them, or it's not feasible for us to get out of state with that stuff. And so Deer Grow is kind of the quick and easy, but still super effective option for us to be able to get the most out of those food plots that we can every year.
Yeah, and I mean, we're guilty of overanalyzing things just like everyone else, but that's the best part about Deer Grow is that it's going to create healthier soils, which in turn makes better food plots. And the fact is we can simply spray plot start or plot till when we put the seed in the ground, and then when that plant starts to grow, we hit it with boost. And we know that we walk away, when we come back, it's going to be a great looking food plot. For anybody that's looking to try Deer Grow, if you use the code HUNTR15, that's HUNTR15 at checkout for deergrow.com, you're going to save 15% on any of your Deer Grow products. It's a great way to get started on this and just see what the results are for yourself.
Better food plots, bigger deer.
And we're back.
Hey-o.
HUNTR Podcast, episode 160, as Nick continues to keep us in line.
Thank you, Nick. Wherever you guys are listening from, Spotify, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, we appreciate you listening. Go ahead and give us a like, follow, and leave us a comment too. I mean, you know,
we may read it.
Jeremy and I read those from time to time. We do. We may not respond to all of them, but we appreciate you guys engaging with us, and thank you for listening. So
that's it. It is depressing December 1st. November's over.
I'm not depressed.
Officially. You've been better this year. We talked about this recently.
We talked about it last time, yeah.
Yeah, you've been better.
Pretty good.
Because you killed deer.
That ice bath's got something to do with it.
You think so?
It does, yeah.
You're sitting in a trough.
My moods.
In the backyard.
Yeah, starting to smell a little bit, but.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah, well, I've peed in it every time I've been in there.
Well, that'll do it.
I didn't think the smell would, but yeah.
Well,
a little bit today.
I think most people would understand the fact that you pee to gain warmth.
It's just a natural bodily release, you know. It's like.
Do you pee before, like when you get up? Because you do it right after you get up, right?
No, as soon as I get in.
No. Like when do you do your ice bath?
As soon as I get out of the sauna.
When do you do your sauna?
Oh, either in the morning or.
Not like a set time.
Or after a workout. No, not a set time.
Okay. So straight from the sauna to the ice bath.
Mm-hmm. To the shower.
That's a big
For survival.
That's a big shock.
Oh, yeah.
Shock to the system.
She's cold.
Yeah.
She's cold.
Yeah. Thus starting some sort of pee reaction.
It's the knee-jerk urination for survival, I think.
For survival. Yep. Well, that makes sense why it's starting to smell.
Yeah, we'll flush it out.
Yeah, just drain her out.
Yeah, start fresh.
Water in it.
Start fresh.
There you go. Well, we have in-studio guests today.
Yeah, Allie and Nick.
Allie and Nick. Yeah,
we're
back.
Yeah.
Back for the third time, if I have that right.
Really?
Nick, it's your second time.
2 for me.
Oh, yeah, we did the ATA thing.
Did ATA and then...
With Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
Was it last year, about a year ago you guys were here last?
I think it was almost exactly a year ago. Same time frame.
No, it was May.
This past May?
It was turkey season, yeah.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Time flies.
It was turkey season.
This past May or?
Yeah, we brought morels. It was
last May.
6 months ago.
No. It was this past May.
Oh,
6
okay.
months.
So not a year.
We did bring morels.
Yep.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it's been a full year, honestly.
No, it's been 6 months.
I thought it was last hunting season. So it was hunting season, but it was just turkey season. Yeah.
Yeah, because we talked about, we were like, oh, we should do the Big Woods thing. Remember? And we talked about a mule deer hunt for...
Which I'm still down for.
Next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're still...
offers
open.
Iowa's
open
on the table.
Iowa's next year for us.
I think I got 4 or 5.
We've got 5.
We have 5, yeah.
Okay. Well,
we're trying to draw South Central.
But they got hammered with the HD, so we're kind of tiptoeing there a bit of what's the...
Yeah, we're going to look at the properties that we've got access to, and hopefully somebody out there can give us some insight if they got pounded or not, and that may make our decision if we go or not. I mean, it takes 6 years to draw, so I mean, if
barring
you want to go under the right conditions,
Definitely.
Yeah. Barring a natural disaster, we will be in North Dakota for muleys.
Yeah, I mean, that's
That's the
That's what I'm
ticket.
most looking forward to, I think.
Yeah, that's the
Almost
ticket.
as much as Iowa. If not, I mean, it's close. It's right there.
Yeah, so it was last spring. So not that long ago.
Yeah.
A book has been published since then.
Yes, it has.
Which is pretty
cool.
We talked about the book.
Yeah, I think that was the first time that I publicly talked about the book.
We're kind of a big deal like that.
Yeah, we dropped it here. So the Butcher's Table, it's officially out into the world.
Oh, here, Nick, you'll appreciate this. Techniques and recipes to make the most of your meat. Did you guys do that intentionally?
It's just part of it.
The
Nick,
Butcher's Table, techniques and recipes to make
Nick,
the most
if you
out of your
take this
meat.
home, your
Allie
girlfriend
D'Andrea.
will be so freaking impressed if you're just sitting here flipping through like, I'm not really sure what I'm gonna make today.
Yeah, but then you actually got to cook.
Well, I mean, if she opens the refrigerator, you're fucked. But like, at least from the outside looking in, it looks pretty good. Yeah.
Nick, did you make the book? Are you in here?
Oh yeah, all of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
No, actually,
I
I did not do much. It's pretty much all her work.
It's 100%.
I was taste tester.
Yeah,
What are you talking about, bro?
I would say that's a more than appropriate inclusion.
Oh,
would
but-
be your
but Nick-
Nick's
yeah.
Nick's remarks.
Nick's
Oh,
palate. I mean, what's the
100%.
palate review on
Yes.
this particular dish?
Very
Oh.
critical. Very
Yes.
critical.
That would be hilarious.
Every single thing that I've cooked from this book during the process of figuring everything out, writing the recipes, making something again and again and again, he was the taste tester. And he would give very honest feedback.
Well, of course, my suggestion for the
Yes.
next rendition of the book is Nick's remarks at
Nick's
the end
palate.
of each recipe.
Yeah.
That would actually be hilarious.
Yeah.
You
He's
just have a mustache.
He's in there.
It's just a mustache.
Yeah.
This tastes like shit.
5 stars.
Yeah. Might want to pass on this one.
No, they're all very good.
He is in there, like his, whatever, little tidbits about him are in there. Because some of the stuff is like,
Very Nick-like.
yeah.
How many times did you have to like really make a bunch of these dishes multiple times
Multiple
to
times.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, it was
back
rough.
to back, or were you like, let me make this and then you try it again next week?
It would totally differ just depending on the mood and like how the recipe went.
You went through a lot of meat then.
Oh yeah, a lot. And it was
Did you make the most of it?
I sure did. It was a really long process. So I was probably 2/3 of the way finished with writing my own venison cookbook for myself.
Yep.
I was planning on self-publishing it. I have all of these hilarious photos on my phone of me trying to take professional looking food photos. So I would like snap a behind the scenes photo on my phone. It was just like terrible, but better than nothing.
Yeah.
And I was approached by the publisher and I was like, this would be nice to be able to publish a real book with someone who can make it look as good as I would want it to be versus me self-publishing on Amazon. So because I had a lot of the venison recipes already completed, it was the pork and poultry that I went through for like a year of
that was
ironing everything
Kind of
out.
new, kind of not.
Well, not new for me for cooking, but new for me for writing recipes.
Documenting.
Yeah, totally.
Gotcha. So where right now is the book being sold?
Basically anywhere you can buy books online. Amazon's probably the big dog.
Are you moving a bunch?
Yeah, it's doing well.
Is it really?
Yeah,
That's
it's
cool.
It's really cool. It's exciting. I don't want to speak too soon. Well, no, I probably shouldn't. It may be sold other places too in the near future. I don't know. Anyways,
Are you
Like
gonna?
a Barnes and Noble-esque type place?
it is available on Barnes & Noble's website. It's not available in store. I'm
Okay.
hoping that'll come within the next year. But we'll see. It's so far so good. It's,
Maybe a great Christmas gift.
yeah.
No doubt.
That was a good plug, wasn't it?
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, very smooth. Very
Yeah,
smooth.
very
Are you
smooth.
guys gonna do like a digital version of it at some point? Like I was gonna say audiobook, but
well,
how do you follow that?
There's a Kindle.
There-
version.
For
is-
if you know,
One
if asking for a friend
teaspoon.
who can't
I know.
read.
That would be great.
I'm that guy.
It'd be probably
it is
a video.
available via Kindle.
Oh, Kindle.
Oh,
Yep.
I see. To read.
Mm-hmm.
right.
Yeah, I'm talking about listen.
Yeah, right. You want the
Yeah.
audiobook. Actually, Spotify just released audiobooks.
Did they really?
Yes,
Whoa.
which I'm kind of excited about. I want to be a reader. I'm just not. I buy
Who's
books.
got time for that?
it's like
you want to read? You want to narrate?
No, I want to be a book consumer myself.
I thought
don't
you meant
like,
you wanted to be the audio
Well,
voice.
we all like the idea of reading books.
I wish that I enjoyed.
But when it comes to
books.
sitting down, it's like, I'm in the truck, or I want to listen to it.
Yeah. So
not necessarily the case for a cookbook, though. It's like you have to.
Oh no.
It's a step by
cookbook,
step.
There's something like magical about physically having a cookbook and pulling it out and opening it up, versus like finding a recipe on the internet.
Probably got tabs. You got sticky notes in there. You got all kinds of good stuff.
And you can write notes to yourself. Whatever. It's fun to have a
Take
physical
your time,
cookbook.
Open a bottle of wine, have fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of the recipes are pretty complicated, which I kind of went back and forth on. I was like, should I make this a little more streamlined and easier for people, or do I want it to be like a recipe that you're going to pull out on a special night? Like you've got time to spend. So everything is, I would say, like intermediate to advanced in terms of the time and technique that it takes to cook a lot of those recipes.
I mean, I think that pairs well with especially the venison recipes. It's like, think about how much time you put into harvesting an animal.
Yeah.
So it's like you should put equal
that's
effort
why
into preparing it.
most people think it tastes like shit is because they prepare it fast and unprepared. And
Dude.
Although I was like up, some nights I do this. I'll just be up at, I don't know, 1 a.m. thinking, like can't turn the brain off. And I was writing down recipe ideas in my phone of if I created a venison or even a wild game cookbook that was extremely easy. Like thinking, how can I make this stuff as easy as possible?
I'd be your consumer.
Well, that's what I mean.
Most of your general hunters probably would be your consumer.
That's kind of how I feel. So my cousin just killed his first deer ever. He had been hunting for 3 seasons. This was his 4th. And he killed a really nice buck with his bow.
Awesome.
And it was, like so cool. I was able to be there that day to help him butcher the deer. So him and I spent like a couple hours the first evening butchering it. It was cold enough that we could leave it hanging overnight, and then we finished the rest in the morning. And I don't know how much he's cooked deer, but we ground up a lot of meat. We saved some as roast, saved back straps and tenderloins. And I kind of sent him off with it, thinking like, we'll see how he does, cooking this. And I saw him a couple days later and he's like, I already made a roast with it and loved it. And then 2 nights later, he was making tacos with some of the ground meat. And I was like,
well, see, that's what I was going to say.
He just jumped right into it and like was able to cook and enjoy it. And so when I'm thinking like, how could I create something to help a guy like him maneuver this easier? Like he doesn't really love cooking, but now he's left with all of this meat that like he's got to figure it out.
Well, and I think that's if you look at like, let's say a general hunter's take on what they have, if they've got ground meat, they're making tacos, sloppy joes, chili,
sausage,
maybe a meatloaf sauce. Yeah. If they do any kind of sausages, like I made hot sausage and stuff for us, which was awesome.
Sticks, maybe.
Chili.
Yep. So like that's like your generic, and then you've got back straps and steaks, and you've got roast. But like, because I eat a ton of venison. I probably eat venison, I don't know, 4 days a week, 5 days a week, maybe.
Whoa.
That's
a lot. Yeah. And I mean, for a lot of it, it's weird because it's on repeat. Like I'll eat tacos or chili or we do French dip. So do French dip with au jus sauce and stuff, for instead of just but like, we have like a repertoire of things that we do, and then there's like, things that
carries over to deer camp too. So Tuesdays we have tacos.
Yeah.
Like I'll do bacon jalapeno cream cheese wrapped.
Somebody just wrote us for that recipe, and I was like, honestly, I don't know if it's written down. You could probably just find it online. And the next thing he sends me a picture of, he's like, we did it. It was great.
Yeah. So like, there's things that I do like off the wall, but there's kind of a core set of meals, I guess. But I bet that most people would be like, man, if somebody gave me something else to do with this, I would.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
There's nothing out there. I adapt ground meat recipes, basically.
Yeah.
If you do that, I mean, speaking as like a potential consumer of that book, if you did like a simple version of it, my my input would be put like a QR code or something in there so that I could follow the recipe and also scan that and have you cooking it, like a video version of it.
Yeah.
So that I can
like
say,
that.
oh, okay, here's the list of recipes and here's Allie cooking
Yes.
it. Now I have
so I can
both.
see like the visual. Like,
It's hard.
Did she dice the onions?
Yeah.
Did she slice the onions?
It's
I'm not
hard on those
sure.
website ones too, because even if you find the recipe and it's like, oh, the reviews look good, you have to constantly scroll back
it's
and
a pain
forth
in the
between
ass.
the ingredient list and the
directions.
video.
Yeah,
and
and
the
your hands
directions.
are like covered in stuff, and
Yeah,
you're like,
it's
trying-
not easy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got 9 fingers to begin with. I'm like,
Yeah, you're
help me
down.
out here.
yeah,
I think it'd be a really big thing in terms of like the general hunting community.
yeah.
Because you hear it from most people. Like, I guess people who are not used to cooking venison, like a lot of people are like, oh, I don't like the way it tastes, or I don't
It's
do this.
easy to mess up.
Yeah. So I was
Yeah.
going to ask you, because you mentioned it with your cousin there.
Mhm.
You know, a lot of people talk about letting deer hang and aging and things like that. You guys broke that deer down pretty quick. You let
Super quick.
it hang overnight because
Mhm.
you could, because of the temperatures. Then you broke it down,
Mm-hmm.
completely processed at that point.
Completely, like to a T.
And so why do people get so hung up on this? Like, oh, I need to let it hang for 3, 4, 5 days or whatever.
There's definitely a narrative that is true that aging deer makes it more tender. It can make it flavorful in a good way. So it's really comes down to tenderness and flavor. I also think there's a bit of, dare I say, laziness in the, like, you know how
convenient.
whooped you are
Let's just let it
after
hang.
hunting and getting the deer out of the woods, field
Sure.
dressing, skinning, like,
Yeah.
that's a
How do we
lot.
justify letting it hang? It's going to taste better. Couple days here.
100%, yeah.
So almost like a little bit of folklore there to the.
You know what? This year has kind of changed my mind on hanging deer. For at least a span of 3 years, anytime the temperature was right, my deer was going to be aged for as long as it possibly could.
Okay.
This year, I killed a doe, and the temperatures were too warm to hang. And as you know, this year was a mast year. There was so many acorns.
Yep.
This doe was fattier than any doe I had ever harvested.
Mm-hmm.
And we broke her down super quick. I ate the backstrap maybe 2 days later after putting it in the freezer. So I had, broken it down, put everything in the freezer. A couple days later, pulled out the package of backstrap, cooked it. I was floored how good this doe tasted. Like
How'd
I
you
was
cook
almost
it?
like jumping for joy. So salted for 24 hours in the fridge, which
After defrosting.
yes,
thawing?
defrost it and then cover it with kosher salt on both sides and just let it sit in the refrigerator for 24 hours. That helps tenderize it. Then obviously seasons it, and then pull it out, season with more salt, pepper, hot cast iron pan with you can use basically any oil that has a high smoke point because you want that pan to get really hot. So olive oils are, and if you keep the heat low enough, an olive oil will work or a butter will work. But if you get a really high temperature, that stuff's gonna burn.
Canola oil, vegetable oil type.
Yeah,
What
or like an
about,
avocado oil.
I was gonna
Avocado
ask you,
oil?
That'll work?
Yep. Yeah. Most avocado oils will say like high smoke point on it.
Oh, interesting.
Yep. So sear it in a cast iron pan. If I had some fresh rosemary, I love throwing fresh rosemary in the pan too. And then I'll throw some butter in and baste it
Mm-hmm.
and then let it rest.
Classic.
It's so good.
That's interesting because you, like I said, you hear the hang aspect of it a lot.
Yeah. So there's another reason why. So the taste was amazing. So I'm kind of, I believe that part of the reason why that deer tasted so good is because of the acorns, not necessarily because I butchered her right away. I also killed a doe in Florida last year and I butchered her right away because obviously the temperatures are way too warm. And she tasted normal, like normal deer. For some reason, this doe from Pennsylvania was exceptional this year. And I think it's from the acorns. But
Sure, it has an
what-
impact. They're
Like,
not-
do you
yeah.
think it's because there's, if you think about
like
beef,
grass-fed beef and
there's fat kind of threw more out. Like obviously with a higher acorn year, they're putting on more fat. Do you think that?
I think, it's
Well,
got
but traditionally you don't want fat on
no, you're
venison,
not. You're
right?
not eating the fat.
Right.
So it's not that the fat is contributing to the flavor directly from consuming the fat. I think it has something to do with like they're not eating something else that makes the meat not taste good.
Like more browse based stuff.
something. I don't know. And
Interesting.
I'm totally speculating, but this deer tastes so good. But what I've realized more than anything is whenever I'm processing like the tenderloins, any of the rib meat, the flank meat, the front shoulders, I hate an aged deer that I have to cut the pellicle off.
Sure.
That hard crust
Yep.
that forms on the outside.
Yep.
I feel like I'm wasting so much meat. I personally like to grind my front shoulders. There is
Agree.
a steak in there called the flat iron that on a larger animal like an elk or a moose is totally worth keeping as a steak. But for a deer, it's too small. It has silver skin that runs right through the center of it. So it's just not worth keeping
Sure.
as a steak.
Yeah.
You can also keep the front shoulder as a roast. And that's really great.
I've done that before.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough just the way that it actually, and again, it depends on the size of the deer.
Yeah. So grinding's my like go-to for the shoulder. But when I age the deer, I'm losing all this meat and I'm grinding it anyway. So that irritates me a lot. I don't like that. Same thing with the tenderloins. Like you have to take that out.
Do you always
first
have that
day.
even after aging it just a few days? You have that layer of that has to be cut off?
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah.
Happens pretty
Well,
quick.
you could probably leave it for maybe
I've seen that on, like, the
24
long-
hours.
Yeah. Well, so Emily killed a doe behind the house up here on Monday evening, and I processed it. I skinned it, which I was going to talk about here in a second, but I cut everything up this morning because we finally had temperatures that were starting to rise.
It's
And
just
it
been
was
hanging.
it's hard. It was hard,
Yeah.
like the shoulders and stuff.
For how long? Like a week?
No,
No,
Emily,
a couple days.
3 days.
3
4
days
I
it's been
guess
hanging.
actually she killed it on Tuesday, maybe. Yeah, it was Tuesday.
So 3 days has
Mhm.
been hanging skinned?
Skinned.
Gun.
Yep. Yeah.
I have a thing, yeah.
Yeah. Now, when I skinned that deer and obviously had it gutted, I pulled the tenderloins out right away.
Yeah.
I don't
That's the way
leave
to
them.
go.
That's the first thing that comes out. I pull tenderloins out. But then, hams, roasts, back straps. I usually try to peel off, in this case because of the acorn here, I peel off a bunch of that back fat so that it's
Mhm.
easier to get to the back strap a
Mhm.
couple days later.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you're cutting through an inch of like just hard fat.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
Yeah. No. Gets all over your hands
That can
too.
spoil too. Even if it's cold, it gets a little rancid.
Yeah.
Well, over the long term.
Yeah.
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 Like you don't want to keep, if you're butchering something and putting it in the freezer,
Yep.
you really want to make sure all the fat's gone.
Mm.
Yep. Makes sense.
Yeah.
I personally have never really like observed enough of a difference that I'm like, it's worth letting hang. And I'm just more of a, let's just get it done kind of guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially because it's like when it's still warm and fresh, it's
Mhm.
much easier. The skin comes off
Oh,
way
yeah.
easier. Just, that
Mhm.
backstrap just pulls right out.
So that's what I was going to
Also-
say. I mean, it
Yeah.
seems like the big thing everybody's in agreement with is you got to skin that thing right away
Yes.
to release
Fast.
the heat.
I watched your
Right?
thing. Was it Instagram or TikTok? I saw your skinning.
Oh,
and it just took that nostalgia of just.
ASMR.
I'm like,
It is. It's satisfying.
I had my knife in a lot of deer this year, and I really appreciate it too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
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 I really enjoy the butchering and
Mhm.
like, the whole thing. I even, this is kind of weird to say, but I kind of enjoy the field dressing of whitetails
Oh,
as
yeah.
well now.
For sure.
Me too.
We've got these HME gloves that go all the way up,
Oh, come on.
like to here.
You don't need those.
No, no.
Every time I
right.
give Jared a glove that doesn't even fit him anymore.
Get right in there.
It like
I gotta
and
feel. I gotta feel it. Yeah.
I've
Face
been
you just
using
made.
them.
Yeah.
I've been using them for a while,
Mm.
but I don't know why this year, every time I gutted a deer and I would peel those off and my hands were clean, I was
Mhm.
like, and I'm like every year, you can only, depending on, for most people, you're only field dressing a couple animals
Right.
a year. Maybe only one a year, maybe only one every couple, every
Yeah.
few years.
Maybe none.
Yeah.
none.
Yeah, totally. So it can take a while to get good at something like that. And I feel like I've gotten really good at field dressing, and I'm like proud of that process. So
Yeah, for
now
sure.
I look at it as like something to be proud of because it all contributes into what that deer is going to taste like at the end.
Yeah.
I was actually reflecting with Nick. One of the first big game animals I killed was a mule deer. And it was, I think, my first time ever field dressing an animal on my own. And I have memories of like while we were butchering the animal. So this
Yeah.
was like, long after, was it the mule deer? Maybe it was something, maybe we were talking about this and it was something else.
Antelope.
Oh, it was the antelope. Yes. So it was an antelope. And yes, I knew it wasn't the mule deer because we packed the mule deer out. So it was the antelope. We had gotten the whole carcass out. And as we were cutting it up, there was a little bit of lung still in there.
Mhm.
And it was just because I didn't know
You didn't
any
know,
better.
yeah.
And now, like, if one of our friends is like gutting a deer at camp, I'm, like watching from afar. And
Are you a hanging gut person, or
no,
do you
on the ground?
I'll tell you what, and it only works in certain cases. Like if you're buried in A&F, like can't do it. But like if she shoots one or the kids shoot one behind the house and I can load it up into the side by side, I love being able to hang and gut. It's so clean.
Legs up.
Oh,
it is so.
And because then it's just gravity, just
legs down.
Yeah.
No.
Head down.
Legs up, legs up, spread, just like a gambrel.
Back legs up.
Yep. And then you're gutting, and then you
pull it up and out.
Oh yeah, and then you start working into those rib cage, and it just it's super clean.
I'm opposite. I like rear legs down
Really?
on the ground, like we did your buck. And
well, yeah. I'm just saying if you're back at like the butchering area, like if we're in the barn in Illinois hanging, like you hang that deer up and you can gut it that way.
Yeah.
It's very clean.
I think I have done it. I don't know that I prefer it to. You know what I'm talking about? Like, so if you're just
hillside,
you recover the deer. Yeah, just drag the lower leg slightly lower so the gravity's going to help it out.
Yeah, totally.
I get up in there.
Up in there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's spiritual. I totally agree with you though. Like it's taken me. I'm 30 years. You guys are our age, roughly, right?
31.
And this year I learned stuff about field dressing. I killed that buck in North Dakota, and Nick is the kid I was hunting with. His dad showed me something I'd never seen before. He's like, "Well, what do you do with the piss sack?" I was like, "What do you mean? I don't know. It comes out with everything. I think." He's like, "No. He had this little saw. Have you seen these? It's got the blunt tip, and it's a little
I know what you're talking
hand
about.
saw. It's like got a little, looks like a back tension release almost.
Yeah.
And it's to saw the pelvis from top down, and then that comes out clean with it.
Yeah.
And I bought one of those after, and
That's cool.
I'm to the point now where I'm like it's not like it's my favorite part of it, but I'm like, man, I'm good at it.
You've got a process.
I've got the process. I can handle it.
Yeah.
I can do it the right way. And I enjoy now when you pull the organs out, you can assess your shot and see.
Yes.
I do like that.
I love that.
Same. I do like that too.
I love
I'm not
that.
a fan of like getting up all that.
Listen, that buck
Get up into the windpipe up there. And
Grab the heart.
The noises, that one whiff of something.
Dude, Corey.
right when the diaphragm cuts.
Not a fan.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It always.
Like, you're on an empty stomach. All you have is coffee in Copenhagen.
Yeah.
And you get that
It's spiritual. Something about it, though. Corey, who was just in here a minute ago, shot a buck off our family farm this year. And it was pretty special because it was his first buck that he's killed by himself.
Wow.
The first two, I was with him in the tree, like right in his ear, like draw. He was totally on his own. Took the initiative. I mean, was looking at the maps, looking at the weather. Made the decision to come out on a good weather day and killed this buck, a 4-year-old buck, by himself. Made a perfect shot. And so when we were field dressing, I gutted it for him we were coming back from our Illinois-Kansas trip, so I got in trouble I was late getting home. Yeah. I got yelled
She's
at.
understanding.
But so I had to help him process this animals. I had to ask for forgiveness, and
Corey shot his first deer.
So I gutted it for him, and when I pulled that heart out, I get to show him like. Right through the center of the heart. I'm like, check it out, dude.
Sweet.
And he took a picture, and that was pretty cool.
That's a powerful thing.
Yeah, for him to see literally the organ that he shot that killed that animal.
Visualize.
Yeah.
My friend Marta killed her first deer a few years ago. She shot it with a rifle, and she was, the one to gut it. And I was kind of talking her through it. She cut around the diaphragm, and then I was like, all right, you're going to have to find the heart. And then, be careful, get your knife up in there and then cut the trachea and the esophagus. Yeah. So she has her hands in there and she's like, I think I feel it, it was a little uncertain. It was taking her a little while. And then she pulls and like out comes the heart. I might have told this story last time we were here. Out comes the heart in her hands. And I was like so stoked for her to have just like, just like experience that moment.
It's a cool thing. I mean, there's plenty of deer. Well, the deer I shot in Illinois on our farm this year, it was a really hard quarter away angle, and so I basically put it like back rib and up in, and a deer went 30 yards before he fell over and died. And so when Jared and I were gutting him, I was like, man, I'm not sure. And that thing went through liver, lungs, heart, like it just, and you just don't know because. When it happens so fast, you're like, man, I can't believe that deer went down that fast. Yeah. And then you realize the damage and the trauma that was caused. And you're like, oh, now I understand.
Yeah.
So, but it's also amazing when, like, if you track a deer or you find, And it's like, let's say a deer got shot with a rifle and the heart's blown apart, and you're like, how the hell did this deer run 150 yards?
Yeah.
How's that even possible?
There's a guy, somebody commented on our conversation about like the anatomy, the organs, how they function, which we knew.
We went back.
We're totally
we were
wrong.
talking about the liver.
Yeah, we're like, so how do these organs function? How's the heart? How's this blood flow from one organ to the next? And obviously, we just have no idea. We're speculating. It sounds like Peter Attia is a medical doctor. He's been on Dudley's Knock On stuff, and
She
he's
loves him.
That's
Have you
his
talked to
audio. No, I have not. But his book is what I'm listening on Spotify.
yeah,
right
we're gonna
now.
have to reach out to him to get
his
kind
book
of an education
his
on
book
that.
is called Outlive.
That's not who
Okay.
reached out to us, was it?
About
Who reached out? Somebody said they were in like an operating room with like a cardiologist listening to it, and he was
No.
like, "These guys don't know anything."
Yeah.
We're like, "Yeah, clearly."
he was the guy that said Peter.
We're at a
Attia-
podcast room. You're at an operating table.
He was the
so-
one that said Peter knows what he's talking about. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I had to apologize. Like I was like, I know. We
Yeah,
don't
we
know.
have no idea.
We don't know. Dude, in the spirit of like the gutting process, and also per my North Dakota experience, I shared with you there, learning how to, do that with the blunt tipped saw and stuff. We two thoughts here. One, you guys should do like a what would you call it? Like a totally like a ritualistic whitetail cookbook. Not like
Are we getting cloaks?
No, no,
Or
no.
I don't know.
Wait.
What are we smoking?
that would be a spiritualistic. I'm saying ritualistic. So
Corrected.
Is the deer alive or not?
so for instance, and I don't know, the meat eater guys or somebody may have done something like this already, but like the cooking of the liver. Cooking of the heart. One thing that we did with this North Dakota buck that I've never done that was super cool was while we were field dressing it, Nick's dad cut a section of the ribs off and cooked them over the fire.
Whoa.
And we ate that like right on the spot the night of, and that was pretty cool.
Truthfully, though, how did it taste?
I mean, I can see why it's not. I can see why people don't eat them. It's not like the best cut by any means.
Cool thing to do.
Yeah, it's not like big
Yeah.
beef
Yeah.
ribs. Or
It was
something
tasty,
like that.
and it was tasty, and it was like it was special. It was primitive, and like it was like a moment.
Yeah.
But from a recipe reflection standpoint, it was tallowy. Like
Yes.
left a
Waxy.
tallowy feel in your mouth, and there was not a lot of meat on them.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've done it a lot. It's waxy. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the back of your tongue, the back of your throat.
Yeah.
I recommend cutting out
But
the
it is
meat
fun.
between the ribs.
I see a
So
lot of
you
people
cut
do
the,
that.
You
That's
cut
what-
the meat off the outside of the ribs,
Yeah.
and then you cut between each one.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen that. I
And-
use
and
that for
grind pile.
grind.
Yeah.
See, I can't remember if he did that or
But
not.
I understand what you're saying about like the moment, the experience of it.
It was cool. I mean, I just
Yeah.
shot this. I mean, it was a giant. It ended up scoring 158 ish,
giant.
but it was a mainframe 7x6,
Yeehaw.
and it was the last.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, like a awesome.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
Like crazy river bottom deer.
Yeah, and it was a public land hunt, and it was the last 10 minutes of like a 6-day hunt or something like
Yeah.
that. After not seeing deer for several, I mean, it was awesome.
Well, he probably had a big body too, so it was
Sure.
reasonable.
Yeah, we didn't. I don't think we weighed him,
I
but
bet
he
he
was,
was big.
reasonably.
Yeah.
Reasonably, probably a 5-year-old.
Yeah, that's fun
buck.
stuff. Campfire.
I'd love to see that from you guys. Have you ever eaten the heart of a deer?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did we talk about this last time? My dad
yeah.
had me eat the heart section of the heart on my first deer.
Raw.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Raw.
know.
Raw.
Pulled it out of the
His
deer,
dad also didn't think he would do
cut
it.
a slice off, wiped it off in the snow, and had me try it.
I've done it a couple times.
Sold it as a family tradition. Turns out he saw it on Red Dawn, of
course,
a movie.
Yeah. I was eating turnips in my food plot the other day, and the kids were like, "What the fuck's wrong with you?"
Spicy, right?
Yeah, they are spicy.
Spicy.
Oh.
Yeah, real spicy. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
I've never had a turnip.
No wonder the deer have
Never eaten a
shits all
turnip?
through that.
It's like
Eaten a
a
turnip?
I don't let my deer
Really?
eat anything
Like-
I don't eat
like
first.
radishy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Radishy.
Yeah, not into it.
Well, maybe
Yeah.
they are radishes. We're
Radishes, I think, are spicy. I don't know about the turnips.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's the radishes,
Radishes
probably
are
that are
spicy.
spicy.
Yeah.
They're all
The
brassicas
kids
to
are
me.
like, "Can I eat it?" I was like, "I don't give a shit. Go for it."
Good.
You know, don't eat a bunch of it. It'll give you the shits.
Yeah.
Do you guys do any like sausage or anything? Do you process stuff?
Well, yes and no. So I'll basically and there's a recipe in that book that is sausage without the casing.
Okay.
Really good.
Personally,
They call that a raw dog.
Hey.
Hey,
I think
I like it.
stuffing the sausage, like it's, I don't know if we could like make a tradition of that,
Yeah.
I'd be down, but it's just not, it's like a lot of extra work when
It's a lot of
when
work.
I'm like, I'm getting to the same end product.
Yeah.
without it.
I did it with hot sausage and mild like Italian sausage
Yeah.
this year, and I took some to deer camp. That stuff lit us up. Actually.
Yeah. What did we eat? Something
It
tore
was
me up.
it was the sausage. It was the hot sausage.
It's tough to do right too.
I mean,
It's
it
not
was
easy.
good. It just, that stuff gets you.
It was the tacos that tore me up the first time
First
in
time.
Illinois.
Yeah.
We had those right before a live podcast, and I was like,
Yeah,
wasn't-
it was the hot Italian sausage.
Wasn't the
in
MG
Kansas.
I like.
in Kansas. That's right.
Yeah.
You made the hot Italian.
Because I
sausage.
made it, to your point, it's like a pain in the ass to do
Yeah.
it. So when I do it, I made like 30 pounds.
Yeah.
Because if I do it, I just want to do it one time and then I'm done.
For sure.
I can't remember what day that was. That hot Italian. That was memorable. I think I had to let one rip from the stand the
You,
next day.
you hung the stand and you're like, I'm back
Immediately
back
climbed back down. That was the day I hung on the Roberts. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I do that, and then I did the jalapeno and cheddar summer sausage.
Ooh,
Fantastic.
yeah,
It was really
Delicious.
good.
that sounds good.
But that you have to smoke,
Mm-hmm.
which
I
is a
think
pain in the ass
we
as
were
well.
buying stuff from like High Mountain, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they were pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah, their stuff, they make a really good product.
Yeah.
I got some of my stuff from the Bearded Butcher guys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're the shit.
Mhm.
Yeah,
They're out
and
of
they're-
Ohio.
Yeah, yeah, and
Really?
I've
Which
watched
part?
those guys for a long time.
I don't
I don't
know
know.
where.
I know you reached out to them.
Yeah,
I
'cause
don't think we
they-
heard back.
Like they started really small, and I was watching their stuff because they had really good. And now they've got all these kits and stuff. So that's where the hot sausage came from. Was those
Oh,
guys?
that's awesome.
And I think maybe the jalapeno cheddar did too.
Nice.
But they do great stuff. They have great videos on
Oh
their
yeah,
things.
they're big now.
Yeah,
Big.
huge.
Yeah.
Like 1 million+ subscribers.
Oh
big.
yeah.
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 And
They
it-
do awesome.
But the processing is so overlooked, by I think just deer hunters. And did I comment to you or was it to my dad this season? Like as we're taking care of deer and stuff, it's like, man, what would we do? Like if we didn't know.
It was me. We were sitting in Illinois in the barn.
How would you go if you didn't know how to field dress a deer? If you didn't know how to cape them, even to the neck, or let alone all the way out? How would you debone? How would you get this thing into cooler? It's like, man, that's something you would have had to learn. Do you remember who taught you how to?
I think I did
debone?
I think I did it myself. Like,
Yeah.
and I messed it up a lot.
Mhm.
But like I ended up because I grew up in Pittsburgh area, so I shot like 10 does a year because we had like basically unlimited doe tags.
Oh, yeah.
$7.
Yeah, dude, from opening day of the season till, whenever it closed in January. I mean, I was just out slaying does. And so eventually my dad's like, dude, I'm not paying, at that time it was like $60 or $50.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not paying for all these processing fees. So I had to cut it myself. And I remember hanging it in my uncle's barn.
Or just
and-
tell you to figure it out.
Yeah.
We took a few to processors too, but
Yeah.
eventually
I just figured it out.
We had a neighbor that come over, and he was
Really?
like, "Yeah, I think he kind of pointed and was like, here's how you kind of do this." And it's obviously we made lots of mistakes
Oh,
since
yeah.
then, but
Yeah, and I'm sure I unfortunately wasted a bunch of meat because I didn't know what I was doing. But yeah, I think I just learned myself, and then at some point along the line, like I took it from just like it was something you had to do to like I really appreciated it.
yeah,
And I can't remember when, but like
it's evolving still. Even I mean, dude,
Yeah.
I haven't really
Yeah.
caped out a bunch of deer until the past 2
2
years,
years
maybe,
Mhm.
and now I'm like feel pretty confident. It's
Yeah,
I'm not like I'm looking forward to it, but I can do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
If we have to do it, we can do it.
Oh, here I got a quick story for you.
Mm.
So I feel how many deer did I cape out this year? I caped.
4 or 5.
I didn't cape. I
Ooh.
didn't cape the North Dakota buck because Nick took that to a local taxidermist because we're short on time.
Mhm.
The one in Illinois that I shot with a bow, I
Caped out.
caped out.
You took mine down to the neck, and then I finished caping.
You finished caping yours,
Yep.
which TBD. We'll hear.
Story next.
Well, we get graded by the taxidermist, right? So
Normally,
as
if
long
I'm,
as he doesn't make a call and say, "Hey, there's."
and normally if I'm not under the influence, I'm pretty good.
Yeah. Well, a couple beers gives me a steady hand.
If I'm
That
under,
helps.
if I'm deep under the influence in Kansas,
2 or
I'm,
So
3
are
rounds.
you
It's like
you're
bowling.
doing the face?
we
Yeah,
have
that's
to.
tough.
Out of
Yeah,
state.
that's full cape. So you came up to the neck.
I
Can't
didn't even
bring
think
'em.
about that,
Yeah, we
We just cap everything.
yeah.
Yeah,
What do you mean?
We
Skull
don't
cap?
Skull
Yeah,
cap
we
it,
don't do mounts.
I don't care.
You don't do mounts?
Not
No.
really, no.
Really?
One in my life. Yeah.
Just
Wow.
no interest, or why not?
Yeah, no interest.
What do you do with the
Really?
skull cap?
Boil
all
it,
kinds of things.
clean all the
Mm-hmm.
clean all
I've
the
done a
brains
couple Euro
off.
mounts.
Put it in the cabin wall.
We got a little bucket. It actually looks pretty cool.
Okay.
It sounds
I believe you.
stupid, but they're all stacked up in a bucket, and it
Oh,
comes
yeah.
out like a big.
It's just
Eiffel
a bucket
Tower
full of like 30
antlers.
racks.
It's really cool.
Just no interest, like from a.
If I shot the one that I was trying to shoot this
You'd have
year,
mounted it.
I would have got it mounted.
Have
but
you guys shot a buck that you're like, man, I wish we would have had it mounted, or it's that one was worthy of it?
Maybe my one from 2 years ago, maybe, but I don't look at it and I'm like,
It is.
I wish I would have. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's on the
I
wall.
really- It
is what it
really
is.
cool the way it is.
It's nice to be able to pick them up. Like if you just do a skull
It
cap,
is.
Yeah.
even more than a European, but a European mount has the same attribute. Just to be able to pick them up and
Yeah.
handle it,
Yeah.
I enjoy that too.
It's part of the processing. We
Yeah,
cap
it's
it,
part
we
of the
boil it,
process.
I think when you know. Like that North Dakota buck was so special to me. Not the buck itself, because it was didn't have a trail camera, but no history. Like I'd seen it once before in person, but it was just the memory that we made with the guys.
everything about
Everything that went into it.
Yeah.
I just in my head, I'm like, that's a pedestal. He's getting like a pedestal. It's a little more expensive.
I
more.
questioned the Illinois buck at
Sweet.
first, and you were like, "Are you fucking crazy?"
And again, not because of the deer, but I was like, dude,
It's
this
first
is
deer off
our
of our
first farm that
property.
we own. This is the first buck we killed off our.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I get it.
So-
I've shot 2 bears in PA, and I've got them both big rugs on the
Yeah,
wall.
that looks
Yeah.
cool.
That's my
That-
thing.
If I
love
shot
Yeah.
a bear, I would do
I
that.
love-
Absolutely.
And
I
actually,
love
now
that.
that we're talking about it, like if we're trying to build like a storage building on our property in Florida,
Okay.
where we can put like the boat, the Can-Am, like whatever. And I could imagine that becoming a room where
Oh, yeah.
where we would
Trophy
have
room.
space exactly.
Showcase, yeah.
So I think that's a big part of it for us.
Me
is that
too.
we
Mine's gonna be
we
wife
don't
induced, but-
actually
Yeah.
have a space
Yeah.
to highlight everything because at camp, the walls are already filled. So
Sure.
like we, you know.
No space. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
will-
not big enough to like put more stuff. But if I had the space, I feel like we would get around. I would love a
You make
full
the space.
body mounted Osceola
I do want-
turkey.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that'd be cool. as
I
hell.
think that'd be cool.
You know
And
what?
then a Florida buck. I would love to have a Florida buck.
Oh yeah.
I just haven't killed one yet.
I mounted my
They're
first
there.
turkey this past year.
It's hard.
Shot one with
Did you mount
well,
one?
last,
Oh, a turkey.
last year, Lauer and I shot one. It was just same deal. It's like
Full, like on a limb.
no, just a fan, just fan on the wall.
Oh.
But
Yeah.
I'm not a turkey hunter.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I
We do that.
but I shot this thing off the ground with my bow, no blind. First 10 minutes of the first hunt with my good buddy.
Awesome.
And I was like, dude, and he offered to. He's
You're
like,
like, dude, this turkey hunting thing's easy.
Yeah.
I literally. Well,
Yeah.
do you remember? Did I tell you that story? Because I was dogging him about it. I was like, dude, turkey hunting's easy. Like anybody. And he's like, okay, well, come with me then, dude. I was like, okay. And we went and first 10 minutes shot this big old 4-year-old bird, big hooks. And so his cousin did that for me or whatever. But
Made the mount and stuff.
yeah.
That's what I do. I do for like the kids. Like I've got that. I've got one really nice fan and like a cool little wall mount, and then it has hooks for like all their beards and stuff for years to come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hunter
you could-
Specialties makes a really nice little walnut wooden.
Yeah, there you go. That's exactly
Yeah.
what you need.
$15.
Skull
Yeah.
hooker too.
Skull hooker.
Yeah.
Who else makes? I don't know if it's TJ Eads is the. I don't know if it's under their Rack Hub brand or something, but they make a little
Yeah, I've
little
seen
cap
that.
that you can
I've seen
push
that,
the beard into,
Yeah.
and it just
Oh.
makes it like it'll hang on anything.
Dude, I think one of the grossest things on the planet is a turkey beard.
He
Yeah.
hates 'em.
Oh yeah.
my
Oh,
God.
you guys should
I
do
don't
a
know what it
painting
is.
book with turkey beards.
Ugh.
Ugh.
It's just like one of those pet peeves. I hate
Just the end of it, like cutting off
The
at
whole
the
thing.
breast.
I,
just the
the
whole
whole
I feel
thing.
like a
I like the
turkey
fan.
beard. Yeah.
I like the fan. I like the meat. Turkey beards, you can have them all.
Really?
I feel
Yeah.
like turkey beards feel
Nasty.
exactly how wild hogs feel.
Nasty.
Oh yeah.
They, it is
yeah.
the same
Yeah,
consistency.
I got mites real bad one year
Mhm.
from a turkey. Like I had mites, arm hair, leg hair.
Oh.
Dude, I had mites everywhere. I was itchy for
You mean
days.
mites?
Well, it's
These
because we
little
plucked
white-
the turkey,
Maybe it
and
was
the
lice.
turkey had
Which
mites.
is a pain in the
Maybe it
ass.
was
No,
lice.
it's-
I don't know.
No, they were mites.
Dude, so
Mhm.
ever since then, I attributed that to turkey beards.
They weren't like on
done.
you
Yeah.
like after.
That would
They
do
were
it for
just
me,
on
too.
you while you were plucking.
They were nasty.
Yeah, these
Gross.
didn't like linger. It was just
Oh, no,
like in the
I
moment.
I showered the whole next day. I had them all over my head.
Oh.
They were
Ugh.
everywhere.
Okay.
Ugh.
They were
How'd you get
everywhere.
them off?
They were my belly button, dude.
Oh my
Oh
god.
yeah.
Making a home.
like head and shoulders, just like
That's
everywhere.
Yeah.
They came off after a couple of showers, but
Yeah.
no more turkey beards.
Damn.
Dude, some of it's kind of. I was kind of working towards telling you guys about the third. I lost track there, but the third deer that I caped out was that I
yeah,
shot
yeah.
a buck, my first buck with a gun, if you can believe that or not,
Wow,
Like
that's
ever.
special.
ever.
This year.
Yeah,
Woo!
2 weeks ago
What
Yeah.
caliber?
in Illinois. What?
12
What
gauge.
caliber?
12 gauge slug.
Oh, you were shooting
Oh,
with
is
a
that a slug only
slug.
state?
Slug, straight
County.
walls, or muzzleloader.
Gotcha.
So
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's a long story. It was a weird morning, and my dad was with me. I was kind of playing defense on like against our neighbors more because there was freaking 4-year-olds running everywhere. Like they were rutting more than I'd seen all year. Like I passed a 160-inch 4-year-old twice.
Oh.
He got shot at 4 times right after that.
He's dead.
And
He's dead now.
he may be dead now. But I ended up shooting one of our target management bucks. Just a old monarch. Like
Floppy.
the thing, we'll send the teeth in. Yeah.
I've got him over here.
Okay.
Oh, I love that. That's cool.
I
You'll
got
figure out the age.
Yeah, I've got
Yeah.
the deer age kits
Precisely.
ready over here. I'll give them to you.
What do you think? How old do you think he is?
Sweet.
7 or 8.
I'd say 7 or 8. The older buck.
Ooh.
First
Fabulous.
shot. Well, so the way it went was, again, it's a long story, but we got a picture of him at like 5:30 in the morning.
Yep. In between Jared and I.
Like it's shooting light was like, I don't know, 6:50 or something.
Yep.
It was like a half an hour before like.
So you're both in your stands like, whoa.
Yep. He's with his dad.
I'm in
I'm
a
with my
blind
dad.
with my dad. He's in a stand with his dad. We're on opposite ends of the property.
He goes, dude, flop.
Flop.
And
And we
I-
haven't seen him in a while. So it was really like exciting. We're like,
Oh, is that what you called the
We
deer?
call him
Yeah,
flop
flop.
because you've seen these deer that have like busted ears.
yeah, he's
You
got
know.
a busted ear.
So he's, fighter, old deer, big old busted deer.
We're so unique. Flop.
So we call him flop. And I end up shooting that deer. Well, yeah, so fully intact, cool. I'm like, yeah, we could have a crack at this deer. Like maybe half an hour after daylight, I look way out in the field with my dad's like talking to me. I'm like, bucks just run, a bunch of them running. There's like 2 or 3 bucks running does. And so the morning starts kind of going crazy, and like it's opening day. We're hearing
We're
gunshots and
surrounded
stuff.
by just cut cornfields. Like we have cover
That's
and
cool.
CRP, and it's just like cut cornfields.
Yeah.
That's
So
so-
they just-
That's so foreign to us.
It's pretty wild,
oh, it's
I'd love
Yeah,
to see that.
I've never hunted anything
guys.
like that.
We need to do North Dakota mule deer. That would
We're,
be
we're going
Sign me
to.
up.
But sorry,
much fun.
continue. We're going to.
So I ended up shooting this deer. I grunted him in, actually. He was like dog and does around, and so my dad was with me, and I give him a little rip, and he came all the way in. Classic like gun, and I'm, I don't know. I'm like, what do I do with this thing?
Where's the safety?
Literally, it may sound kind of careless, but like,
pull the trigger with your release.
Well,
You're
no.
like, does this work?
I had asked my dad. I said, hey, you have a slug gun, right?
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. So he brought it, and he brought some orange and stuff like that. And I asked him like on the way to Illinois, I was like, you sighted in, right? He's I put it away sighted in. So it's,
Well, we kind of planned on
100
both
yards.
the dads hunting. Like that was Jared and I just kind of are there. Like we're secondhand basically. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, let's set the dads up.
Yeah.
We were
and we
in
had
Kansas.
management deer that we wanted taken out.
Yeah, and we had both already killed a deer on that farm. So
I killed
we're
one a
like,
week before. I went out, whatever.
Thursday.
I killed on the 9th, so I
You
drive
killed
out
Thursday.
on the 7th or 8th. On
Yep.
the way out to, it's our annual Kansas trip, so Jeremy and I and the dads. On the way out, we had a good weather front, so I went to Illinois and killed mine.
I had to shuttle the dads.
The first
It was
night.
like driving Miss Daisies.
Yeah. And then we went to Kansas and had a tough hunt. We can talk about that too. but-
Hot. Yeah.
Yep. And then on the way back, we hit Illinois again for the opener of gun
Ah.
season. So I killed one on the way out with my bow and on the way back with my gun.
That's so
So
cool.
sweet.
And so here's what I'm actually getting to was we grunted him in. He came he had to take literally 2 more steps, type of deal, and he stopped as them 7 or 8 year old bucks, do. He turned around and both dad and I are, "Meow, meow, meow, meow," and he's just, freaking out a little bit. And I hold on him and boom. And I see him, I can't quite see how he reacts, but I see him run off 15 or 20 yards and kind of stop again. And I mean, the mentality with a gun is you put bullets in him till he is down, right?
100%.
I think.
Sounds right.
So I assumed that's just,
Yeah, I've actually had the experience the other
I've
way
seen 'em run
where
away.
I've shot a deer, blood. I could see blood dripping down his leg. Him stumbling. Me and my friend Marta are celebrating. I watch him fall. We're like, oh my god. We get up. He gets up. He runs away. That was it. I could have shot him 3 more times.
it's different than a bow. It stuns them in a way. So you
It was
almost have to.
ultimately, it obviously was a bad shot because it didn't hit the vitals.
But it
He
knocked
didn't
him
die.
enough.
But it was
Yeah.
enough that I could have gotten more rounds in him.
So,
So I learned my
you'll
lesson the
appreciate
hard
the
way.
rest of the story then. So he whatever reacts, runs off. My thought is more bullets, slugs, whatever. So hold it on him. Put another one in him. Oh, and I can clearly tell he doesn't like that one. He humps up and then he goes 15, 20 yards and kind of just, goes down basically. And it's a mix of emotion there because it's that 4-year-old I had passed had just got shot at.
It was a freaking war zone.
And
down
we're
there.
just what is happening here? I'm just talking about it. I'm like, what just happened? What's going on here? And I'm excited that we shot that deer, but it was a weird feeling, mixture of emotion. So we get down. The first thing we did was went and talked to the neighbor who was right on the property line.
He drove his truck down and popped up a blind, right on the edge.
So I went and just
Lovely.
had a conversation, made our presence known. I said something to him about him being on the line and stuff.
He said he missed the deer.
yeah,
Clean miss.
he didn't. They didn't look.
that deer never showed back up, so probably not.
Yeah, it was one of them. I mean,
it was our biggest.
That's how opening day gun season is.
four-year-old.
People shoot a deer and they don't know.
Running across the field, it didn't go down, so he figures he misses.
So after that, we go and we're like, all right, we know where we saw the deer go down. Let's go get him. So we just kind of, I don't follow any blood or anything. I just go right to, there he is, found him. Sweet, and we're looking, just assessing, the situation. And I noticed that his tine's busted off. And I'm like, it's weird, I was like, I don't know. He must have busted it off. Like, and we sent a picture or something to Jeremy. He's like, dude, well, he had it this morning.
This morning.
And I'm like, wow. I'm like, the odds of him breaking it off between now and then would be
at the same time. I was like, Jared shot that fucking tine off. You believe that
super
shit?
low. And I'm like, we're also at the same time looking for an entry wound. And like, for the life of me, I could not find one. I'm like, I literally asked my dad, because my dad, he joked. He's like, I killed him. I had a heart attack. And I'm like, that's not real, right? I'm like, they can't really. I literally could not find an entry wound. I did eventually find it, and I can't believe how small that entry wound was, and only one. So I shot at him twice. The second one, I will guarantee you, because of how he reacted, is what killed him.
Got him.
I think I shot his tine off with the first shot.
Wow.
And just knocked him silly, probably.
So where did the second shot land?
Right behind the shoulder. And
It was
buried
just small.
and buried in the opposite shoulder. It was so small. I couldn't believe it.
I mean, we dug the
Interesting.
slug out. It didn't penetrate the hide on the other
did you
side.
look for the time?
Wow.
I looked for the time
Didn't find it.
because we thought, I'm like, I might have shot it off. Like, let's look. And so we looked for a while, and like, so now
It wasn't a big tine. It literally could have exploded. Like where it broke off, it kind of looked shattered.
Yeah.
So it may have just like.
Here, I'll tell you
Yeah.
something about that in a minute.
like
Trav
right
gave
at-
me some
right at
insight
the
on it.
end.
Oh, you did?
So no time. I mean, we looked. I mean, it's hard. Even think about when you shoot an arrow
In a
at something.
cornfield too.
It was like a
CRP.
field.
Yeah, it was nasty.
Even harder.
Yeah.
So couldn't find the tine and could not find a drop of blood. Not a drop.
No exit wound.
Yeah.
No, barely an entry wound either.
Yeah.
No blood on the animal.
Just all in the
Like if
cavity.
you're looking at the
Yeah.
deer looking for, you see it running down the side.
Mhm.
Nothing. So when I took it to Trav, he's like, can you see here? There was like just he said you could see a small amount of whatever it is, lead or something on the tine, led him to believe, yeah, I think you shot it off.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me. I can't believe it because
That was my solution in like the first 10 seconds.
I felt like it was a good. I mean, I wouldn't take
Just
it.
because it wasn't so much about like what you showed me as much as was how that deer reacted. Like
Yeah.
you knocked him silly the first time. He had no idea where he was, which is why he kind of stopped and was like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, and not in a weird way. Like he wouldn't have expected any different than if I had missed him
With an arrow.
with anything. I just like he bounded off a little bit and then was like, what was that? And look back and. But yeah, I'm sure it did. He felt something. He's like,
I'm
"What
sure
the
it
heck?"
rocked his world.
I have a friend who did that to a mule deer in Idaho. He shot him with, I don't know what caliber, but a rifle.
Mm-hmm.
At some distance too. The same thing. Like deer was stunned. He thought that he made a good shot.
Because it's like,
Yeah, deer ran
What
off.
are the chances of
Well,
hitting a tine
He
with a
found
bullet?
the tine though.
Yeah.
He
It
found
was
it.
like a whole branch. It wasn't
Yeah.
just a ton. It was like a,
Yeah,
Damn.
he found it and was like, oh. And then went back maybe a week or so later and killed the same deer.
holy
Mm.
shit.
right in the same bowl.
And so he's
Wow.
got the deer and he's got what he shot off.
So
That's
slug
cool.
hunting, I haven't done it in a while. I'm not some expert.
It's my
on
first
it,
buck, so.
But
Yeah.
Savage,
Go easy on him, Nick.
No. I don't know shit. But Savage makes a 220 20 gauge bolt action slug.
Yep.
It is
Yeah.
badass.
Yeah, it's a
Well,
sick gun.
so
Pretty badass.
we found out. So the gun that I shot was a 12 gauge, and it kicks like a mule. I mean, it's the reason I don't
I
gun
know.
hunt with a
I
slug.
know.
Honestly, I didn't feel.
No, when you're in the
Anything.
moment, dude, your
Yeah.
brain's
I didn't
not
feel
on
anything.
that.
No, dude, this Savage, it's 100 yards, it's driving ping pong balls.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's
Well,
awesome.
sweet.
so my dad brought this gun, and then afterwards, I'm like, "Didn't you buy like a nice slug gun?" He's like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "I did buy. I have a 20 gauge. I don't know if it's a Savage or what, but he has a nice 20 gauge."
Mhm.
They make it left-handed, right-handed.
He just totally forgot that he had bought it. And
sick gun.
we just don't gun hunt a whole lot. so
No.
forgot.
Yeah,
I haven't
that's
used
good.
mine in 5 or 6 years. I gave it to my brother.
I literally had to think about it. Dude. I was like, I was trying to think if I'd killed a buck with a gun before, and I definitely haven't.
No, we
Honestly,
talked about it.
Even does. It's like I could count on this hand maybe how many I've killed. I just
Four.
Not even
well,
five.
and truthfully, what kind of brought that even to mind in the first place? We're talking about which deer you mount and not. So I'm not gonna mount that deer. I'm gonna mount the deer that I shot with my bow on the way out there. I don't know, just feeling. I'm like, yeah, he's getting mounted. That's the first buck I shot with my bow off the farm here. The one I shot with a gun, even though he's almost for sure the oldest buck I've ever shot and scores maybe even a little bit better than that one. I was just like, we'll do European mount with him just because.
Yeah.
For what I don't know, it's just with a gun, it was just different. It wasn't the same.
No, I get it.
Wasn't the same feeling.
Oh yeah, I understand that.
See, I like weird shit though. Like if my dog's first pheasant, I really wanted that. I regret that.
Not getting that mounted.
Not getting that mounted.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been cool.
Well, because she also, but it's kind of she'll like bite and like push, to like bite some of the feathers off. It's kind of she ruined it in like a cool way.
Well, like, I wanted that. Like that was special.
Well, I think those are the like obviously I get people mounting big bucks. We have, but like there's certain ones that like have more memory to them that. Whether I
they
got them
memorialize
mounted or
it.
don't.
Yeah, it does.
Dude, this one here, granted, it's a giant PA buck. It deserves to be mounted in its own right. But I mean, along with that comes is that the first one that you and I recovered together?
Probably.
Whether it was or wasn't, you definitely remember me telling you, don't you freaking dare go walk up on that buck.
I had to sit in the dark waiting for you.
And then we walked up on it together and they memorialized those.
That moment.
That memory. That moment.
My brother's first buck with a bow was this cool non-typical up at camp. Yeah. Same way. He got it mounted. I was like, dude, have to. Absolutely.
Yeah. It was his first buck with a bow.
First buck with a bow, right above the fireplace, man. And I was like, if you don't want it, I'll get it mounted.
Yeah. And I think in that same breath, like there's ones that I wish, there's ones like even with my dad, like I remember the first time I ever hunted in Pennsylvania, opening day of gun season, this is like 93 probably. So I was,
Whoa.
Absolutely, dude.
That's cool.
Yeah, first buck with a bow. Dude.
That's freaking crazy.
Sick.
Especially up there.
It's like, dude, you got to get it mounted.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's special.
Well, even Corey did. I paid for at least his first, if not his first 2 mounts, just to be like, you might not understand now, but
you'll look back on these.
Cool.
Yeah, I wish so it was 93 opening day of gun season. I was 8 or 9. And my dad shot at that point like a 2.5-year-old 8-point, which was a pretty big deal. And like that's a deer where it's like, man, I wish we would have got that mounted.
Yeah.
Just because like, that was the first entry into like deer hunting that I had. And at that time it had been his biggest buck. I mean, it was the ones that you kind of paraded around at that point. So but I don't think, I don't know, people just didn't think about it, which is kind of weird. We've talked about this a lot, the way that the industry's changed and the way that, how you treat bucks and even big bucks, like they just seem so common now.
So common.
Before it was like, dude, if somebody killed one of these deer, you were like, holy shit. Now if somebody kills them, I see it every day.
Yeah.
There's clips.
Well, that's a good thing, right?
I don't know. The HUNTR Podcast is brought to you by Muddy and Stealth Cam trail cameras.
Cell cams. What an evolution the industry has seen, and we've experienced personally over the past 5, 10, whenever cameras were invented, right? It's like, man, it's totally changed the way that we inventory deer, pattern deer, and ultimately the decisions that we make when we're going out to hunt. They're a serious piece of the puzzle, and that information is invaluable for us. We trust the Muddy and Stealth cams, together to be able to collect any of that information.
Yeah, I mean, as an admitted trail cam addict, I've definitely been guilty of underhunting places or relying too heavily on that information that's come in. That said, it's an invaluable tool to the overall management plan and strategy that I have for my own properties or even hunting public land. It doesn't matter. We have a finite amount of time in going out and hunting. So when you and I are after a particular class or quality of deer, usually a mature buck, we can't waste time hunting an area where that deer doesn't exist. And those cell cams provide that information that allow us to spend the time in the area with the highest chance to accomplish our goals.
Say it all the time, man. You can't kill them if they're not there.
That's it.
So right now, any of our listeners can use code HUNTR20 to get 20% off either Muddy or Stealth cameras. We're certainly going to be taking advantage of that, and we hope you guys do too.
Yep, check out Stealth Cam and Muddy.
Well, there was a clip it was a podcast we did with Jay Greger. You know who that is? He's the Frosted Tips. He wears
Does he look
he's a golfer.
He looks like the Rascal Flats.
Yes.
Yes. Yep, he does.
Yeah. Looks like Gary LaVox.
Yeah, and he, had kind of a statement about like, nobody cares about these big deer anymore. And it's like,
oh yeah, I did see this clip. Yeah.
Man, I think he's right in the sense that like if you have the ingredients to do it. Like if you own land where bucks can grow, or like if you're cultivating them in a sense, like it's almost like very doable. Like we've figured out how to do it. And I think from a sense, it's like it almost it doesn't delegitimize like the animal in any sense, but it's just like
we get it. Like a bit.
And not to take anything away from these guys, but there's guys, Ben Rising, Lee Lukoski. There's guys that like you just expect them to kill. Like you better kill a couple
Giants.
180s, cut maybe a 200 this year, and if you don't, it's just like,
So to your point, Nick, like in a state like Pennsylvania, the fact that they're killing big bucks is freaking awesome. I think it's amazing how far we've come since what I just said in 1993. Like an 2-year-old 8-point was a giant.
Yeah.
What I think is weird is that a lot of those big bucks in Pennsylvania are not celebrated like they should because, things like social media have just desensitized us basically to, well, there's big bucks everywhere. Like everybody kills big bucks. And that goes back to, we were talking earlier about
I see what you mean.
Kentucky banning the cell cam side.
You know what else has too, Jeremy? To your point, I'll give you credit here. So cell cameras.
Huge.
I think
Damn.
I'm definitely guilty of, like, we'll sit in a group and we'll look at pictures of like 130s, 140s.
We see them all the time.
right.
And we're like, I don't know if I'd shoot him. I don't know if I'd shoot him.
Yeah.
You see that deer in person at 20 yards and it's like, that's an animal
Imagine
right there.
if there weren't trail cameras and there was not social media.
Yeah.
I'm a bit on that kick now.
Not only would you not know what was in the woods, so you couldn't compare unless it was something that you had seen with your own eyes, but just in your own community is all you would know.
That's how it used to be,
So,
right? Unless you watch
hunters in Pennsylvania wouldn't be looking at hunters in
unless you got North American
Anywhere
Whitetail
else.
or Deer and Deer Hunting magazine.
Yeah.
Like you had no idea that a 180-inch buck in Illinois even existed, let alone was killed. But that was the only. Now, literally every day you're seeing this
every
stuff.
day.
Dude, even our cams. I mean, we're in the middle of nowhere, north central PA.
And you get big bucks on camera.
Holy shit, you can't kill them.
But you're a little bit desensitized to it because you see them.
Then a little 8-pointer walks in that's 115 inches that you would have been stoked with 3 years ago. You're like, I don't know.
That's exactly it.
Kind of hurts.
It's the element of surprise.
Kinda hurts.
We all get put into a position where when we go into a spot to hunt, we pretty much know what to expect. And that's a weird feeling to have in the hunting side.
Yeah.
It's like, if applied correctly, it's undoubtedly the most valuable management tool because it's like we can selectively target certain animals.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's also bad on
You
that.
need a refill.
I do.
And
It's also
your
bad on
husband will
that.
help you out there.
With all that being said, though, I mean, trail cams are the most fun you could possibly have.
Dude.
Like,
Agreed.
No
Well,
argument there.
Not the most fun.
well,
They're certainly fun. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. We have a lot of fun with cameras, seeing where deer are at, seeing the deer. But there is an element, too, of like we just get accustomed to seeing them.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, yep, there he is. He was there 5 nights in a row or whatever.
I mean, that's a certain way that I will connect with friends and family. Like
Sending trail cam
Yeah.
pictures?
You see that picture?
Yeah.
No
We
doubt.
we wouldn't talk otherwise.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
Dude,
great point.
It's amazing, but at the same, when you get in the woods, it can degrade the experience a little bit.
Well, there's a big difference between seeing trail cameras of deer
I know.
and seeing a deer in person. It's like, oh, holy shit, there he is.
If you can differentiate and still have fun, still be at camp,
Yeah. It's tough.
still do your thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've been on this kick for a while. Like, I don't know if maybe I am completely in favor of banning cameras from a deer season standpoint, like having it in the off season, kind of like a bait thing, like 30 days before, no more type of thing. Would I be opposed to like regular trail cameras during the season? Probably not. But the cell cam thing has changed it a lot.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It's just getting back to that feeling of surprise. Like when you went into a spot and you saw a giant rub or you saw a big fresh scrape and you sat over it, you daydreamed the entire sit of like, what could it be?
No idea.
But now I pretty much know who did it.
Yeah.
Or I have damn good guess of who did it or which ones did it.
You probably named who did it.
Well, and I almost get disappointed then when that deer doesn't show up, right? Versus before it's like, I couldn't really be disappointed.
Yeah.
Now it's like, well, he's been there 2 days in a row. Why the hell didn't he show up? That is the part you walk into and it kind of kicks you in the face.
That was me this year.
Yeah.
100% archery season. That was me this year.
Like here he is,
I mean, I
and
know
now
it
he
was a
doesn't
mass
show.
year,
What the hell
but
happened?
like you had a wonky year where
I had a horrible year.
he wasn't like you weren't seeing bucks at first. I don't know, but then you kind of you turned it on and then you were seeing bucks like
what I did was I ignored my cell cameras.
Yep.
And I started putting pins on the map.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Just
was like,
going.
I know this spot is going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I just got to go there.
Yep.
And
you just hunted.
I'd put the shit away and I would go park the truck. I'd walk a mile and a half in and I'd be like, damn, why haven't I been doing this all year?
That's a double-edged sword, man, because that is probably the right way to go about it like 90% of the time. However, there 10% of the time it's like, there he is. You could get in the stand, and that's how that. And they get killed that way for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
But it's like half the time they're killing you, and the other time they're killing for you.
Well,
Yeah.
I was just getting addicted to that.
Oh, dude.
3 in the morning.
Oh,
I'll get
yeah.
there.
Oh, dude.
Me too, man.
We're running
all the time. It's been going off while we're sitting here. Like,
Yeah.
just I'm like,
He was
yeah,
going
we'll
this
touch
way
it.
at 3 in the
I
morning.
know.
That means at 6 in the morning he's going to double back and come right back through here. And this is great.
I think there's
Never for me.
there's a piece of that too that from a hunting standpoint that really starts to throw, I think, a curveball into that. You know, how many people are hunters, but they're literally not hunting because they're relying and watching. And then by the time that it shows up, even on a cell cam, you're behind the 8 ball, right? You're a step behind. Whereas without those, even with a normal trail camera, like you have to go put your butt in a tree stand and hunt to have an opportunity.
You know what's funny is I think that
wear yourself out a little bit.
Well, yeah, and honestly, just hunt more. Like we talked about this all the time of like, why are we losing hunters, right? This has been a huge conversation for us for the last month at least. And, it seems like it's because we've set things up so easy that, like, it doesn't stick. There's no grind to it anymore.
I use the word sparingly, but, like, I think that is it's specifically targeting serious hunters. I use the word sparingly, but, like, there's a percentage of hunters that, like, rely heavily on their trail camera information that, have a lot of confidence in their ability to observe deer remotely with cell and trail cameras.
And then make a calculated move.
We are the ones who are affected the most negatively, and it's maybe in some cases positively it works out, but by those cameras.
Absolutely.
I think there's a lot of people still that, like, have cameras.
And they get pictures.
I mean, you and I are not an anomaly, but, like, in a very small percentage of people that run a lot of cell cameras.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot.
What's your number up to this year?
30 each. About.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yep, that sounds right.
Yeah.
And maybe some overlap. So maybe 50 total.
Mark Drury's running 150.
Jesus.
Check this out. This is really interesting about
Great.
Mark.
That's a live feed.
Yeehaw.
I know,
That's
dude.
a live feed.
Well, listen, though, Mark says that he, and who knows, I mean, on a situational basis how this changes, but he says that 80 to 90% of his decisions about where to go to hunt are based off of the last, historical trail camera data.
Yeah, so he's
interesting. Oh yes, I saw this. He logs
He
everything.
logs.
I love that.
6,000
I think
pictures
that's so
a day.
interesting.
Yeah.
6,000 pictures a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he goes back and he plays off of that for the historical data to determine where to hunt.
It's wild.
I'd love to learn from those guys, but I don't know that I'd want to turn my deer hunting experience into that.
I agree.
Right.
I like the
that dude is an encyclopedia
of
deer movement, deer
Incredible.
strategy, deer everything. But yeah, I don't know.
I think
I'm honestly maybe never going to be in a position where I could buy as much property
Sure.
as him either,
Right.
or do anything. He's more successful.
Yeah,
he's
it's hard
smarter,
to
blah, blah, blah.
imagine without that being like
Yeah.
real right
'Cause
now.
I can't do it, so I can't really judge it. But
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But you could set out regular trail cameras on public land, A&F, wherever, right? You can go get those trail cameras at the end of the season. And I love that. Sometimes I forget about it like a normal camera out, and then I find it, and I'm like, oh, my God.
What do you call that? A bonus cam? You're like, I forgot about that
I'm
one.
just I'm just sitting there, scrolling through like an entire season
All
of
of
like
them are wind
information
picks.
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when you get that kind of stuff, it's cool to sit there and process it. Most people don't document anything, right? They just look through and they're like, oh, God, that's a giant.
That's
oh, my
us.
God, I can't
Yeah.
believe that. And there's a cool thing about it, but I think that side of it still brings, to your point, there's an excitement about trail cameras.
Mm-hmm.
Those cell cameras, I think, are probably one of the most innovative tools that we've had in a long time. I start to think that it's taken it too far.
Mm.
yeah, well, he's probably also been in a position where he was in our shoes, so he's
Sure.
just evolved.
Oh my
Absolutely
God! Yeah,
has.
he is probably like.
I don't know anything
I
about
can't
him, but
imagine. I mean, maybe he told you guys, but I can't imagine what his experience was like from being a young kid learning how to hunt, and
Well, they didn't have trail cameras
how
when he
it
was a kid.
has. I know that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
His mom dropped
Exactly.
him off at daybreak when he
Yeah.
turkey hunted, and she picked him up at noon.
Well, it's like you said, Nick.
Just left him.
They were killing,
Yeah.
like even in the
80s and 90s,
80s,
is
90s,
when they
2000,
did their
they were
first
killing like
videos.
130s and stuff, and like everybody's like, these are giants,
Yeah.
because nobody was running trail cameras. Nobody
Yeah.
knew that there
Nobody
were
knew those
bigger
deer
deer out there.
existed. Yeah.
Yeah.
You shot the first spike that you saw.
Yeah.
So you didn't know that there was a 180-inch 10-point out
Because your
there.
season was done after
He
that.
needs like a 1-hour biography on YouTube of the evolution of his deer.
It might exist. It's probably out there.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see. Again, I we talk about trying to make hunting harder, and it's not to like, disable anybody from being successful. It's more of the fact that like something has to be a little bit hard in order for you to appreciate it and want to continue to do
Well, it's
it.
for the sake of the animal too. Like
Right.
we want to see them reaching for our selfish purposes, but also just for the love of the animals. We want to see them reach an age of maturity.
But think about it. If you're, let's say you're an outstanding phenom at like baseball at a young age, right? And every time you go out, you frickin' just kill the competition. Like it's not even. Eventually, you lose the love for that game because it's just so easy. You're just like, oh, I go out, I'm gonna strike everybody out today, anyways. Like, what's the big deal? Like everybody knows it as well.
Yeah.
When you go out and you fail, like that makes you want to come back and work harder. And that's how most. When we talk about like the aging hunting demographic, most of the people in that 30, 40, 50-year-old age class had a grind to get to where they're at, and that's why they love hunting. The younger generation has had it very easy. They walked into a lot of technology, a lot of efficiency in weapons, a lot of liberalized seasons. And so those are the people that I think are falling off more. You've got the oldest generation falling off, and then I think you've got the youngest generation off. Everybody in the middle is very in tune with hunting, but we're getting older every year.
Yeah.
Seen it both.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Do you think the young kids are falling off faster than the old people are dying off?
because it's easier to kill deer.
I don't know.
Is what he's saying.
So like
Kind of makes sense.
transparently, I've got a 7 and 11-year-old. My 7-year-old, if I gave him a gun today and just said, "Hey, go kill a doe behind the house," he'd kill it and drag it back. If I gave my 11-year-old that same thing, he'd end up shooting somebody in Walmart. Like it's just the way that they're kind of wired, you know.
Sure.
It's not that, and my 11-year-old likes to go hunting, but he doesn't love
interpret
to,
that however you want.
Yeah, interpret that however you want.
Yeah.
He doesn't love to go hunting, right? My 7-year-old loves to be hunting. And I think it's because he had to sit back and watch his brother hunt for several years. Like, he sat with us. He couldn't hunt. So there was a grind of like, man, I can't hunt. I'm watching this. I can't hunt. His
sense.
brother got put right into as best of a situation as I could because as a dad, I'm like, well, I want him to succeed, right?
That's a great observation. Dude, I mean, think about, everybody's like, passion story. If they're like, how did I get
no
hooked into
sensitivity
hunting?
to the Walmart thing. Maybe that was a bad example.
It almost always starts
Shot a
with
goat.
Yeah, we know.
Jared shot a goat. Shot a
we
goat.
got you.
Hey, Bill.
It almost
Hey, Bill, yeah,
almost always starts with like observation of like or like a desire to do something that you can't. You're like, oh, my uncles and my dad, they used to go out for gun season, and I would watch them go out, and I'm like, I was too young to go. I couldn't hold the gun or whatever.
You went spotting.
Yeah,
You
and then
did
when you
things
do
like
eventually
that.
go, usually, most hunters that we know that are really passionate today about it are like, I failed for years.
miserably.
I would miss, or I never saw anything, or like
Yeah.
it sucked.
Yeah.
It was a long time. And then, I mean, I think for both of us, but dude, I didn't kill a buck with my bow, which, again, I didn't kill a buck with a gun until the other day. So my first buck with a bow, I think I was like 16 years old.
That's earlier than me. I didn't kill mine till a freshman in college.
Yep. And so before that, I waited from the time I was 10 because I couldn't hunt until I was 12 in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
So then when I was 12, I hunted with a gun, didn't see shit for a long time. I think I missed some with my bow as a 12 and 13 and 14-year-old, maybe something like that. And then finally, as a 16-year-old by myself, I connected and I did it. And I was like,
well, but that hooked you. That's what I'm saying is like, and it's no, like, I'm not going to parent anybody else, but like when I see kids on social media killing 160s and 170s as like 7 and 8-year-olds, I'm like, fuck, dude, where do you go from here?
We talk about this a lot, actually.
That's a tough spot to be in.
You guys gonna have kids?
We're
Whoa, jeez.
Hard question.
Whoa.
I mean, are you
wow.
Are we that deep
working
into
on
the
it right
program?
now? Or
Not tonight.
you have any
Yeah.
announcements to make on this podcast?
No.
Not tonight.
Yeah, that don't matter. You're right.
Actually,
Let me put you on.
Kids would be phenomenal, but we're both like, we have aspirations.
yeah, I think I love the idea of
It'd be really
a
cool.
kid someday.
Sure.
But like I close my eyes and I'm 60 and I'm like, oh yeah, we definitely had at least a kid.
Yeah.
But right now I'm like,
It's tough.
you know, so it's just,
We like
it's
to travel,
not there
we
yet.
like to party, we like to hunt,
Yeah.
we like to fish, we like to do a lot
But
of
like
things.
hearing
Yeah,
you
life's
talk
good.
about your
Not ready
kids.
to settle yet.
We're there too.
Probably same with you. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Our dogs are our kids.
We
Yeah.
got a great
Are you
dog.
guys going to have kids?
Well, same answer, kind of. We're like,
Yeah.
oh boy, when I'm 50, 60, I'd love to like look back and be, you know,
Yeah.
truthfully, like there's when you hear people in their, you know, later, you know, even 50, 60s, they're like, man, my greatest accomplishment was my kids.
Yeah.
That hits home a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm like, boy, I don't want them right now. And like we have nieces and nephews, and I'm like, anytime I think we want kids, we hang out with them, and I'm like,
Yeah.
It's not easy, man. I mean, there's a major sacrifice across the board. From a purely keeping this discussion in the hunting side, we've talked about this before. I mean, if I hunt 30 days, right, 7 to 10 of those are me hunting.
Mhm.
The other 20 plus are me with one of the kids.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, if I, like this season, let's say I hunted 30 days, like I may have only hunted 7. The kids hunted 20 some.
Mm-hmm.
My dad hunted a handful. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
well,
so
you've got a fair amount of hunting. Still.
Yeah.
We went to Kansas for
yep.
6 days.
And I went to
7 days.
Illinois.
Went to Illinois
You
for
killed bucks.
yeah. So you
Yep.
had, I mean,
But other than that, like I
you probably
haven't
had
hunted.
you probably had 14 or 15 total days of hunting by yourself.
Yep.
Yeah.
And probably 20 to 25 with the kids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You
Wow.
know?
Here's the title for this podcast.
Okay. Go ahead.
Is Outdoors Allie having kids?
Oh.
That'll be a clip for sure.
Yeah.
That'll work. That'll
Is she
work.
pregnant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it me?
It is a fun thing. Like the
Is
hard,
that mine?
Yeah. No, what? The hard part is like
Speaking of raw dog sausage.
when they're younger, like especially, you know, wanting to go hunt, you know, they have to be at home with mom when I'm hunting. That strains the relationship, right? Because drives
Yeah.
are crazy.
Yeah.
Now, like
I
at
can
7 and 11, they still drive her crazy, drive me crazy, but they're self-sufficient, right? Like
Yeah.
they're not going to starve to death. They're not
Mhm.
going to shit in a diaper.
Yeah.
Like they're at least self-sufficient to where they can do things. So
Yeah.
there's a period there where it's like kind of the baby phase where it's like it's cool but it's stressful.
Mhm.
Then there's a period of like the toddler phase, which is like really hard because they're helpless.
Yeah.
You know,
and they're mobile.
yeah, somebody has to be responsible for them. When you get to this 7, 10, 12, 15, you know, now it's like they can come do stuff with you. And it's weird because like I know it'll be a matter of time before the kids are with us in Kansas, you know, hunting because they'll want to do that. But it's
truthfully, it's funny that this came up. Marge and I had a conversation the other day. So she's, you know, birth control is funny. Like it's like you can mess with you.
Oh,
Well, it's a
bad.
hormone
Tell her to
It's
thing.
quit
bad.
that shit, dude.
Yeah, you're putting shit in your body.
Yeah.
Quit it tomorrow.
So she doesn't want to do it anymore. She's been on it for a while, and
Good.
so we're intentionally not having kids. But she's, you know, so we're like, what's our options? Like I'm not old enough to be okay with getting snipped. I'm just like,
No.
you know, I'm like, I'm not ready to give up on that
Yeah.
possibility.
Self-control, dude.
Yeah. So but I also,
it's also not a pleasant thing.
yeah,
from personal
yeah, of course.
experience.
And but I'm also, I want to be.
Not a pleasant
My
thing.
wife's having this like issue, not an issue, but she's like, I don't want to be on birth control. I'm like, I want to fix that for you.
Yeah.
So
without fixing myself.
without fixing myself.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, in whether this holds, you know, we'll see what happens. But I kind of told her, I was like, listen, if by 35 we've not decided to have kids, like that's when I'll consider getting snipped. Until then, we're gonna do like an implant or something. Seems like a fairly
I think I was
good option.
So I'm 39 now. I was 36, I think, when I got snipped.
When you got snipped, yeah, but you had 2 kids.
Ah.
I had 2
before
kids.
then,
yeah, I was done.
What age?
See, I'm looking at 36 as like.
What age were my kids, or what age was I?
were you when you
36,
guys got
I think.
pregnant? 30.
Oh, when so Carter's 11, so 28 and 32.
Okay, so the first one's gone for me, but yeah, 32's.
32.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know, a lot of maturity happens every year. I think into
it's
your 30s.
a lot later than it used to be. I mean, our parents had kids at like 19 and 20 and 21.
Yeah, with modern technology, my high level income, it's not impossible to think I could live to 120, 130 years
right.
old.
That's right, baby.
Is that a movie reference?
That's a movie.
Yeah.
Ricky Bobby.
But yeah, I mean, I think, there's a lot of people. There's people that I went to high school with who are damn near 40 who are having kids right now.
Really?
Yeah.
I will say, my dad doesn't hunt. I do envy the fact that you guys can do that. It's pretty sweet.
Hunt with our dads?
Yeah, hunt with
Yeah.
your dads. I don't have that.
My dad doesn't hunt
I
either.
got my uncle. Pretty close. Pretty cool. You know,
I have
Real
been
close.
special bond.
Yeah.
It's a really cool thing.
I
cherish that.
I see.
but
Would your dad? Is he
I-
open? Like, do you invite him to hunt or just?
Yeah, he's just not. It's
No,
just
no,
not
no.
his
Yeah,
interest.
not his
It's
thing.
not his thing.
I do yearn
He
for like,
respects it. He, he'll
yeah.
Do you guys have like a thing that you're like you and your dad connect
Baseball?
on?
sports,
Baseball.
baseball,
Mhm.
Yeah.
lifting
Yeah.
weights,
Bourbon.
Yeah.
bourbon,
Yeah.
anything. Yeah,
Yeah.
We connect on.
You have
every
other
level
things.
besides
hunting.
Lots of things, yeah.
shooting deer.
I've been yearning for a
He's my
bigger hunt camp experience. Like our hunt camp that we do in Kansas with the dads is a blast. It's freaking fun. It's awesome.
Those are memories that you can't put a price tag
I've been
on.
yearning for like a bigger one though. Like I don't know how to put it together yet, but like, to have like a camp, if it was against an A&F or whatever, but like multiple people, you could have 15 people there, kids, grown-ups, whatever. Because that's what I grew up with. That's what got me hunting.
Yeah.
I think I have too. Like not maybe in the same sense, but I said it to you the other day. And I was just kind of like, man, I wish we were talking about ATA and how that used to be like the time that we'd all get together. Man, I wish there was more because there's people. We call them industry guys, but there's people that like we've made relationships with that I want to spend time
I'd
with.
love to hang out with.
We're
like,
not
in a
going
hunt.
next year.
Yeah, in St. Louis.
Yeah. Well, but maybe you do it on hunts or something. Like, I don't know. Dude, part of me was like,
I hear you.
part of me would like, and even with these guys here too, what if you and I
Why can't we do
and
that?
Nick and Donnie Vincent and these guys, what if
Why
we
can't we
like,
do
what if the six of us or whatever could go and do like a North Dakota mule
I would
deer
love to
Friggin'
hang
awesome.
out
and
with
even
Donnie
film it
Vincent.
and do like and make a film. Like, how much fun would we have doing that
Well,
together?
so
as a group?
our kind of beef into that was, and it's not beef, but like, it definitely seems like we blow through YouTube content faster than we ever have.
Yeah.
Like we almost find ourselves thinking like, what do I watch?
Where's
like
that?
I've watched everything new. Like nobody else is making anything new. It's what am I supposed? So it's it's that situation of what should I watch? Because there's only so much stuff being produced, and some people are still doing TV stuff, so you're not even going to see that this year. But yeah, it seems really weird that there's like, here's the group of people I watch on YouTube, and I blow through that content, and then I'm like, now what? There's nothing else to watch.
That sounds like an opportunity
Yeah,
for someone.
We've taught our idea originally with Hunter, and it doesn't matter because we haven't done it, but was to document by month, like really this is the September to January, and
so
so
it's a
like,
season by month. So
Yeah.
September, October, November,
so
December.
like it'd be a long form video, like a short film of September, and it'd be everything that like happened in the month of September, but you would yearn to watch then October, right?
Yeah.
Because it's chronological story.
and it
and
makes
so-
sense from a chronological.
And nobody had really done that. And so that was kind of our thinking. And then it was just like, I don't know if I really want to film our hunts.
Yeah.
Well, the filming aspect really took away from our
experience.
focus. The focus and inherently the
We did
experience,
film.
too.
We filmed the North Dakota and South Dakota hunts a couple of years ago.
It's hard to align with cameramen too to have that make sense because it's like they have to be a super qualified videographer, and also be an equal match as a hunter. It's like especially
and someone you want to hang out with.
Yeah, I mean, I got to
Ideally.
put Nick in a toddler backpack basically and like carry him around with
Although
a camera
he
over my
didn't
head.
film me much this year at all. I was self-filming.
You self-film? That's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, last year he killed a buck on Halloween. So it was like great. He was with me the rest of the season,
Jeremy
and it
killed
was
on
like
Halloween.
easy peasy. Did you? Halloween is like the night. I look forward to Halloween hunting on
do.
Halloween
Oh.
night. Even like I've never killed a buck on Halloween, but I'm always like,
could
I have
happen.
the superstition
It
of
could happen.
Halloween. But this year he didn't. Neither of us. Well, I had shot a doe, but we both still had our buck tags going into rifle season. So I was self-filming like this whole year. But I wouldn't work with a camera guy aside from him because of the experience part of it.
Sure.
And I do love hunting alone. Yeah. So there's like that aspect of it too.
Me too.
But the quality of footage,
see, like for Jared,
so it depends on what you're like going for.
For Jared and I, when we did it in North Dakota the year before, we fed off each other. Jared would hunt and I would be the observer spotter. Yeah, and we would just go back and forth.
We were just like supporting. We're like,
yeah, you're just hanging out together.
We're just together. We're hunting
together.
But
then next year, it was like, now we're separate. You have a camera guy, I have a camera guy, and we go hunt. And then it was like, well, that's no fun. Like, we want to hunt. We want to hunt together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait. What was that?
Yeah. Wieners touching.
Yeah. So did that.
Clearly. It's
yeah.
a
It definitely did. It just took away from it. It took the focus off of like, hey, like, because you think about a hunt like that, it's like, man, it's a 26-hour drive out to North Dakota. It's like we're just executing. We're just at a high level. Like, we're just doing it. We went. We killed mule deer the first, second, and third day. Second and third, I didn't somehow first slipped in.
First was not in there.
We only killed 2 mule deer. Jeremy killed his the second day. I killed mine the third, and it was just like flawless execution, like we expect to do. We hold each other to the standard of like this is what we're gonna do, and we did it, and it was so much. It was like just one of my top hunts, and so we tried to kind of replicate it and film it with 2 cameramen now involved, and it was just like we struggled to repeat it. There was a couple things out of our control, like the drought had gotten really bad, so the mule deer were in different places. It wasn't as
water focused.
Yeah, it wasn't
really tough to spot. They moved into the grasslands out of the badlands, so spot and stock level went to expert.
Yeah.
And immediately.
Yeah.
Yep. And number 2, we had these cameramen now involved, where it's like you're not just responsible for yourself. Like Jeremy and I can handle ourselves or trust each other and be like, you got my back on this. Now it's like looking to my cameraman who's like putting Old Spice on in the shower, and I'm like,
yeah,
we didn't, dude.
Yeah,
don't do that.
Guilty.
Yeah. Well, in hindsight, that make a difference, but it's those things where it's just like,
Well, we were brimming the 5th wheel toilet too. We didn't have anywhere to pump.
We were filling the toilet.
She was brimmed.
Well, it's just
4 guys versus 2. It changes the game.
Go outside. Grow up. Come on.
Yeah. We go outside now, but
they're cactus out
It's just a lot more to like.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yes.
Why do you neglect Pennsylvania so much?
Well,
this is a Pennsylvania podcast.
Sure.
Well,
great question.
I don't neglect it as much. I don't hunt Pennsylvania a lot, mainly because I hunt the kids in Pennsylvania a lot. So my youngest killed opening day of bow season. Behind the house, killed an 8-point.
Sweet.
Yeah, which is awesome.
I didn't see any of it.
I'll
Let's see these pictures.
And then Emily, my wife, killed on, I guess it was Tuesday. What's today? Thursday? So Tuesday night.
Oh yeah, that was the deer that
she shot a doe, which was really
today's Friday.
Today's Friday.
Yeah.
Today's Friday.
It was either maybe it was Wednesday.
I mean, isn't that's cool? That's cool.
You
shit.
said that
like,
same thing
oh,
at
yeah.
the beginning of the
Well, last year we went with Shirk for a week up in the ANF.
Yeah.
And didn't see a deer for a week.
It's hard. Yeah.
Sounds about
4
right.
days. I honestly, I think it comes down to just opportunity. Like, so my family farm is in Ohio, so just my inclination is we have private land to access out there. That's where I'm going to spend my time.
Totally.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
That's sweet.
He's a straight killer. That's his 3rd buck in Pennsylvania in 3 years.
I think beyond that, Nick, it's like
5, 6, 7.
It's goal oriented.
That's
it's
cool.
like there's a certain age, an antler class of buck that I want to target. There's an experience that I want out of whitetail hunting that like is achievable with just the resources that we are willing to put into it. And so for us, if it's like okay, if home base is Ohio for me. Where do we go next? If I can fill that tag, which I haven't yet this season, I live in Pennsylvania. Is that an option, or do we look elsewhere? So I don't just because of the Ohio access and stuff. I haven't spent a lot of time getting Pennsylvania permission. If I was to hunt Pennsylvania, I think it would either be in southwestern strip mine ground, and I've got some like loose leads of stuff that I could make that happen. Or north in the ANF, which I think it comes down to like probability. I'm like,
I would love to have mine's time. I don't have enough time to scout them.
I was actually, as you were speaking, I was just thinking like the hunting season is so limited, and especially if you're like optimizing the rut, Like we're talking about just days
Here-
out of like the whole year.
Yeah.
So like
Here's
you do
case-
really have to choose your time wisely.
100%. So here's case in point. I've never killed more than one whitetail in a season before this season. This year, I killed one in North Dakota and 2 in Illinois on our new farm. We killed 3 total off our new farm in Illinois.
They're all dead now.
So from a time value
Here's the
standpoint, it's like, I'm looking at, Illinois as like, I'm like, man, what's going to give me a premium whitetail experience? Where am I going to achieve my goal of killing an older age class buck and ideally a big antlered deer too? And we're just going to continue to pursue premium whitetail experiences within our means.
What you want.
And, Pennsylvania, as much as it's got a place in my heart, because we live here and it's like I killed my first deer here and stuff. It's just, I know that the odds are much lower.
That's Mama up the
How
hill.
much does she love that Sitka suit?
Dude.
So she hates
They're
the
great.
cold with a passion.
Do you have one?
Oh my God. I say like bury me in that thing.
Yeah, she
So
and it was like, I don't
good.
know. It was really cold that day. And she's never been able to stay warm, and she like has to unzip that thing, that
So-
Fanatics suit.
My
That's
Pennsylvania question is a loaded question.
Yeah.
Because selfishly, I want you guys to do more stuff here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
I
that
want to do
my
more
opinion
stuff
doesn't
here.
mean shit,
I'm gonna hunt
but
here. I'm gonna hunt on the mountain tomorrow morning.
I want to hunt with you guys.
I don't know where.
Yeah. if
Let's
we had the opportunity, and it's not all, this kind of per some of our conversation around the camp and stuff. It's not 100% dependent on the deer, right? I mean, it's a big part of it. Like we want to make sense to try to strive for that, but.
Sure.
If we had a situation in Pennsylvania where it's like, man, we could make some awesome memories with people that we care about, and
do you have your Pennsylvania license?
I didn't buy one this year, no. I did last year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I did last year.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
But even it's tough. Like even if I had a property like very nearby to my house, the likelihood of that producing the quality of animal that I could target in even Ohio is not as good.
Sure.
Yeah.
I guess
I think it's
no. You're right. You're right.
It makes sense.
That's just the.
I think it goes
that's
back.
the difference.
I think
Yeah.
it goes back to like the challenge side. So like JD, who we were just talking to, her husband hunts A&F, and it's because he's more of an adventure hunter. Like he's a sheep hunter.
Yeah.
So he doesn't like hunting whitetails unless it's something like A&F where it's like there's this great challenge.
Yeah.
And I kind of, I don't know. I don't want to spin my wheels per the time standpoint.
Sure.
But, most of when we go to Illinois, I'm so out of my element because I hunt mountains and big woods. Like even my Kentucky properties, it's mountains.
he killed one
and
his
big
first sit, so
Ah,
that out
your
of his
Kentucky property is mountains and big woods.
woods. It's like Eastern Kentucky.
Is the property next door for sale?
There's probably a lot of property. It's freaking awesome down there.
That
I
sounds
love it.
cool.
Like Daniel Boone National Forest. It's like A&F. I bump up against essentially an A&F.
Super
That's cool.
But it's tough. Super tough hunting.
Yeah.
There are big deer in the area, but like
not a
they
lot
have
of them.
thousands and thousands of acres of woods to just roam.
Mhm.
Not a lot of them. So yeah, I don't know. Like I'll hunt tomorrow morning. I'm gonna go up on the mountain. I've kind of got an idea of where I want to go. I had some pictures of some big deer in the summer. My cameras all died, so I don't know what's up there. But
Yeah.
I'm just gonna hunt for the
A
morning.
little surprised. Are there other places on your radar that you're like, okay, here's next? Like, do you have? Yeah.
Yeah, every year. Yeah,
you
I mean,
do?
we're trying
Yeah.
to constantly be stacking opportunities. So like,
Yeah.
we've got points in Illinois and North Dakota. So
Iowa.
like, Iowa and North Dakota. So
Mm-hmm.
those are two.
North Dakota is a whole different thing, though. Like that is early season mule deer. That's
How
our,
early
that's
is early season? August?
September 1.
1st.
Okay.
That's our western hunt.
Yeah.
We don't really hunt out west, so
Mhm.
that's our western hunt.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So does that answer your question? Like,
I was thinking,
I mean,
because like it seems like you've got your whitetail season pretty dialed in terms of like, I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna go here. So I was curious, like, if there are other opportunities that you're like peaking, other areas that you're like, oh, if I could only get some access here, like this would be a good spot. Points is obviously like,
a big one.
as a non-resident, you got to draw in certain areas.
The weather and timing is what's crippled us in a weird way. Because, like, if it's good in Illinois, it's good in Ohio, it's good in Kentucky, it's probably good in...
There's only... Listen, you
too
take...
much opportunity.
You can't go anywhere. And we miss opportunity every year.
Because you take a hunting season, condense it to good weather days, and it's like you have 2-3 weeks.
I mean, there's been numerous times that Jared and I have been in Kansas hunting because
This past year was a classic example of, like, terrible weather. I didn't see deer over 2.5 years old a whole week in Kansas.
It was rough.
And we were committed. We were committed to the week. So we had to go.
Flexibility. Dude, if anybody ever asks you, like, the number one most valuable thing to be able to, like, kill a big deer consistent, it's flexibility of schedule. To be able to hunt weather fronts.
100%.
Amen.
Yep. That's exactly what it is. Because that was a ruined... I mean, it was a good week.
It was a waste of time, and we knew it. Like, yeah, there's an off chance you could kill one, but, like, the odds are way lower.
Who taught us that?
Jeff Sturgis.
Yeah.
He said, don't waste your time.
Yeah. I ran into one super giant, and I didn't have a chance at him, but I was in the game at least. And then the rest of the time was a wash. I mean, we had a great time with the dads. Like, deer camp was fun. Yeah. We drank a lot of beer.
We always do.
Yeah.
That's half the fun.
Oh, it was fun. We did a live podcast.
We did a live pod with the dads.
I saw you guys.
Did you?
I didn't watch it yet.
You did it in live or after?
I didn't see it in live, but I saw you guys talking about going live. No, we're in during hunting season.
It was fun.
Yeah.
We don't have Wi-Fi that can support that.
You'll enjoy it. My dad is such a yinzer.
Oh, I love it.
He's like, oh, I'm just saying, if you shoot a crossbow, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah. He's such a yinzer, and it's really funny. But yeah, that weather week was shit, and I don't know. I mean, it wasn't great anywhere else, but we definitely had deer moving back home. We had deer moving in Illinois, and it was like
it was slow everywhere. There's nothing you can do, and that comes with. We knew it was coming. With that October that we had, we had cold front after cold front in October. We killed, had some good deer killed. We didn't personally, but then November just first week was decent. I killed the 9th. The 9th is consistent for me. And then it shut right off. But I mean, but then, dude, on the way back in Illinois,
it was on fire.
Freaking deer were rutting. That was November. What's the opening?
17th.
The 17th. They were going big bucks on their feet, running does. Cool. Cold. It's all cold front related.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah, we had a big cold front. In fact, the temperature dropped 10 plus degrees right at daybreak. It was super warm. Like a mock rain front came through, temperature plummeted, and
I mean chasing 4-year-old 160 split G2 chasing does.
She's got a split G2 story.
Yeah. There was a nice deer for where we're hunting that we had on camera
in PA.
Yeah, he was the biggest deer that we had on camera, and
maybe ever.
Yeah.
Maybe ever.
Nicer than nice.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wait a minute. So this is nicer than nice.
Yeah.
You're just downplaying a little bit. I get it.
I don't know. It is what it is. So I was hunting one of my favorite spots that I personally consider a doe spot. This is a spot that I go that I think I'm gonna see does.
Which at the right time of year, you're probably gonna see
that spot.
And it was 10 minutes before the last shooting light. So, it's getting dark. And I was hunting on the edge of some really thick stuff. And
that's probably high 40s.
This story is it's crazy. I had never had a better hunt than this hunt, even with as unfortunate as it ended. I had this big, gorgeous buck run 3 other typical Pennsylvania 8 points out of this thick brush.
When is this?
Early November.
7th.
Oh,
I think it was earlier than that.
4th?
It had to been November 1 through 4. So it was early November.
Yeah.
And he ran 3 other bucks out and he was fighting them all. You would think that these 3 bucks were jumping him. No, he was jumping all of them. And they were all within 40 yards of me. All of them were fighting all at the same time. It was the most chaotic, insane experience that I'd ever had. So I ranged, of course, the largest deer. He was at 40 yards and he was behind a tree. The 3 other ones were a little bit closer. But the big one was 40 yards. And for me, that's about my limit. 43 and then I don't want to go any further.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably my limit.
Yeah.
The furthest I ever killed a buck was
Oddly
this year.
specific, 43.
43.
He shot his buck at 43
that
in
is weird,
October.
but
That's the
43
furthest
is
I've
my limit.
literally ever killed a deer
Yeah.
at 43 yards was
She
this year.
shoots a lot, and she knows like right where.
I've shot
far.
40 is,
If-
I've killed
43
multiple
is
deer
a
at 40.
far shot. Like I remember looking back and I'm like, shit. It's
Yeah.
a poke.
So 43 is my limit, and he was at 40 behind a tree.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You also shoot avatar arrows, right? Your draw is like insane. What's your draw?
Like 28 and a half.
Which is long for a female.
Whoa.
But my draw poundage is not high. I'm actually really frustrated with the trajectory of my arrows.
What bow are you shooting?
Currently, it's a PSE
Mhm.
Evo 33.
What's your
but-
poundage?
Like 51.
50-ish.
I think it's like 51.2.
That's still
Not
pretty
bad.
good.
It's more Nick and Bull.
But
You have weight up front?
Yes, I do. And I've
right.
had really great.
Wait, this Nick or that Nick?
That Nick. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had really great
I'm only about 60.
experiences with this bow. I've killed 3 bucks
Mm-hmm.
with this exact setup. Oh, great over the last couple years. It's been fantastic. I changed my sight this year to a 3-pin adjustable,
Mm.
and I did not like it.
Yeah, I'm a single pin.
I want to
guy.
go back to the single. I'm going back to the single pin. But
Although I
regardless,
messed up on that for
I
sure.
can't even blame it on the sight. It's not the sight. So I drew, and when he walked out, I think he walked out just a couple yards further, and it was enough that when I shot, it went right underneath him, and he was fine.
Yeah, he didn't.
He just like whoop. And they were all still so wrapped up in each other. He came closer. I knocked another arrow. He was at 36 behind a tree, of course, at this point. But there was another like classic Pennsylvania 8-point at 20 yards, not behind a tree.
Not behind a tree.
And I got greedy.
And shot
And
him.
I got greedy, and I was like, the big buck's at 36 yards. So I spin my sight to 36 yards now. Draw back, and he didn't step out from the tree. He ran to go fight another buck. So after that moment, I never had a chance to shoot anything because then they all dispersed and
Jeez.
were out of range. So I was like kicking myself for missing the first shot, and it's partially on me because I feel like I should have known that he was, a little bit further at 45. Because for my bow, the difference between 45 and 40 is a miss.
It's a big drop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm also kicking myself for being greedy and not taking the shot at the other deer that I had.
You say it now because you're in rifle
I know.
season.
Hindsight is 2020.
Yeah.
But it was it was
Yeah,
such.
you'd be kicking yourself the same if you shot that deer and been like, I let the bigger one
I know,
pass.
maybe,
exactly what I said.
maybe I came
Yeah, I think you made the
home
right
though,
decision.
and I was
said the same thing.
elated.
Yeah,
I
it's
was
an unbelievable
like,
hunt.
it
Yeah.
was unreal.
Oh yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, "Where's the deer?" She's like,
I didn't
missed it."
even
And I was like,
care.
"What the fuck?"
In the woods.
Yeah.
I was then on the computer, like, looking at the maps, looking at everything, looking at our photos. Like, I was immediately just like,
Yeah.
that was so wild. Like, I can't wait to get back out there and have another experience like that.
Yeah.
And I've experienced bucks fighting before, but never like
No,
that.
that was
It was
intense.
so incredible.
Those rut hunts, those rut encounters
I
like
love
that,
that.
they're so rare. The buck I killed on the 9th was the same thing. It was just like you hunt all season for that. And I'd made a comment like slightly before that hunt. I'm like, dude, I called in a deer all year. I haven't seen any rutting activity. The night that I killed on November 9th, it took till the 9th of November. Once most people are, we're well into it at that point. The buck that I killed was with 2 other bucks, and they were freaking falling down the hill. I mean, just molesting this freaking bedding area, just running does everywhere. And I mean, it was one of those nights. I mean, that's where you can try to predict them, and there's certain dates, there's certain weather patterns. Some guys will say the moon that, you can key in on those, but like, it's just, they're hard to predict. Yeah. And every once in a while you have a magical, it's got to align with you got to be in the right spot because it's all or nothing.
Yeah.
And that night that I was there, I had a similar, just like you did. It's just like, holy cow, there's freaking deer everywhere doing what in my dreams, like what they would do, and like, the only difference is I killed mine. So.
Yeah. Oh, it burns.
It would have been a camp. It would have been a camp record.
I probably would have actually mounted that one.
Wow.
Regardless, I would have been like, I'll find a spot to put this.
So to contradict myself, cell cams is how we found that deer.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's how we got close.
Yeah, but it's not why I was sitting
Mine
there.
too.
I know.
Mine too.
But that's how we got close. That's how we knew that he was even living.
That's how we knew. Yeah, that's.
Or else
and
we
frankly,
wouldn't
actually,
know the one that you missed if we didn't have a picture. Because I was like, oh yeah, it was a big deer, or whatever.
Oh, totally. He would have been
It
like,
was a
yeah,
big
that
deer.
was a classic 8 point.
Yeah. No, it was.
Dude, the cell cam, undoubtedly. The reason I went to the spot that I hunted the night that I killed was because I watched that split G2 160 whatever 4-year-old follow a doe up into there.
that.
And I knew based on, and that was like 11 in the morning.
Like that doe was hot.
And I knew off of that,
Yeah.
I knew that other buck, one of them was probably up in there, and they're going to follow her back out.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it happened exactly the way that I thought or not, that's why I sat there.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, those nights are hard to. It just
You get 1 or 2 a year.
well, it's just it's just things fall into place. Like you meet people, and it's just like on the way in there, the farmer was taking our beans off and stuff. So it's our new property. I'd never met him, so I stopped. I wasn't running late, but I was on time. I stopped and talked to them, and it was just a great interaction. Talked to them for half an hour, and it was just like just good vibes on the way in. It was just like a high pressure cold front day, and I'm like, and I just got in there I was in there for 10 minutes, and I looked at cell camera again and saw one of our shooters on the ridge above me. I'm like, he's right there. I'm like, do I call? So I ended up seeing him actually, and I called at him, and just he didn't come in. He worked off, and later that night, it was just. Dude, those nights, like if you've experienced one, you know what I'm talking about. You're just like
explodes.
You're just like, there's no way I could replicate that conversation with the farmer, that drive to the place, the way that I stepped on the way in there.
The coffee tasted.
Just everything.
Everything was perfect.
Oh, and to be able to and then afterwards, it's the people you share it with and stuff. Like we were staying with new friends that I'd never met before.
They listen to the podcast.
Yeah, they listen to the podcast,
so
and they're like, "Hey, we
yeah.
own the property 2 miles north of you. You should come stay with us." And I was like, if you're serious, but I was like, I will. I was like, so I took him up on it. I went and stayed with them, and I'm staying at their cabin. And
so cool.
His kids, who are in their early 20s, which is fun for me because I'm still feel like I'm.
Yeah.
You're there.
Yeah.
You're
Got
there.
some vibe.
Yeah, but these kids, they watch the podcast. They're 20 and 21 or something like that. They came with me to help recover that buck and load them in the truck, and not egotistically at all, but like I know how cool that must have been for them, and it was equally as cool for me. Like it was it was so much fun to be able to share that with them, and just be like for them to be like that's a giant, that's an awesome old buck, And
my cousins have been hunting with us for a long time up at camp. This was the first year that they saw something get shot. I shot a decent 8-pointer and a doe. Same day.
Oh, yeah. He didn't finish the story. The buck that he showed you earlier that he shot during rifle season, about 2 hours later, he also shot a doe while we were hiking out to get the game cart. We come back and he's like, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I also filled my doe tag.
Damn.
tack one on there.
Yeah, go for
I was
it.
like, hey, dude,
Stack them up.
I gotta show you guys what's up. Yeah, and egotistically, great for me, but I was like, this is a great experience for them.
Sure.
Like, I hope so. I mean, I would like to believe so.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think they had as much fun as I did.
I mean, that's a hard part to find. And I mean, that's what's cool about like the deer camp atmosphere and stuff is like having that deer camp atmosphere and being able to have those conversations and, reflect on the day, reflect on what everybody saw, reflect on the next day that's coming up type of thing. Like,
dude, you said you listened to that North Dakota podcast.
I did. I
that
thought you
boy,
did a great job.
That one was memorable from just us reflecting on like that was a turning point for me, in terms of like.
That was the first time I think that you said that the camaraderie meant as much to you as the deer.
Yeah.
Oh.
That was the first time, and that's why I liked it so much.
You lasted like the last 15 minutes of that podcast?
It was like that was his ice break.
So
finally.
I went to go hunt Okeechobee all by myself. You didn't come. It's an hour, 15 minutes. Well, maybe I don't want to give away our location, but
No, it doesn't matter.
hour and 15-minute drive from our place to Okeechobee. Listened to half of it, and then I listened to the other half on the way home. The other half on the way home, I was like, fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I remember sitting here listening to him say that, and I'm like, holy shit, he got it.
We're tearing up here. Like,
Yeah.
Dude, same. I was driving home eating Taco Bell.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, holy holy shit, dude.
It could have been the fire sauce. I don't know.
like,
You may have just a little fire sauce in the eye.
Well, dude, it just takes something like that. I mean, experiencing with the right people to be like, man, this is where it's at.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Which is why I think like and I don't know how to. It's bad as it was because I don't need to buy another place. Like I was looking at cabins in like the Northwoods here in PA because it's just like
fucking wait, let's do it.
But like that, you know what I'm saying? Like if you have like a cabin in the Northwoods and like I don't know, I would get a bunch of people on it and like whether it was archery or whatever. Like I remember growing up, like I had 15 to 20 guys and kids in my deer camp.
Yeah.
Like and it was chaotic, but like I remember when everybody went hunt. And then you came back, like there was endless stories leading up to opening day. You know, and especially now on the bow season side, like, I mean, I would love 7-8 people to go out and hunt and then come back and be like, man, what'd you see? And like hear all these stories.
They're a lot like those rut nights. Like they're hard to replicate. It's hard to say, here's the ingredients that's going to make an awesome, because, you know, people dynamics and stuff. And it's like, you know, people are different places and stuff. But like when they do happen, it's just like you just embrace it, you know, and try to keep it going. Try to do it again.
We had this amazing hunt. I was hunting in New York, and I think I had a buck tag and a doe tag there.
Out of your cabin, like driving across the border?
Oh, yeah. But like I drove an hour and a half to get there. Yep. But I was hunting in New York, and Nick had called me with like 30 minutes of light left. He was hunting in Pennsylvania. And he was like, I just shot a buck. And it was a great buck. This was a few years ago. And so I'm like, oh my God, like, don't move. I'm coming home right now. I didn't care that it was like prime time to be in the woods. I was like running out of the woods. I, you know, didn't speed, but I sped home.
Sure.
And as I'm driving my way back, his brother and one of my best friends are on their way up to us.
Which is awesome.
And so the four of us together have to hike in through like, you know,
so far.
Just like a bitch of a hike
900
to get in. And
crazy.
And we like, because there was four of us, we were able to drag it out. We didn't have to quarter it.
Bad decision,
it was just like
that's a pain
funnest, silliest night. Like, we packed in, you know, some beer to as we were like dragging this deer out.
Hydration is important.
Hydration
some Mountain House.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And it was just a ball. And I look back on like videos and photos from that night, and I'm like, you can't even plan for that.
No.
It was just like such a serendipitous moment of all of those things coming together.
It's a hard thing. I mean, when you look at those kind of things, to the point earlier talking about cameramen, like I love hunting solo in a stand. I like just being me versus deer. I can control everything. Like, good thing about kids, bad thing about kids, like my kids drive me fucking crazy when we hunt. They're so loud, and I'm just looking at them like, what are you doing? Like I said to my wife the other day, my oldest and I are walking out of the woods. It was Ohio opening day. We're walking out of the woods, and I'm like, he has no idea how to walk in the woods. Like, he's so loud. I don't understand. Like, is he doing it on purpose, or is it just, like, he's just that loud? But, like, at that same point, the moment, like, there's something to enjoy or celebrate, when you don't have anybody, it's very depressing. Like, there's certain times that I've shot deer where I immediately call somebody, whether it's Jared or my dad or my wife or whatever. But if there's nobody around,
Jared's
it's like
first call. Let's be real.
My wife caught me this year. She said, "Did you call me?" She literally, when I called her, she "Did you call me first?" I said, "I called Jeremy first."
She's done that. She got mad.
Well, that same buck that I just told you about, I was like, "Oh yeah." Well, I just like assumed that he called me first, and he was like, "No, I called my brother first." And I was like,
I mean, I had watched the deer on cell cam. You better fucking call me first.
The heart knows. Just like when you kill it, you're like, "Am I going to mount this deer or whatever?" You know who's going to appreciate it the most for you. It's like
I was sitting back in Pennsylvania, like, come on.
Jeremy and I bought that farm together, and you know, and I got to call Jeremy.
Yeah.
I feel like it takes a while to get to that point, though. There's a point where it's like, I want to do it by myself.
Yep.
I don't want anybody to help me. I don't want anybody to teach me, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You're being a hard ass. And then after that, you're like, damn.
It's the pinnacle piece of it.
Shit, I'm all alone.
Yeah.
It's not as cool.
Yeah, it is the like I don't mind not share. Like if I go on hunt and I don't see anything and I come back to an empty camp or something, I don't mind that. Like I do that in Kentucky a lot. I'll go hunt and I'll come back to my camp and there's nobody there.
You're almost scouting.
Yeah, but when I succeed or I have like an awesome experience, like you had your hunt, like I have to share that with someone.
Yeah.
Even if they're not there in person, like, man, what you said is really, man, it's like I haven't ever personally experienced that, I don't think, but I've been at risk of chasing so hard after like a certain deer or a certain, objective or whatever, that if you were to achieve it and having achieved it, look and just realize you're like, I don't have any, nobody to call or nobody's here. It doesn't always have to be there in person, but man, that would be, that's.
Have you seen like, and I'm not like anybody in particular, but especially this time of year with rifle season in Pennsylvania. And I mean, we have such a rich tradition in the state, as do many others, Wisconsin, Michigan, New York. I see a lot of people talking about like, there's nobody at camp with me anymore. Like what was camp? There is no camp anymore. Like it's me driving up here by myself. Nobody goes anymore. And whether they've passed on or they just stopped, like that's depressing to me.
Yeah.
Because I remember as a kid, at 9 years old, 10 years, when I couldn't even hunt, like when I left deer camp on Tuesday after Thanksgiving, I look forward to coming back to deer camp.
Yeah.
And so like that's one thing I think today, like I try to replicate that. Like we did a little deer camp in Kentucky after Thanksgiving with the kids and stuff, but it's hard to replicate like that.
That's what I'm saying is it's hard. It's just like them rut evenings. It's hard to put, it's like you can't just manifest. It's gotta be organic. It's gotta be.
There was one a couple years ago.
We had it in North Dakota. Everywhere we go.
In 20, I think it was COVID year, 2020, when I killed that buck down on public, that like 160 class 10 point, and then we had it hanging at Kev's, and we were all kind of just hanging around drinking in the headlights. That was it.
Yeah.
That was that feeling that you try to bottle up.
I had an experience. The first mule deer I killed, I wanted to be alone. Like that was my thing at the time. 10 years ago.
Yep.
I wanted to be by myself. Killed the mule deer, did it, cried like a bitch. I'm glad nobody was there.
Yeah.
It was cool. Then it was over.
Yep.
Ever since then, I want to be a part of something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to explain it.
You want interesting.
I wanted to be by myself.
At what point? Like, where did you start? Like, from inception of the hunt, or just when you killed it?
I think I had manifested that for years. Like I was just
I want to do it by myself.
That's kind of what Donnie does, right?
I didn't want anybody to teach me shit. I didn't want anybody to tell me shit. I didn't want anybody to influence me. I went and I did it, and I was like, hell yeah. Yeah. I had help packing it out. Allie helped me pack it out.
But then it was
done.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I've been like...
We both killed mule deer on that day.
I mean, I can definitely relate. I think that's a little...
But I liked that. I'm glad I did that.
Mm-hmm.
And then something switched, and now I want to be with you. I want to be with you.
Well, I think I think there's an element of like proving to yourself that you can do it.
Hey.
Congratulations.
Right?
You're listening to our bullshit.
Right? Would you say there's an element of like wanting to prove to yourself
100%
that you can do it by yourself?
Sure.
Dude, me and you are the same guy. I mean,
yeah. Well, a lot of tip session. I can definitely relate.
I hope it's more like this is me, this is you.
There's length or girth.
Girth.
There's definitely an element. Like even now, I'm like, I don't want people telling me how to hunt necessarily. Like I'll take input from people whose like Jeremy gives you input. I value that.
We sit there and discuss it. Like we talk through what we're thinking
a lot.
or planning.
Don't I call you a lot? I'm like, hey, what should I do tonight? What do you think? Here's what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Because I want affirmation on that.
There was a period though where I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be messed with. I just wanted to be. I wanted to do my thing. I wanted to prove it to myself and probably other people subconsciously. That like, I can do this shit.
Yeah.
I don't need anybody else. Like I can figure this shit out. Then you do it and you're like, damn, that was cool.
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's okay to do it by yourself. But when it comes to like sharing it with people, it's tough, man. It's an evolution. Like because you can take it too far. Like you can, the doing it by yourself, you can take it to a point where you're like, Definitely. I'm not going to share. I'm not going to tell anybody Definitely. Anything. I'm not going to tell anybody about this deer or what I'm doing, or it's just me.
I respect that. I want something else.
Well, definitely. I mean, that leads to, because then who do you share it with?
My brother, my wife, my uncle.
Yeah.
Hopefully my nephew in 10 years. Hopefully my own kids in 10 years. I want a little more.
It's tough.
Maybe
man.
That's a dad thing. Maybe I got daddy issues.
Maybe.
You know? I don't have a dad who's done that. My dad's done fucking everything. I'm not trying to, say that he didn't do anything. Hunting wise, I didn't have that. I envy that.
Hunting wise, with your dad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I mean, every deer is different. Every year is different. Like my dad. I'll give him credit where credit's due. Like he likes to hunt. He loves to hunt. I even say that. He didn't. I mean, his love for hunting, I think, was re-inspired by my passion for hunting. So because as my dad, when I fell in love with hunting, he wanted to spend time with me. And so he, saw that as an opportunity for us to do that together. Yeah. And even out of that, I wanted to do it by myself. Like, I don't want my dad to tell me how to hunt when I'm 18 years old, right? 20 years old. Yeah. So there was definitely a time there where I felt like, not that I needed to prove myself, but it was selfish. Like, I want to kill the biggest buck, and I have the tools. I've got the trail cameras. I've got the work ethic, whatever. And fortunately, I never took that so far to where like it hurt any relationship. I mean, I was at risk. I think
I did.
I'll say at some point there was certainly at risk. Like whether it's withholding trail camera information or just whatever it is, even just the mindset of like it's just me. I killed a deer in Ohio a couple years ago. He's my only booner, gross booner. It doesn't technically exist by the book, but I was 170 class. As a 4-year-old in Ohio, my biggest, highest scoring deer to date. And that was one of those situations where I was so in pursuit of a high antlered, high scoring deer. I was by any means possible. Like I was just putting all my resources into that. Like I would step on anybody's that I needed to get it. And, fortunately I did that in a way, like it was on a neighboring property to our home farm, like where I had permission, and I got to still share that with everybody. So like I killed the deer, and then I got to bring it back to our camp with everybody, and everybody was involved. And like that, not that it's like one after the next, or that it's no, but just that situation there was like maybe
the process was secretive and it feels dirty.
But it gave me, I still had the opportunity to share it with everybody. Yeah. And so it ended good. That's why I say it's kind of at risk of like going down that road. And there are guys, I think, that just like, it's the deer above all else.
I felt that way.
I have too. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm glad I don't anymore.
Me too.
Like years ago. Like
me too.
Way gone. Yeah, it's a dirty feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not into it.
No, it's the people you share it with for sure. And like, but man, almost brings to like, what else is more spiritual or just meaningful to you as a person than like killing a deer, like achieving a goal in the woods of, and maybe it's killing a big buck or just whatever it is that you get to share with, and it's awesome that you guys do it together. And like everybody's dynamic is different, dude. Like Jeremy and I have a friendship, a business relation, like in me and our dads, and like the way just people come into your life and in and out of, like, dude, the hunting realm is like, it's special.
It 100%. Is. It's interesting.
Not to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
The deer that I killed this year, opening day rifle in PA, we walked up in this draw together, separated, 30 minutes into sunlight? Mm-hmm. So she was 300 yards this way or that way, whatever. I shot. I knew she heard my shot. Killed the buck, put the buck down. I knew she was just over the other ridge. And it like made me semi-emotional. If I was by myself, I'd be like, fuck it, kill the buck, gut it, get it out. It's all good. This was your job. This is what you wanted to do. She was just over the hill, and I was like, damn.
Yeah.
This is going to be so...
running to go see what happened.
Yeah,
I wish...
Dude, if I was alone, it would be like almost militant. It'd be like, this is the job.
100%.
Finish it, do it, tag it, blah, blah, blah. She was there. I got teared up.
100%. Dude, I wish...
And the stories we shared right there in that 30-second moment were like, her story was so different than my story.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. Nick will fix it.
The way it all combined and came back, it was,
Dude, I wish, it's like I do and I don't. It's like I wish people could experience the night that I messed it up earlier. The kid's name is Lucas. Do you guys know Lucas Psycho?
I've heard you talk about him.
For White Knuckle Production. Yeah, he's the kid that I was hunting with, and he's older than me, I guess. Kid that I hunted with in North Dakota, and his dad is just a lifer North Dakotian. Oh freaking bucks, eh?
Yeah.
And dude, just the moment that we shared when we recovered that buck was just like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's anything like that from a deer hunting standpoint that touches that for me. And it was just because it was like just the way that it happened, like the effort that we put in, the leading up to that hunt, just the way it came together, and like the relationship that we built in a short period of time, and like the effort that we put into that hunt, and the emotion that was built up, by the time I had killed this awesome deer. I mean, we just freaking celebrated for 15 minutes. Like when we recovered the deer, because I didn't know what deer I shot, right? So when we came up on it, and like Lucas, who's essentially guided me the week, is like, that's the freaking buck, dude. Like that's him, and it's his dad, who I have a lot of respect for, just as a and it's just like, man, I wish people could feel that, right? What I felt in that moment, just the disbelief that we had killed this deer, the gratitude for who I was with, and like just we're in the middle of nowhere with like these guys that I have a brief history with, but like I have a dense, it's like a meaningful relationship in a short period of time, and like it's just like that. I don't know. That's what it's all about for me moving forward. I mean, that's that emotion you saw in that podcast that we did there. That's meant a lot to me.
I wish we could do more of that here.
Yeah,
we're all right here. Mm-hmm. What are we doing? Like,
I was gonna buy a fucking deer camp in Pennsylvania yesterday.
You should.
That's what I'm saying.
You ended up way over here.
I don't know. Did I?
Also, that's crooked. You want to fix that for me? Yeah,
we're all here. Dude.
Oh, sorry. I
South
hit
Dakota,
that.
Great. Ohio.
Well, it's not about. Great. It's not all about where it's at. That is a big part of it, and that yields some of the experience. But
sure.
What do you think of Jeremy?
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're all right here. Like, what do we do? We're wasting time.
That was the weird thing.
We have a great resource in this state. We have a great resource.
Yeah, it's not that I want, I don't want it necessarily wide open, obviously, but like I would love to like have a camp structure to where, I don't know, we did this in our camp growing up. We had like 15 shares of the camp that we sold out, and
that's
it cost nothing, but it was like a pretty big. It was a house. You know what I mean?
Well, and it was adjacent to hundreds of thousands of acres.
Exactly. Like it wouldn't work with private land because we can't afford enough private land. But if you were against a giant set of public land and you had giant public land around, you could sell 15 shares of a really nice cabin to have for people to be participate in. And you'd want it to be the right 15 shareholders.
Let's cut that in half. But yeah.
Okay. So 7, 8, whatever.
Yeah.
But think about that.
See, mine. I feel the same.
Beautiful, dude. That is so cool to me.
If you bought, a $200,000 camp, right? It would cost everybody $20,000, $25,000.
Well, dude, I think it's so dependent on the relationship. I mean, yes, you can have just an exclusive deer camp relationship, but like the camps that I most enjoy, the celebrations that I was just sharing with these guys, the North Dakota recovery, and there's numerous of them, those situations. It's for me, it's a tight group.
Sure.
It's a tight group. I've not personally experienced more than 5 or 6, like in our Ohio group, but it's like just my what's the word? Introvertedness. You know, I'm inherently like, you know, too many people gives me sensory overload. Like,
Same.
went to a bar last night and did bingo night just as a part of a group, and even though situation for me, I'm like, it's too much. It's too much. But you know, 3, 4, 5, you know, the right people.
Okay, so go with Nick. This is right 7 to 8 or 9 people.
Sure.
Yeah, you're pushing it.
Yeah.
Well, but here's the thing. You're in your.
It's not necessarily number of
year.
people either. It's just how many people can you build? Can you have that with?
Well, so the two things that I think you get caught up on is number one is like we're talking about hunting public land and like dispersing from there. So it's not like we're trying to put these people on a private sector that's going to get overhunted and the pressure is going to kill it. Like,
not even a concern. No, that's not what I'm thinking about.
Okay. So, you know, I think that to your point, yes, there are certain people that would make sense. There are other people that like we probably don't know right now that would be a very cool jive and integration.
This might help. So think about when we talk about people appreciating you know, deer or whatever, you know, it's like when you share a hunt with somebody, you would just want them to appreciate it as much as you do.
Yeah.
And that takes understanding of like the effort that goes into it.
That's almost all that matters.
Right.
Yeah.
It's hard 100%. To assemble that many people who
they're out there, man.
Who have that.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
Well, I mean, we have the network to do it for sure.
It's at varying levels though, because there are plenty of people who will go to A&F, and I'm not saying this like to degrade it. They'll go to A&F, they'll kill a 2-year-old 8-point, and like that, they appreciate that hunt, that challenge, that deer as much as anything.
Yeah, you're talking to one.
I was going to say you're talking to two
of them.
Yeah, you wouldn't be that person.
Well,
right?
no, I'm not saying that. I might. I could be.
No,
but maybe if it fell outside of the rut. Because I think it does come down to like the amount of time that we have during the hunting season that you can optimize. And I could not see you wanting to hunt in Pennsylvania during the rut. So it would have to be. It would have to be like an early season camp or a late season camp. Or like,
she's right.
It's just. It's not even just the rut. It's every day. Yeah. I don't know, man. That's
until gun season. I mean, after gun season, I've kind of got this weird twist of like I'm almost in a weird way reinvigorated for the late season in Pennsylvania. It's so much harder.
So cool.
Well, dude, I'm fired up.
But it's
now.
Super cool.
Right now, I'm like, unfortunately, the weather's not looking great. Like. But
it's 60 degrees.
Dude, I'm like I'm praying for a cold front in Kansas. Like I'll turn around and drive back out there in a heartbeat.
That's kind of how I feel about Florida right now. Like we hunted Florida in
You
September.
don't have cold fronts in Florida.
No, but like
85.
I'm just hoping for a stiff breeze.
Yeah.
A northerly wind.
Somebody to hold a fan up.
We can open a window.
I know, finally. There's a second rut that happens in Florida in this late season. And so like we hunted the early season, and by the end of it, I was like, dude. Like, get me out of here. Like I was
just worn out.
Just like I was sick of hiking through the water.
Yeah, I watched you do that. I was not envious of that at all.
I was sick of not having a doe tag and only seeing does.
Why no doe tag?
So on the public land, there's only there's a specified doe season in the WMA that we hunt. It varies for different WMAs. But where we're at, there's a specified doe season that didn't open up until after we were already gone.
Interesting.
We were also hunting some private land, and on that private land, there was our friend who was managing it said no does. So there we couldn't shoot a doe, only seeing does, only seeing illegal bucks. And just hiking through the water.
So there's antler restrictions there too?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
In Florida or just in that
Florida
WMA?
taking shit
I think,
serious.
well, definitely all of Florida, and I mean, people manage private land differently, so there's like a
there's
little
some large tracts of public or of private land in Florida.
There
like,
are some
enormous
bucks in Florida. You'd be shocked.
Nah, I mean, I would.
You'd be shocked.
like up towards the Panhandle.
Yeah, definitely further north.
The further northern, the better. But there are some big bucks.
My wife technically works for the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission.
No way.
Really?
As a deer biologist.
That's sweet.
Remotely.
Wow.
From here.
Ah.
Yeah.
Does she like analyze data?
From a lot of the private landowners.
Super cool.
So that's
tell
where
her to like give us the.
Well, it's kind of weird. Like
Yeah.
like she'll have like a lot of these landowners are like 100,000 acres plus, and then they have private. Well, I don't know what they are. Private management tags, basically that are given out for collecting data and stuff.
Interesting.
And it's interesting to see, like, you know, some of these are like 250,000 acres, and like they don't kill a ton of deer off of it. Yeah. But again, some of it is like managed, a lot of managed orchards. You know, some ag, some turf ground. Like it's weird how you see kind of the intermix of the landscape on it.
Where we're at, it's pretty wet. Yep. So that's like the biggest hurdle during the deer season is it's wet season. There's a lot of water, so you have to figure out. So what do the deer do? Oh, they don't care. It's wild.
Do they bed like there?
They've got islands, palmetto heads.
So they have like actual heads. Things that keep them up and dry.
Yes, but
barely.
But yeah, barely.
I saw
when they get spooked, they're gone. They're so hard to kill.
In Kansas this year, I saw it's funny because you look at a river as like a somewhat of a barrier for us at least, and you think for the deer, you're like, oh, they're not going to just. I saw a 1.5-year-old buck and a doe. He was literally, I don't know if he was biting her tail, but they were literally like connected, swimming down the channel. From the time I saw them to the time I lost sight, they were swimming the river, not across it, like down it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was just
It is wild.
Yeah. They ain't scared.
It's a little drier during turkey season.
Not just swimming with hooves.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I mean, I feel like turkeys would have a hell of a time wading through that water.
Yeah.
Like deer, it doesn't affect.
Osceolas, interestingly, have longer legs than other subspecies.
Yeah. You got moccasins in that stuff?
Oh, yeah. I've almost stepped on one. Man. Not that that's that crazy. For people who are like real, like born and bred Florida people, like they don't, blink twice. But
really?
Oh, yeah.
When I was in Mississippi, when we would have the wet season in like December, January, which was also like the best time for hunting. Like I remember going through some of these places and I'd have to cross water to get to dry. And I'd be like, oh, look, it's like an otter. No, it was like a freaking giant cottonmouth.
Yeah. Come here, cutie.
Like giant. I was like, I'd be walking on top of that.
Yeah.
It's not. But yeah, most people are like, they're just used to it.
I love the landscape of old growth oaks with Spanish moss and then palmettos.
That's, really cool. That's
and
crazy colors.
Pinewood flats and it all coming together. It's like.
You guys have a good place to turkey hunt?
Damn.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but yeah.
It's not?
No.
Really?
Oh, no.
Extremely
It is
difficult.
very, very, very hard to kill a turkey on public land in Florida. And even on private land, it's still
Are you
difficult.
in solely Osceola area, or is there Easterns there too?
Nope. Solely Osceola. And people battle about this.
I bet.
I gotta say, I would be into like a Florida Osceola hunt.
Really? You freaking hate turkeys, dude.
I know, but
it is
Bauer and I
cool.
almost pulled the trigger on one.
The experience
is years ago.
I much prefer the turkey season there than to the deer season.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And the landscape,
February?
it's
March.
It opens like March 1st, essentially, give or take.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And there are units that you can draw. So in Florida, the only public land is wildlife management areas, WMAs.
WMA.
Yep. And they're each managed individually. So they have a set number of tags or a quota that you would need to put in for, whether you're a resident or a non-resident.
Oh, wow.
And then other areas are open.
I would
if you
assume
don't
the
draw anything,
open areas are like not great.
Oh, they're pounded.
Yeah.
Tough.
You want to draw. You want to draw.
Yeah, you want to draw.
Yeah. Wow. I'm surprised you know about that.
That's how Mississippi was.
Not many people know about that.
Yeah. A lot of our better places that were open were, I mean, you can get into stuff. Like, I mean, I killed deer on open ground, but it was tough.
Yeah.
Some of the national wildlife refuges better than the WMAs. But the draw hunt areas were like creme of, it was like hunting private land.
Limited hunters.
Sure.
Yeah.
So if you draw a tag in Florida?
Yeah, if you're just trying to go to Florida to hunt an open unit, I wouldn't expect to kill anything.
Do you kill hogs down there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What's your favorite hog recipe?
Honestly, I'm
they're
partial to
really
the diseases that hogs carry.
So you're not a big.
No, I will keep them, and I have kept them, but it's not
interesting.
Yeah, it's you got to be careful.
I know that they carry a ton of different diseases.
We've got a friend. Well, we've got friends that live there, and their dad has gotten sick. I brucellosis.
I think that's a lung disease.
Yeah, it begins with a T.
No, it's a B.
Anyways,
it doesn't matter.
Just from skinning them.
Not trichnosis.
Oh, yeah,
is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah, I was thinking.
Yeah, no,
that.
trichnosis is bear.
It was bear.
Yeah.
I think brucellosis is an airway disease, but
brucellosis is
we could just Google it.
Just blood diseases.
Regardless,
if you cut your hand,
I know that you have to have like.
But it's after you got the animal. It's after
shit.
you skin the animal. It can be just when you're handling the meat before you cook it. And it's just like you've got a higher risk with hogs than
which sucks
other animals.
because like if it was easier to kill, process, eat, like more people do it and they're already running feral.
And don't get me wrong,
place.
like they do taste good when you cook them properly.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of ways that you can cook them properly.
A pork chop.
That's freaking awesome.
I don't
God.
kill many hogs because I just don't like processing them.
A lot of people don't process them, right? I mean, they kind of just from a management standpoint shoot them and let them
Yeah,
fly.
and I struggle with that a little bit because I am very much a kind of hunter that like if I kill something, I want to eat it.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
it doesn't feel good to do
it
that.
does not feel
Right.
good to do that. But hogs are invasive, and there is another side of me that completely understands predator control in one category, but also invasive species control.
And we don't see,
and that's part of it.
Nearly that much issue on like domestic pigs and pork.
No.
From a disease standpoint.
No.
No.
I think it's been almost completely eradicated from the commercial pork industry.
Wow.
So one of our best friends manages a ton of land for Osceola turkey hunting. And if there are hogs on the land, they will eat up all the turkey eggs.
Oh yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, the invasive hogs versus the native turkey.
They're cool in their own way.
Well, yeah, I mean,
you kind of got to get rid of
it. It doesn't seem like there's been an efficient method of eradication.
There's not.
Hunting is not an efficient method.
Helicopters are pretty efficient, right?
Yeah, I mean,
they come back like overnight.
Yeah, it's saturated.
It's pretty crazy.
They can have,
Sponges
I think,
right
like
back.
4 litters a year.
Oh, it's crazy.
And in each litter, they can have like 10.
Oh,
boy, it'd be interesting to figure out a way to like process, because even like just like deer, like feeding the hungry, like think if you can go out and like smash 100 hogs and actually donate it to feed the hungry, like
I did see the coolest thing this year.
Most people don't want it.
Yeah,
I did see. I was out hunting deer, and in Florida, swamp buggies are like the thing.
Oh yeah.
What
so
are?
I was,
swamp
buggies. Have you ever seen a swamp buggy?
It's like 6
giant
pull up on swamp buggy?
tires. Giant tires.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that you can access the land through the swamp, through the water, and not get soaked or eaten by a gator.
Pretty important. And you can see up over things, right?
Yeah,
because people are hunting off of them, right?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So I saw a group go by on a swamp buggy, and it was maybe like 6 kids, had to be 21 years old or younger. And they drove by and they had a hog like on the back of the swamp buggy. And I was like, hell yeah, they shot a hog. And then as I was leaving the WMA, you have to check in any animal that you harvest right there. There's a biologist there to take all the information and the measurements and everything. And all these kids were there butchering this hog together. And I was like, that is so cool that these young kids not only are interested in coming out here and hunting, but also are willing to dig into this dirty hog, and like that's worth something. And they were all doing it together. Like they were laughing at each other, and it was awesome.
Throwing brucellosis at each other.
Exposing themselves to who knows what diseases. They're like, oh, you're going to die.
They could be playing NCAA football.
Mom's going to be so pissed you're dying.
They're having a blast.
Yeah, we're having a blast.
That is cool.
I remember I've ate wild hogs several times from Mississippi.
It's good.
Yeah.
Have
you skinned one?
And a wild boar.
No, I'm not.
Dude, skinning a hog is like, you know how when you skin a deer, you can, like, you don't even need to cut. You can just go and pull it down. With a hog, you have to cut every inch.
Just constantly.
It's like,
because they're like
it's
human.
Like
it's like flesh in a human fat cell.
All right.
They're like a combination of like a human and a raccoon. They're just that gross.
Like an inch and a half of like shield.
Oh yeah,
just like,
bro. When I used to trap raccoons and I'd be fleshing them out. Have you ever done that?
Never
done it.
Fleshing a coon.
I've never killed a
Fleshing
raccoon.
a coon. Yeah, I couldn't eat eggs for years.
Yep.
Really?
years.
That's
Yeah, it just resembled that like jiggly, slightly undercooked egg.
Wow.
Yeah. Your hog comment there.
Flushingtons will do that. That's why it was nice when they were just taking whole coons.
Well, they are. I mean, a lot like pig skin is the most comparable to human skin, right? Don't they use pigs as like?
That doesn't seem.
I know when
no,
people are like
they definitely
learning how to tattoo. I feel like they tattoo 100%
burn victims and stuff.
Yep.
Innards.
Burn victims? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know about burn
victims.
Did you
see that they've been able to transfer a pig heart into a human heart transplant, and it was successful?
Did they
Sounds like a horror movie.
Pig valves?
They still
valves?
do, yeah. And I believe insulin as well.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I want to say there's something.
Learning something new every day, Nick.
Wild.
Pigs are extremely similar to humans, and I don't know if it's DNA or if it's just skin type. No, I mean there's.
I don't know about DNA.
Yeah, maybe it's not DNA, but it's there's something that's they're like humans have the
obesity.
Maybe it's heart.
We are pretty.
Maybe it is the heart.
Anymore.
I mean, you said they transferred the heart.
Yes, they did successfully.
Maybe that's what it is, but
figured it was obesity.
All right, so what are we doing about the PA deer camp? Come on.
How about actually?
Well, you guys
have you
one.
hunted bear?
No.
Are you interested?
I mean, not
particularly.
I don't know. You would bow hunt one.
I would like from a camp.
Dude, I had one this year at 30. Season went out that day before.
Really?
I think the way I feel about them is like, to me, they're kind of like big raccoons, and I'm just kind of like
everything like a raccoon.
I'm all about killing raccoons.
No eggs, no bears.
That's fine. I just
okay.
Yeah, no, I would shoot one.
Okay. The reason why I bring it up is because bear.
Would you? Let me ask you this: would you prepare the fat for us? Like,
hell yeah!
Because that interests me. Like, if I could just run a little bear grease through my chest hair, like that, I gotta be honest. That's kind of a life. There's a deep.
Okay.
The rise
might bring the hair back.
Wow.
I don't know. It's
Yeah.
My receding hairline. Can I just rub a little bear grease on?
I've never had like really good bear meat prepared.
Yeah, me neither.
The bear that he killed 2 years ago.
I've never had
hands down the best wild game animal I've ever had.
What'd you make with it?
Exclusively ground meat, because bears do carry diseases, so you need to cook everything to at least 165.
Diseases.
I know. I mean, frankly, there's diseases to worry about with deer too, and
Sure.
elk, and all hooved wild game animals. But bears are especially.
So you grind it all.
And then you can cook anything that you would use ground beef with. You can use ground bear.
Make bear sausage.
The meat is so sweet and so mild.
I can envision like a black bear meatball.
It was my
spaghetti.
He's closing his eyes right now.
With some sort of a blackberry jam on like garlic.
Wow.
A little garlic toast on the side, huh?
Honest to God, when she's cooking deer, I know it's deer. When she cooks bear, I'm like,
yeah, in for a
bear.
treat.
Yeah.
Really?
oh yeah.
Before he killed
I
that
can
bear,
smell it from a
I was a
mile
little like, oh, like if he kills a bear, I'm way more excited about the fat. That's going to be cooler.
Did you break it down?
Yes. Well, so he butchered it in the field and then
Like
broke it down.
quarter
Yeah, because
type?
we had to pack it out. And then we butchered it together after the fact.
And
I
do you
kept
have to
all
take
the
precautions, gloves, and everything because
I
of disease?
do. I
You
do.
should.
She doesn't?
I do.
No, you should. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, he said he did, and he didn't include
Oh.
you in that.
Well, he was gutting it. I didn't gut it. He gutted it.
Okay.
And then he
I've
broke
been
it
sick
down.
enough, yeah.
Do you do something with the gallbladder? Isn't that like a rare? Like
That
a,
is.
I've heard about that.
Like don't the Chinese like?
Yes. Apparently it's a
That's
hot
in the-
commodity.
If you
Is
want
that
it,
not a
it's in
good
the-
thing to say, Nick? I
It's
don't
in
know.
the woods. I'm good. Yeah.
Isn't that
something
like
else
a?
is
Isn't that like a black market type thing?
Yes,
That's
it
what
is.
I've heard that.
I don't know though. I wouldn't even know where to go. You know what's funny? In Florida, there's this thing called palmetto berries. So palmetto is equivalent to like
Laurel.
laurel, rhododendron.
Yanny?
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Excuse me.
What the?
We got a lot of it.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Palmetto. Yeah, it's everywhere.
Palmetto.
You know. what I'm talking
And during the
Laurel, Yanny.
late summer, early fall, there are palmetto berries,
Okay.
and there's
Look like blueberry type.
they're
Bigger?
like that big,
Okay.
and you don't eat them like fresh. Apparently, they're worth value on the black market for some type of prostate health.
Oh, interesting.
Folks will like dry the berries, put them in capsules, and
Oh, yeah.
It's important for us gentlemen.
something-
Why is that black market? Why don't they just put it on
because I don't
eBay?
Probably because the big pharma doesn't
So it's a
buy into it.
So like on our property, we've got a decent amount of palmetto on our property, and we have people that approach us like every time we leave our driveway asking. This is during prime
Can we
palmetto
pick your
season.
berries?
Can we pick your berries?
All day long.
Yeah. And so
it's like
we've got some
ginseng up
friends.
here in the mountains.
We've got
So
some
annoying.
young friends they're like in college, and they were like, oh, we're picking berries this year. And we're like, okay, you guys come pick our berries. We know you. They came and picked our berries. They made like $500 from picking
Holy
our berries.
shit.
It took them like 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you ever run into people in the mountains picking for ginseng in the Appalachian Mountains?
haven't.
It's nuts.
No.
I've run into some sketchy people.
What do they
Really?
do? What do they do with ginseng?
I think it's just like a medicinal type drug.
I think it's in every energy drink
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
It's like energy drink. It's all bullshit.
Yeah, it's all kind of natural herb type stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's
There's definitely a market. They had a
it's
TV
a
show
huge
on Nat Geo about it.
it's a huge market for it. Yeah, I ran into some guys up here. They're like, I was like, hey, you guys hunting? They're like looking for that sang. I was like, cool.
You know what I'm
Let me know.
saying?
Let me know if you see any bucks back here.
Huh. That's
They
funny.
killed, so right up here, there's a place called Pine Knob. My wife runs up there all the time. It's right up on the top of the mountain. They killed an 848-pound black bear this year.
Oh, wow.
Giant.
Oh
I think I saw that
my.
picture.
Giant. Yeah.
What?
Like state record.
The HUNTR Podcast is brought to you by Muddy.
Man, Jared, we probably have been using Muddy products for at least 10 years now.
Long time, dude.
It's been a long time. And I can remember when it was simply just safety harnesses and camera arms of all things. And, you know, that's evolved to where you and I both have a bunch of Muddy box blinds as well.
I would say a bunch, but yeah, they've come a long way, and certainly the box blinds are huge. Shot that buck over your shoulder out of a Muddy box blind a couple of years ago. The harness and all of the other safety accessories really are a major component of what Muddy offers for me. You know, we've had some injuries in the past. You know, some tree stand accidents. This is all back before we were using, you know, frankly, harnesses, the lineman's belt while we're hanging stuff, and the safe lines. I have those in every single one of, you know, our fixed tree stands now, and so we really have made safety a priority. That's a big deal for us, and you know, Muddy has everything we need for that.
Yeah, and I think the cool thing about Muddy is anyone listening to the HUNTR Podcast can save 20% using the code HUNTR20. That's HUNTR20. Anything that you can see on the Muddy Outdoors store online, use that code, save yourself 20% for this hunting season.
Go Muddy. Let's circle back. Why do you ask? You'd ask
About
if we're
bear?
interested in a bear hunt or.
Okay. So yeah.
It's a camp
So bear.
You guys hunt bear up in the area?
Black bear is like an enormous tradition
Ian's
in
hunting
I don't
bear
see-
up
I don't-
there.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ian's bear
And
hunt.
it's such a communal process, and it's very rare for, frankly, anyone to shoot.
Check.
Do you think that's because
So-
of the check stations and stuff, like bringing people together?
No.
or-
No,
Just
it's
camp.
it's just it's like the I honestly
They're hard to kill.
I'm a little puzzled as to why it's such a big thing, because
Well, you can't
like,
kill them in a lot of places. So the deer thing, people talk about the deer camp disappearing because, you know, back in the day around Pittsburgh wasn't that great at deer hunting, right? So you went to the Northwoods to hunt
yeah.
deer, right?
Right. And
Well, if you think about that on a bear side, like, yeah, there are some, but there are not a lot of bears back this way. So you have to go
Yeah.
north.
There are a lot.
It's a
Yeah.
rich
They're really hard to
tradition,
kill.
and it's a lot of fun. And so it's like a little weekend where everyone goes out into the woods with their rifle, and like it's chaos. Don't get me wrong. Like
guys
you're
drive
bound
them?
to see people. No, other people do though.
We don't have
A
enough.
lot of people drive them.
Yeah.
Check
And they're
this.
successful that way.
Mm-hmm.
We saw 4 this year.
That's pretty
We
good.
did see, not during the season though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All out of season.
All out of
but
season.
Gets you pumped.
I mean, you
Mhm.
should be close though because they extend. Sorry, I mean,
Oh, I mean, they're right there.
they extended the archery season, and obviously you've got the muzzleloader season now. Like you should be in a much better position to harvest a bear in Pennsylvania. The acorn crop threw them way
They
off
are
this year
right
though.
there.
Check this out. You guys are
It's
gonna
hard.
love this. Do you know? I don't know if you've seen this either. Our buddy Paul Baker, his daughter shot a buck.
Yep.
And they didn't recover it. I don't know if. I don't know if the blood just ran out or
Yeah.
for some, they didn't recover it.
Crossbow. Mhm.
And it was like a couple weeks later or something.
Not in a bad way.
I was
I'm
gonna
just
say
saying-
you blaming it
His
on the
da-
crossbow.
no, his daughter's young.
Just daughter
She's-
Sure,
archery.
sure.
I don't know, 10, 12, something
Yeah.
like that. And they didn't recover the buck. Whatever it was, a couple weeks later, they were bear hunting, and they were going into these caves, like I don't know. I'm messing up the story probably, but they were looking in these caves for these bears. Freaking. Actually, I think what happened was they shot a bear and it ran into the cave, and they went in and they pulled it out, and guess what was in there with it?
Shut up.
Do you see this?
The buck.
Here's just the buck.
Oh, that's her. Yep. That's her with her buck.
Look at this picture. Shit, send that to Nick.
That is okay. This picture is like the
As
quintessential
PA as it gets.
bear hunting PA. Oh my God, she shot a beautiful buck
Freaking
too.
stud of a
And
buck.
look at her right there with it. Oh wow.
Yeah, monster.
That is the coolest.
Can you imagine pulling that out of the cave of the bear that you just shot?
That.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's what we do.
That's the dream. That is like the day that will live with you.
And a whole
forever
bunch
and
of guys
ever
there,
and
too.
ever.
You
Whether
can
you
see.
Yeah,
like
it's
it
the
or not.
camaraderie
Yeah,
aspect
dude,
of
whether
it.
you like it or not, that's what we do. That is
Yeah.
super
It's,
cool.
you know, one of the things that they said the other during,
super cool.
I guess,
Yeah.
the approach to bear season that I thought was really, it's kind of strange to
So
put
that
into
bear
place.
took that fucking deer down.
Absolutely.
took it in
Drug it
there.
in the den.
Yeah, drug it in.
I believe it.
They were saying that there were 15,000 bears approximately in the entire state of Pennsylvania. And so this September, I went with Emily's uncle on an elk hunt in eastern Kentucky. He drew a bull tag
Oh my
for
God,
archery.
amazing.
Yeah, and so they said that there are also 15,000 elk in eastern Kentucky, and like we ran into at least one bull, if not two, and multiple
Ohio, just the
cows,
other
right? And then I try to relate that to running into a bear in Pennsylvania, being that, you know, same population, obviously a much larger area for Pennsylvania. And it's just doesn't, like, the numbers, one of the numbers doesn't make sense. Like, I don't know if there's not 15,000 elk in Kentucky or if there's more than 15,000 bears in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just a really weird thing. And maybe it's because of what we talked about earlier, trail cameras, and like you've got observation in all these places 24/7. And that's like, well, I've got tons of bear pictures on my cameras right up here.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
You're analytical and I'm gullible.
so
it works.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're all drinking.
Yeah, it's just it's a weird thing when you kind of look at it.
Persuade anybody.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What are you ranting about over there? Sorry, we were distracted. We were like,
We were talking-
He showed me a picture of a bobcat.
I showed her the
and
video
it
of the
was
bobcat.
So
Oh, the
cool.
bobcat
Filmed the other day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
killing the baby coon.
I didn't get that.
Yeah, but she didn't
That bobcat attacked a baby raccoon a little later that night. Drug it into the corn.
Didn't make it.
That's wild.
So, sorry, what were you guys talking about?
No, we were talking about, so Pennsylvania had said that there were 15,000 bears in the state of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
When I went on that Kentucky elk hunt, I was doing research, and they said that there were 15,000 elk in Kentucky.
Okay.
You know, bless you,
Thank you.
on the eastern part. And it was weird because obviously
you.
I ran into a bull, I ran into multiple cows, and it was weird to relate like the same
There's
number.
that many bears.
Yeah, it just doesn't. It seems weird how, like, frankly, I think there would be more bears in the state of Pennsylvania than 15,000.
There's
Really?
a lot.
Well, we saw. There may have been other times I can't remember, but when we went up to the mountain and we saw those bear cubs,
Yep.
that was that was pretty wild.
Yes.
But
What
it was
time
just
of year was that?
October,
Mm-hmm.
I think. We run up and moving cameras around. We're like, there's 3 cubs running down
Yeah, up in the
That's
tree.
cool.
in the tree.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, I've seen a lot of bears. I've got a lot of pictures.
Boy, I'm
they
grateful.
just discontinued our extended season. To see where we're at used to be part of the extended bear season for rifle in Pennsylvania. They discontinued it this year.
Man, it
I don't know
seems
if many
like
people know that.
what would be the why don't I know we're kind of in favor of it here, but why don't they do a baited season for bear in Pennsylvania?
I don't know.
It's a good question.
Seems
I don't
like
know
that's a
either.
win-win.
Well,
like everybody be in favor of that.
My
But-
Spring wise?
well, so that was my question: is why, with as healthy as the bear population
Sure,
appears,
spring. Yeah.
why don't we have a spring season?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I don't know the answer to that either.
Could you hunt them
maybe.
in the spring without bait? Is it doable?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be hard.
It'd be hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd prefer a fall bear anyways, because
I've-
that's when
Sure.
they're fat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
But I mean, if you look at most of the bear seasons, Canada, Wisconsin.
the
I've
boars are
hunted spring
moving.
bear in the West before.
Yeah, a lot of spring bear hunting.
Are they like
Mhm.
rutting during the fall? Is that
Spring.
Spring is their breeding
during spring?
cycle.
Okay.
Yep. I mean, what's weird to me, and not disrespecting them, but like, you see a lot of pictures of guys killing 30, 40-pound cubs in the fall. And it's like, I get it, like a black bear running through the Laurel, but like, dude, that is a coon size.
My dog's 75 pounds, and she's too small.
Doesn't it seem weird?
Yeah.
Like I mean, I don't know. It is what it is, but like I look and it's like literally the other day I saw like Sal and 2 cubs that they killed. And I was like, it murdered the whole family. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I get the excitement of bear season and stuff, but I don't know. It's a hard thing to put like, what are you going to do with a 40-pound bear?
Yeah, it's
like, do you really feel accomplished with that?
Is that I mean, it's comparable, right, to a young buck?
It's like it'd be like shooting a fawn.
I think there's no. Yes, it would be like shooting a fawn.
People do it.
I think there's no way. For
I've done it multiple times.
Like,
knock the milk off the lip.
How could the Game Commission?
You couldn't regulate
that.
Yeah, no.
Because it's not like they're a different color when they're young. Like they have spots that fade.
Yeah, I don't see
if
color
there was
anyway,
a reasonable way to say, okay, like they need to be at least a year old, you know?
Yeah, I wish they would do that with bucks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to that point, much like an antler restriction, it used to be like, dude, if you saw a rack, you killed the deer, right? It didn't matter. Didn't have to count points. Now people have to slow down. They miss opportunity because they had to slow down. Same thing could be with a bear. It's like, listen, if you say like, hey, bear's got to be more than 50 pounds. Mm-hmm. Well, you now have to hesitate. That means you may lose success opportunities, but it also, I mean, that's just going to better the bear population, right, in the hunting experience.
It is funny. That's a whole conversation in itself. But like the expectation to assess an animal prior to shooting it, just from on the general public. I mean, have you ever seen these guys on ram hunts?
I was just gonna say mountain goats.
Boy, as an outdoorsman who I can age a deer on the hoof. I mean, I think fairly competently. Like when I watch
more competently than I would say like 99% of people.
And when I watch those guys on the ram hunts, I'm like, holy cow! Like that is. I mean, it's a serious penalty if you mess up.
Hard.
Yeah, and it's funny to just consider about how management organizations like DNRs or whoever try to impose management practice on the general public. Like, hey, I've always said that like the antler point restriction in Pennsylvania, you guys will think this is cool being from Pennsylvania. We're working on Gary Alt.
Yep. Yeah, we're gonna have Gary on.
No way.
Yeah.
Talked to him the other day when we were in Illinois, which was really cool because I don't know. I may have crossed paths with Gary before.
I know of.
Gary's the guy that instituted the antler restriction.
He was
in
the biologist
originally,
and the concurrent buck to doe seasons and stuff.
How old is he now?
70s.
Okay, so he's still good.
But very, very like I mean, he was in it. He was with it in Illinois killing bucks when we were.
That's gonna be cool.
I can't wait.
Yeah,
can't wait. Cool. Talk about a piece of Pennsylvania heritage. I mean, that's.
God, dude.
I mean, that's a guy who
been through it all.
Received death threats. His family received death threats, and like here we are 20 years later with probably the best quality of deer hunting we've ever experienced.
Ever.
Not perfect, and I'm sure that's
not perfect.
What's interesting to get into.
Because of him.
Because of him.
100%.
Solely because of him.
He put his neck on the line.
Yeah.
It was that fucking man.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
I'm going to be excited to hear what he has to say about what he went through during that time.
Me too.
And how he was reflecting on, like how he can reflect on it now.
I was in high school
that he's out of it.
when
just want to give him a hug.
When he when he was going around, he held like I don't know how many. He'll tell us like a lot of meetings, public meetings, hearings at high schools, local high schools. I went to like 3 of them. And like the outrage that you heard at those meetings was like, I mean, they wanted this dude's head on a stake. And he never wavered. He just kept saying, well, this is just what we're going to do. Well, and it was like a first. They'll be like, what? Well, like, what is this guy doing? He's changed everything. And there were people mad for a long time. And now you look at it and it's like, to the point of the big buck conversation, it's like, man, I'm not even that phased when I see a 140 or 150 inch buck killed in Pennsylvania because I'm just like, yeah, we kill a bunch of those.
Well, I think we feel some sense of like, connection to Gary. Not that we're in the position to institute something like this, but like and I want to speak for both of us, but I think we feel passionately about like the baiting situation in Ohio, and that it's kind of ruining, a lot of like what we value about the state and certainly the age class and stuff like that. And it's like, at the same time, that's stacked up against like what do people want? If you put a general poll out to your stakeholders in that situation, whether it's residents, non-residents, landowners, whoever you choose to opinions you choose to take in, what do they want? And we don't know. That poll's not been taken, but I'm open to the idea that a majority of people would want baiting because that's what we know, that's what we're comfortable with. But I think we know from a biological standpoint, just from a hunter, it's pretty clear to see that is the thing that's targeting these 3 and 4 year old bucks. That's what's keeping Ohio from being the biggest, best big buck state in the country. So I think our conversation with Gary, one thing I'm curious to hear is like, man, what do you do? How do you approach a situation that like maybe nobody wants, but that is best for the herd in a certain area?
So interesting in that, and I was in it this morning on social as much as I didn't want to be at like 6:30, but Wisconsin has.
This is why you were taking the shit.
Yes. Yeah, probably.
That's why I was an ice bath. Jeremy was jumping up with 10 pounder.
I was probably post-run having coffee.
Good for you.
Not quite on the toilet yet.
All right.
6:30 is a little early for me.
Love that.
I'm impressive. If you were patterning me as a buck, like you got me.
Here, right? Let's see if you relate to this or not. Dude, my shits are coming anyways in the morning. I rush to get a sip of coffee. Just to make sure it comes out clean.
Dude, it's the hunting season, right? It's the fact that my body, like normally, like not in hunting season, like I've got a different routine. In hunting season, I'm up early, and now my system's adjusted to it, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, we're not ready for this yet.
I'm still sleeping.
Yeah. So Wisconsin's been, a lot of the hunters in Wisconsin have really been complaining about the deer harvest and deer sightings. Now, could be
like numbers being down.
Yeah. So basically what they're looking at, similar to Illinois, is back in the early 2000s compared to where we're now, we're almost 50% down in deer harvest to the early 2000s.
In Wisconsin.
They were killing like 500,000 deer. Now they're killing like 250-ish.
Jeez.
Yeah. So significantly down. And so
what are the licensed hunters
down
numbers?
100,000 since then. But down 200,000+ deer.
Right. There's an additional factor.
2 per.
Exactly.
What?
And keep in mind, Wisconsin, you can kill a buck with a bow and a gun, and you get 6 doe tags automatically.
What percentage of the hunting population are we down?
Probably about 12%.
Okay.
Yep. And about 50% in the deer harvest numbers. So,
wow.
So something is, and I even kind of microed it down this morning. Something really happened around the 2009, 2008 timeframe. Like you saw this weird kind of drop, and I don't know what happened because I'm not from Wisconsin.
Besides the housing crash.
Yeah, exactly.
When did they reintroduce wolves?
I have no idea. Probably
we're getting complicated.
Yeah.
Let's just let Jeremy finish.
So what
it was around 2008, 2009.
Here's what I'm proposing, because Pennsylvania's been like this. Pennsylvania has thrown out numbers of like there's this many bears in the state, there's this many deer in the state, right? And I kind of, while we were talking to Yoder, I was getting this. I would love to get one of these. I would want to get, and I'm close. I might do it. I might buy one of these high-end thermal drones, right? And I would love people to let me sample their property for deer, doe, buck, like just in the late season, after season, nothing, and
that's
sample it,
data.
and then extrapolate it. Right across the state,
you saw that one, right?
To figure out
come on,
what, like, all of our data numbers right now are based on harvest data, deer vehicle collisions, like all this other shit. Like, let me go out there and actually do a sample.
Validity is shit.
Fly it over, see what's actually there, and then start to use that as actual data points. I would be interested to see in a state like Wisconsin or Pennsylvania, like, what do you actually come up with? What do you find? Because Yoder's the one who's telling us. He's like, dude, you're going to see deer.
There's a lot of guys with these thermal drones. I didn't even tell you. My parents, like, just friends of theirs, are like, hey, I bought a thermal drone. Do you want me to give you a survey? I'm like,
nuts.
Yeah. Yes.
What's the price tag on a thermal drone?
$13,000.
Okay.
$1,000.
And the Game Commission, their biologists, they're not using thermal drones?
They're going to have to. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think anybody's at this level yet. It was the same.
It'll come, but just not yet.
I wrote the Game Commission and proposed 10 years ago that they let me do a trail camera survey in the state of Pennsylvania to go in there and do giant blocks of access on different properties, to put that out there, then to do like I would a normal property for a full trail camera survey, and then come up with the numbers. What do we see? Buck to doe ratio,
we tried.
populations, etc.
You know who puts out great data, which you probably do know. Of course you know, because
Sturgis?
you love them. Well, of course, Sturgis, Penn State.
Penn State does amazing. Yeah.
Incredible. I get their emails. This year, I learned about buck movement on windy days.
They do freaking fantastic work on that.
What'd you learn?
They have collared stuff.
So I learned, this was from collared bucks that they have. So they only had, I think, 11 bucks collared. And during the week span that they were looking at, there was only 7 that gave accurate data. And what they found was the bucks were moving on higher wind days, regardless of the rain.
Yep.
Rain equals less buck movement, but if there was high enough winds, the bucks would move more.
Yep.
Yeah.
That
So I
doesn't
learned
surprise
that,
me.
and I was like
those windy days.
I was drilling it,
I'm
into
gonna
my
be that
schedule.
guy. I don't believe it.
Believe what?
I don't believe it.
You don't believe they move on windy days?
The high wind, the high rain days. No way.
I mean, I know in Kansas they do.
Well, she's saying high rain, they don't move as much.
But if you have high rain accompanied with high wind, they're more likely to move. And if you have no rain but high wind, even more likely to move.
Great study.
Yeah, I like
I
that.
appreciate it. I don't believe it.
I mean, it was 7 deer.
Anecdotal.
Yeah, it's
for
small
sure.
sample size.
Yeah, very small sample size, but cool nonetheless.
I mean,
that
absolutely.
someone is looking at the data and trying to
that's what
extrapolate anything.
Think about.
I'm not taking away
Yeah.
from anybody. That's a cool
Yeah.
study.
I get you.
Dude, think about a collar study where you guys hunt. How cool would that be? Dude, I've thought a million times on my farm, if I could collar every single buck over 3.5 years old, it's like, where the frick are you?
Well, that's what the thermal drone kind of reveals a little
We're
bit.
gonna do it.
Like,
well, dude, I'm gonna have that guy out and come do.
I'm gonna buy one.
A little survey on our place, or you can come do a follow up or whatever. But
here's a GoFundMe. Help me buy one.
Yeah.
Right
Well,
now.
dude, I mean, $13,000,
Write it off.
on
GoFundMe?
face value, that's a lot of money. But you think about how they're offering a service. It's like if you charge $500.
I don't know if I have time. I would let people use that drone to fly service over their property if they wanted to see where deer were.
$500 for every recovery of a, using a thermal service.
Oh.
And
I'm not.
$500.
You can't use it in the state of Pennsylvania.
$500 for every survey. That's so call it a.
I fly a survey for $500.
It's 25 visits, and your drone is paid for.
Yeah, which I would try to do, but I'm probably.
I know
going
it's
to
a write off, whatever.
Yeah, it's a write off.
I
I'm just
could get
saying.
behind that a lot for deer recovery.
Okay, all right.
Like that
so
idea.
here's the question. So
I lost one this year.
So here I'll pose it
in
to
Pennsylvania, and you cannot use a drone.
I'll pose
in Pennsylvania
it to
find
Allie. So
Yep.
so are we. We're for every legal means of recovering your deer is critical. If you shoot the deer, you think it's dead, recover it. So you throw up a drone, and they're gonna find it. If it's Mike Yoder's the guy, for drone deer recovery. He owns that business. If it's within 1,000 yards, they guarantee basically finding it. They'll find it. And so up until the point that you find it, it's a recovery activity. Okay. But if you find it and it's alive, now you have a decision to make about whether it's a fatal hit or not, and what you do from that point moving forward. If you if you say, okay, I'm going to go hunt that deer, I'm going to go try to put an arrow in it in its bed or whatever, to me, and I think general consensus is that's you're hunting the deer with the drone at that point.
100%.
Well, most of the drone guys, not picking on them, will say, well, once I locate that deer and say it's alive, I leave. Well, you've already told them where it's at.
Yeah.
They already know. Like, you're just basically turning a blind eye to what's happening.
And they have to.
It could be abused so bad.
Well, here's the thing. And I talked to somebody else was bitching about it because I had a deer. To the point of the single pin sight, I was set on 30, and I let a buck walk underneath me, go out, hit a scrape because it was too dark. It started to get light. I realized I wanted to shoot him. I grounded him back in. I shot him at 12 yards, but I was still on 30. So I hit high, and I was on a real steep angle. Hit high, tracked that deer for 500 plus yards, great blood, and he went into other people's property that I didn't have permission to go. So my instant reaction was, well, there's no trespassing past 100 feet. That's valid airspace.
Mm-hmm.
So fly a drone to find this deer. That way I don't have to say, hey, I need to go comb your property. I can say, hey, I know the deer's right here. Let me go get him.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do it in the state of Pennsylvania. It's illegal. The fact is anything that's illegal, an outlaw or a criminal's going to do it anyways, right? So if flying a drone, thermal drone in Pennsylvania is illegal anyways, he's still going to do it if he wants to break the law. You telling him that the law exists doesn't mean anything.
I hate the idea of hunting with a drone for animals.
Sure. And people will do
it. Very much against
people will do it, though, if it's legal in the state or not legal in the state.
Well,
I love the idea of using a drone for recovery. Sure. I don't know how you regulate that.
It's gray.
Yeah.
There is no, Mike tried to, and I love Mike, but Mike tried to tell us that it's black and white. It's not.
Yeah.
The moment you locate
messy.
that deer, if he's alive or dead, it's completely gray.
Here's the, that's tough, dude. Because
I don't know how
to me,
I saw that clip actually. You were asking him some tough questions.
To me, it's ridiculous that you wouldn't allow a drone to recover a deer. It's dumb. You should be able to throw up a drone.
I would agree.
If you see it and it's dead, great.
Agree.
And maybe maybe that's the line. Maybe that is the line. If it's dead, great.
I think I have a solution.
Yeah, but you're too late. Now that you've seen it.
What if you had to fill out your tag before that drone goes in the air? And it doesn't matter if you find that deer or not. If that deer is dead or not.
Like your deer's burnt, your tag's burnt.
You put your tag on that deer before the drone goes in the air.
I would say a lot of people
it'll make you consider
do
it for sure.
A lot of people wouldn't look for it.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the issue is that, and Jared and I talked about this the other day, is let's say without drones, right? The number of deer that then get wounded and not found, that then the person goes back and shoots another deer.
Listen to this, guys. It's a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's as many deer get killed, get wounded, and never found.
Mike said it's what out of the 11 deer, at least when we found him, he had just looked for 11 deer. Out of those 11 deer, 4 were dead. The other 7 were not.
So 40% of the hit deer got recovered.
Yep. The others were probably at some point mortally wounded. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. I mean, dude, when you start to think about gangrene and all this other stuff like that, it could be 2 months from now. It could be March and they die.
Maybe more than half.
Yeah. So a lot of them are dying, but those people who are not recovering those are going back out with a valid tag.
Yeah.
To your point, to be able to go and shoot another deer. So how many deer are really getting harvested, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So the question lies, like that ethical question is like, or where does it become hunting with a drone? It's like if you find the deer and it's alive, then what do you do with that information?
I don't mind if it's alive, but you made contact with it. I know, and of course this is like way too gray to be able to regulate, but if it's alive, but you had made contact with it your first round, then like do anything that you can to humanely, ethically finish that.
What if it's not a lethal hit?
I mean, if you made contact with that deer in any way, I think you should have you should put it down.
So that's an interesting.
I don't think it's fair to keep a deer with an arrow in its ass.
But that's moral.
Not necessarily.
That's morals versus ethics. Which is a weird.
I'll give you a situation. Yeah. So what if I hit a deer high and forward, so above the spine.
Yeah.
Okay. The deer, it's not unlikely that he beds within 1,000 yards of where I shot him, right? But it's not a lethal hit.
Yeah.
I've shot deer there and seen them the same night. They've come back chasing does. So what if I hit the deer? I don't see him come back that night. I've got some blood and a bloody arrow, and I throw a drone up and I find the deer bedded, 400 yards from there. And then I use that information to, put a stalk on him, basically, and I kill him. Then I go and I shoot him. That's hunting with a drone.
I know.
And
it's great,
that deer would have lived. That's it's so hard to make the determination of if it's a legal hit or not, and you're leaving that in the hands of just everyday people.
I know, and my wish is that you could go shoot that deer morally, absolutely. We had a deer on camera in Florida.
If he's lethally hit,
we had a deer on camera in Florida for weeks that had an arrow sticking out of him.
Yeah. Which morally makes you want to put that deer down.
He
may survive.
You think he died eventually?
Sick.
I assume he got
We haven't had him on camera, but I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, that's the unknown. Is like that deer.
But it was weeks that this animal was suffering in such a horrible way. So to the point of the conversation, though, like, can you regulate that effectively? Wow. I don't think so.
I don't think you can.
Do I wish that you could use a drone to go kill that animal?
So can I?
Absolutely.
I do.
Per this, because I think it's valid. Let me read you this, because this, as part of this whole cell cams being banned in Kentucky, they also address drones.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So prohibit the use of aircraft, drones, helicopters, airplanes for taking fish or wildlife, and use of
fish too. That's an issue in Florida.
Use of drones on WMAs and public hunting areas. So basically, it says you can't prohibit taking wildlife with fish. Or wildlife and fish with aircraft, comply with the federal law prohibiting take of aircraft to find fish or wildlife, prohibit the use of drones on any WMA or public state area, exempt the department from using it for research, exempt the use of aircraft for recovery of big game on private lands not open to public hunting, allow for authorized landowners and their agents to engage in lawful wildlife damage control activities. So basically, they're saying you can't use drones except for research on private lands not open to public. You can use them for recovery, and if they need to do wildlife damage control, which I think states it as black and white as possible.
That is pretty black and white. You know that people will abuse that
100%.
Private land aspect, but if you hope that people are good, I am very much in favor of, if you own private land, you should be allowed to do what you want on that private land. Period.
However, let me interject.
Yeah.
Things you do on private land affect a public resource that traverses private and public land.
That's the tragedy of the commons.
That's the tough thing.
Interesting.
So we talk about that with corn piles. It's like, it's my land. I should be able to put a corn pile out. But I'm heavily influencing this public resource. So it's a difficult line to draw.
It is, yeah.
And airspace is even tougher. Like,
oh God.
Yeah.
The way that they break up the ocean, I'm like,
with the international waters and state waters and stuff. It's
fish
freaking
are going
nuts.
Everywhere.
They don't know the boundaries.
Yeah. What? Wow.
Yeah, I think it becomes, well, it goes back to the whole theory of, like, if somebody said, hey, deer season's wide open. Use any weapon at any season, whatever. What I shoot on my land eventually is on your land, which is eventually on your land, right? That is the tragedy of the public common, essentially. You have to have regulation. People always say, like, they'll listen to things we'll say about regulating this or that, and they're like, oh, you want more government control. And it's like, no, dude, we don't. We're very much small government. We do not want big government control. But in the case of a public resource like deer or like redfish or like snow, you have to manage it. Otherwise, somebody's going to abuse the hell out of it to where they're not there anymore.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
But especially in the case of tools that lure a public resource into a private land where they can be just obliterated.
Well, it's no different than when, and I'm guilty of it, saying like, oh, I saw my buck or this buck or my buck, whatever. And it's like, it's not, because that deer is off my property more than it's probably on my property. But you fall victim to that thing, and unless it's inside of a high fence, like, it's the public resource.
Yeah.
And it's a tough thing for people to comprehend. There's a major battle between private landowners and public landowners in terms of that. It was funny. I heard in that same Wisconsin discussion this morning, they were talking about public land, right? And they were relating public land to other public things like public toilets, and thinking, when you go into a public toilet and somebody just destroyed that toilet, like, how does that make you feel? Like, that's what public land seems like to a lot of people nowadays. And I don't think in some cases, like if we talk about A&F or Daniel Boone National Forest where I'm at, like it's huge. There's a lot of space there. But when you start to talk about smaller WMAs or smaller state game lands and stuff, I don't know if they're necessarily wrong. You're jamming a lot of people into a small space who are going to destroy, quote unquote, that area, that property. I'm not saying that it's not their right to use it. It is.
Yeah.
But they're surely going to.
Inevitably, people are going to break the rules.
They're just going to. It can only do so much. You can't put 50 people on 50 acres.
Listen to this.
And expect every deer to survive.
We've talked about it enough that it warrants a description. The definition of the tragedy of the commons is an economic and environmental science problem where individuals have access to a shared resource and act in their own interest at the expense of other individuals. Ooh. This can result in overconsumption, underinvestment, and depletion of resources.
That's nail on the head.
Unfortunately, that describes a lot of hunters to a T.
That's the tragedy of the commons. Yeah, that's the reality that comes with a public resource, something that everybody has access to. Everybody's going to act in their own best interest, do everything they can to.
Everybody looks out for number one.
For example, everything by all legal means, any means necessary. I'm going to kill a big buck at the expense of others, and despite the availability of the resource.
Which is interesting because when you look at, and I'm not picking on them, tying it back to the Gary Alt stuff. QDMA and Quality Deer Management Association, QDM was very much the antithesis of the tragedy or in line with the tragedy of the commons, because you took very personal the deer herd, you took very personal the management and the influence on that deer herd itself to be able to, change what was actually happening. And so when a lot of these large landowners were doing that, like they were saying, well, I need to harvest 100 does because I have to change the buck to doe ratio. I have to reduce the population. I have to do this. That resource was a common resource among the public. So when you start to look at how people do this, and this is where Wisconsin, I think, has an argument. They're giving away 6 free doe tags, basically. You buy your license, you get 6 doe tags. I think that they need to start charging for those doe tags, right? That would diminish the amount of doe tags that people buy and use right away. But
increase their revenue.
If you're on 10 acres and Jared's on 30 acres and Nick's on 500 acres, you guys all have the same amount of doe tags. You may be able to shoot 6 does, but that doesn't mean that your area should support you shooting 6 does. So when you start to look at this common resource and how it's distributed amongst the landscape, that's the biggest issue that we all have. And because our regulations are laid forth on, at the smallest, a wildlife management unit like we have in Pennsylvania, at the biggest, a state level, it's not granular enough to be precise. So when it says, well, yeah, you could shoot 6 does, well, that doesn't mean that you can actually shoot. You can personally, but could you support it? Could that area support it?
Yeah.
Probably not. But there's no middle ground. It's just, here's what it is.
Well, that's education. They're the key.
You believe that though, that they actually could, if you said to the average hunter, hey, listen, I know you get 6 doe tags and I know you see a bunch of does, but you can't actually shoot 6 does. They're not going to listen to you.
Well, some people will. I mean, there's a percentage of people who will listen to, love them or hate them. The QDMA did an excellent job of educating the public about what's right.
They're also one of the most hated organizations.
Sure.
Because of the way that it came out from a, private landowner, big privileged, management aspect. Yeah,
no doubt. But there was some really valuable, just good information whatever. Whatever was the influencing content producer or organization that put out something that said that, hey, listen, for me, I can look at a browse line in a piece of woods or a food plot that's been destroyed and say hey, we probably have too many deer, and I should shoot some does. Or
they were one of the first to do that.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So at the micro level, there is organizations that have made efforts to educate the public about what they should do on their piece of property.
I think in that same breath, though, there are more people that took that as a negative to where they almost want to do the opposite of what they're saying. So, for instance, a lot of the people in Pennsylvania, when Cutie May was one of the main people that work with Gary Alt on a concurrent buck to doe.
Do you ever think people are like pissed off about the 100%. Cutie May thing? Still?
Yes. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You do?
I think so. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think this Sunday hunting fiasco in Pennsylvania is like the same group of people that are upset about the opener of gun season being moved to
Monday or
Saturday
versus Monday
are the same people that would have been upset.
Antler restrictions and concurrent buck to doe seasons. Mm-hmm. I mean, here's the craziest thing is there are people for the last 10 years, and you're going to see it here in the next year, I bet, that have been saying, hey, we need to shoot more does. We need to do a better job at balancing buck to doe ratio. We need to do a better job of keeping our populations in check with the habitat. And then next year, you're going to hear them tell you not to kill does because population, sightings, experience of hunting has decreased for them dramatically. Not saying in states like maybe Ohio or Pennsylvania, but I do think Wisconsin's definitely going to do it. Michigan, Minnesota. You're going to hear these guys say, I think we need to hit the brakes on killing does. I don't think that's necessarily correct, but I can't disagree until there's any kind of factual data out there to say that these guys are wrong. You know, why has Wisconsin gone from killing 500,000 deer a year to 250,000 when they only lost 100,000 hunters?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know how to answer
I'm still interested to know when the wolves were introduced.
Nick can look that up.
We got to look that up.
Nick, when was wolves introduced to Wisconsin?
Somebody wrote us today on Instagram. They
said,
did they? Yeah, they gave us a long spelled out like, hey, we'd love to hear you dig into the wolf thing in the northern whitetail states.
I feel like
Wisconsin.
I feel like you should find someone who's an expert on that.
There's got to be one.
Definitely in the state who could really speak on that because I think
we have a tough time with that. To be honest,
the state reps are really. You know,
because they got to be put in, and I don't think that it's that they.
Mid to late 1970s.
Wow.
Woo!
No. There's been a more recent introduction, I believe. Okay.
So here is
I mean, yeah, that's
for
a
what
long time ago.
And I mean, I know this is small, but
my lower intestines are not good.
No. So you can see. You see the drop in our harvest there? This is Wisconsin.
The red's the harvest.
Yeah,
and
that's
the blue's
total.
The hunters.
Blue is that's antler and antlerless.
Is that a stealth cam notification I saw?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, lots of them. Antler and antlerless.
Watch if I turn mine on.
But see, you see the drop, and then it's pretty consistent.
That looks
ebb and flow, but pretty consistent.
Yeah.
Like what happened? You can see the build up to the 90s, right? The build up to the 90s, then the 90s and 2000s heyday, and then what happened? Like that's, and I mean it's been pretty consistent since then.
Yeah.
So like I know a lot of guys are bitching about this year, and I'm not trying to pick on them, but there's a lot of guys bitching about this year. I think it's probably acorn related, weather related. Like
acorn and weather has been the biggest.
Yeah. Number wise, I don't see it now. In the last 13 years or whatever this is, there's for sure been a change. Something has happened.
It kind of looks like, though, that we've plateaued from the 80s is what I see. I actually see the 90s as being like a heyday.
Maybe.
When did they introduce crossbows in Wisconsin?
I don't know.
We need you. When did the crossbows get introduced? That would have been
Eberhard, right? Is he?
No, that was Michigan.
Oh, Michigan.
Yeah, I don't know when Wisconsin did it. It's interesting to see that.
You would think that deer numbers would go up with crossbows.
Deer harvest numbers?
Yeah.
They don't, actually. They stay about the same.
They get displaced from gun season.
You know what crossbows cause? Access issues.
Yes.
Tell me more.
Because you have a lot more people in the woods.
2014.
Yeah, guys. 2014,
Close.
They reintroduced wolves into Wisconsin.
No, crossbows.
No, it's crossbows.
Crossbows in Wisconsin? 2013,
crossbows.
2014?
Wolves with crossbows?
Listen, I want to ride a wolf's back with a crossbow.
No, he's right though. The access thing is a big thing. So those guys.
Yeah, wait. Tell me more about what do you mean about crossbows and access?
So primarily, most of the people who shot crossbows or adapted to crossbows were gun hunters.
Absolutely.
For the most part.
Yep. Small season.
Makes sense.
Right. Short season.
Yep.
So when you had
it's not new hunters.
Right.
It's just gun hunters
hunting early.
that hunted 3 days traditionally now hunt 3 months.
Yep.
3 weeks, 3 months.
If you had 3 to 10 days to hunt in Pennsylvania because you were a gun hunter, you probably weren't going to spend $3,000 to $4,000 on a lease because you only had 3 to 10 days to hunt. But now I say,
let alone buy a property to hunt.
Yep. Now I say you have 3 months to hunt because you can use a crossbow.
That's generous too. Let's even call it a
Wow.
full season. Full season.
So you guys are saying that the prices of private land leases have increased due
and
to
even private property,
crossbow
100%.
act. Wow.
Indirectly.
Yeah, 100%.
It's an indirect relationship.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's literally that right there. It's like, okay. So
but you don't think that has increased with the same housing market that we've seen increase exponentially over the years? Like land prices have gone up so
every
significantly that if someone was looking to buy a property today compared to 30 years ago, that price is
undoubtedly
different.
Yeah, there's an element of inflation too, and just general civilization.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But specifically the access side of things. Like, so even 10 or 15 years ago, access wasn't as big of an issue in many states, even including Pennsylvania, because if you were only able to gun hunt, like if you weren't a vertical bow guy, you had 2 weeks to hunt. So you probably weren't going to pay some landowner to lease their property to only hunt 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, frankly, there was no need.
There was no need.
Didn't matter. There was no
wide
property
open.
lines were vague. I mean, they were just you go wherever you want.
But the moment that a crossbow came into legalization, now it's like, okay, well, if I buy a crossbow, I can hunt 2-3 months. I might as well lock up this property.
Wow. And along with that, and along with industry pressure and stuff, it's like I might even be able to target a specific deer or a certain, class of deer. So like maybe I ought to lock up this piece of land here. I can tie this down. I can buy it or I can lace it and I can hunt it for a reasonable amount of time to be able to achieve something like that. So I think undoubtedly it's, the crossbow integration has driven up recreational property market values.
I don't see it like that. I see it as more like social media and the opportunity to see what's available. Like, it's wild to be someone who grew up in Pennsylvania in the 60s and to be someone that grew up in Pennsylvania in the 2000s. Like, that kid from the 2000s can look on social media and be like, dude, look at what I'm missing out on.
So when you say see what's available, what do you mean
100%.
there?
I mean in terms of quality of deer.
Yeah.
Because of trail cameras?
Yeah.
No, just
social media.
No,
we see
just
what's
from
getting
social
killed
media.
in the Midwest.
Yeah, be like, dude, look at what these other people are killing, and
100%.
like, look, like this is what's here.
Well, dude, that's
And then
why we
people
buy
wanna
land in the Midwest.
travel.
We're like, we see what's getting killed out there.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and I don't say it from so much of a negative viewpoint as like we're all human and we all think this way, and it's just inevitable. I think social media is what has like
no doubt.
it's the same way with vacationing. It's the same thing. Like, there are
We know about shit now.
There used to be spots that were like untouched.
Oh yeah, like you wanted to go to the Mykonos.
Speaking of spots, freaking, you want to talk about Onyx mapping softwares,
dude?
Anything, social media, anything that's shed light on in our
other-
podcast. I mean, we're guilty of shedding light on
Absolutely, me too.
opportunities that exist, but the reality is like it's gonna come out. No matter what, the world's getting smaller. We have more information every day. We have the ability to like sell cameras, Onyx. Like, we have the tools. We have the resources. We can go to where the big bucks are and we can kill them.
Yes, it's like an unfortunate reality that eventually the places that are the best, just like, I don't know, if you're making cheese, like, stuff is gonna float to the surface and you're gonna see what the good stuff is, and everyone is going to take advantage of that, whether it is for hunting or vacationing or where you want to buy a home or your second home or whatever it is.
Well, that's
like,
the mystique.
we all are seeing that now.
Yeah, that's the mystique that I think is missing, and just wrap it back into the hunting side. Like, I love trail cameras, but it is taken away in social media. It has expedited that, has taken away the mystique of what's out there. You know, when you walked out into a piece of woods and you found a big rub and you were just like, I don't know. I don't know what made
Here's
this.
my thing, Jeremy, with the cameras. It's like, I just think that it's out of the bag.
I know it is.
You know, like,
well, I mean, states are pulling it back though. They're doing it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, they are, you know, but
I mean, what does it hurt to get rid of it is my question.
Oh, it hurts a lot. I mean,
why?
It hurts.
How does it hurt you? Show me on the doll.
I mean, I think the two main things that the two main things that as a hunter I would
I'm not going to stop you from using it in the off season for management. Just purely during the season and 30 days up to.
Yeah, the two main things as a hunter that I would contest from getting rid of trail cameras or cellular cameras. I mean, they're essentially one and the same depending on how you use them.
Yep.
Is you know, I don't know, not necessarily in this order, but like number one, I would say is like the management tool.
Meaning you want to try to kill the buck in older age classes.
Yep. Yeah, the ability to know
just
what's
pass
there.
Them.
The ability to know what's there and to target a specific animal.
So if you just kept passing and maybe there's never a 5-year-old.
That's exactly my point. That's
then
what I'm
you just
saying.
don't shoot a buck.
Well, right. Well, and it determines where you hunt and stuff, right? So
right now it does.
You see my point, though.
I get you.
Yeah. So as a management tool, not only from the age class of buck that I shoot, but also buck to doe ratio,
Sure.
just understanding of the herd.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's value that would be lost in getting rid of trail cameras there for sure. Number two is I think the joy element of it. You know, the ability for us to say, dude, look who just showed up on camera.
Yep.
Right there. Oh, there he is.
There's an excitement.
There
about
he
that.
is. Check him out. Hey, we better head to Illinois.
Yep.
I think at face value, those are the two things that, like, from hunting as a hunter, those are the things that, like, I don't want to give up.
I think we could do without.
Hey, Nick, before you sit down, shut those, if you don't mind.
I think we could do without those.
Yeah, fair enough, and maybe we can.
I mean, I get the idea. I get the idea of, like, let's say there are no cameras.
How much fun is this? Isn't this great?
I go out on a piece of property.
I love this.
Right? Yeah. I hunt every day. I'm passing 4-year-olds because I'm waiting for a 5-year-old.
You're passing 4-year-olds?
There is no 5-year-old. He doesn't exist. So I don't shoot a buck. So all those 4-year-olds that I passed make it till next year, in theory. Mm-hmm. That's reality. That's hunting. Mm-hmm. If I chose to kill a buck, I kill one of the 4-year-olds. I kill whatever that comes by. I don't think that it necessarily affects. If anything, I think it comes back to the element of, like, I've got to hunt. I got to go out and find scrapes and find rubs and set up a tree stand, and I can't sit on my couch and say, you know what, nothing tonight.
Not to get too deep, but I feel like a lot of the mystique of life has been lost because of the advent of the internet. Like, I know in theory what it's like to do a lot of different things because I can see it and experience it through this digital landscape. And I think hunting is an especially vulnerable thing because of what a real experience it is.
Allie, wouldn't it be? Can you imagine? Like, can you put us back? We've all had enough drinks here to imagine. Like, put ourselves in a time frame where, like, you heard about a big buck that got killed, like, in your state.
You're talking about my, like, high school career
from a newspaper.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and other than that, like, we didn't know. It's just us here talking, and it's just like from what we saw from spotlighting or from friends that have talked about, or like,
there's a really cool atmosphere around that.
Yeah, literally last night I was driving from Nick's parents' house to my parents' house, and I saw a beautiful buck run across the street. It's not in an area anywhere near anywhere that you could hunt, but I was so, like, awestruck.
You're like, whoa.
Yes.
That thing's out there.
That it exists.
Yeah.
And I could imagine if I had never seen anything like that before on the internet, like, the moment was crazy, even like as it is.
Sure.
But I could imagine I would be like, that was the most insane thing I've ever seen walk this planet.
Well, so CJ Anderson brought in this 240-inch typical, Alexander brings in this 240.
I wish you guys could have seen this buck.
It was amazing.
I saw it on the internet with you guys holding it,
out.
passing it around.
Look at all these scratch marks on our table.
Yeah, that's from it. As crazy as
he was from here
to here. Yeah, as crazy as it seems,
biggest
right?
deer you've ever seen in your life.
You're still amazed by this animal. There's still a piece of desensitized big buck feeling that happens though. Like those deer did not exist in most people's minds 20 years ago.
Are you guys with me? Like on that mindset of like, dude, if we could go back 30 years before social media and just think about the nostalgia of like,
I'm not anti-trail camera by any means, right? I'm just trying to find some of the excitement and surprise and nostalgia a little bit. And honestly, I think more people would enjoy going out and sitting in a tree stand not knowing what's about to come up over the hill than being disappointed at the end of the night that it didn't come up over the hill, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
it's like,
there's also some weird state-to-state comparison because again, if you're a guy in Pennsylvania and you've never known anything else, you're going to be really excited by what you see. But if you're a guy in Kansas...
Yeah.
Well,
you wouldn't be impressed by what you see in Pennsylvania.
You probably would not be.
Well, and not only that, but like as people who have trail cameras, people who have access to this information, it's like, how do you go back? It's like, that's what I'm saying about the genie out of the bottle. It's just like, how do you... It doesn't seem possible to go back.
I know. I don't know how you do it. Besides, and that's why
we can reflect.
I respect Kentucky saying that they're going to ban cell cameras on public land, but I think if you're going to do it, you got to go full bore. Like every camera is gone.
Well, there's private landowner rights though. I mean,
I agree. To Allie's point, I think you should be able to do everything. But what happens when it affects the public resource?
Yeah, that is a fine line.
I don't know.
Oh, it's tough, dude. I think Jeremy and I argued to a degree about like.
So it makes it fun.
I don't think you can from a trail camera standpoint. I don't think you can legislate that somebody can't run cameras on their property. I think that's their right to do it. I don't think
it would be difficult.
I don't think it influences the public resource to a point that it's arguable.
I think it's one of the draws of owning private land. And I think it's
to be
able to run cameras. And in a way, I think it's an incentive to like work harder to that goal. And of course I understand that's not available for everyone, including someone like myself. Like I don't own any private land.
See, but
I feel like you should be able to run cameras on your private land.
Here's the deeper conversation because we're just coming off of the baiting. It's the baiting thing. Like we're talking about
in Ohio,
Florida. You can't bait in Florida, right?
Oh no, you can't.
Yeah.
So no, you can.
Yeah.
Oh really?
On private land.
On private land.
Okay. So in Florida, in Ohio, you can too. And
in Kentucky, and Kansas.
And Kansas.
Yep.
So when we talk about things that influence the movement of a public resource, cameras, it's like, it might influence it to a degree that you can monitor it and make it a movement based off of it. But a corn pile is that. I mean, they're coming. They're coming to it.
I've hunted in Kentucky before over corn. I haven't killed anything, but I was very put off by the experience. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And now that I'm in Florida is allowing baiting on private land.
It's glowing around you.
I just don't like it. And I do it when I hunt in Florida on private land. I'm not sitting on top of corn, but I am near corn.
Yep. Let me tell you this. You're making a mistake not sitting on top of it.
No, see, but
because I'm telling you, like we talked about this on the last podcast, they're coming to the corn, and it's conditional. It depends on the condition. It depends on the time of year and stuff. But like they're coming.
I don't. You know what's weird is like so when I hunted in Kentucky over corn, I very and was around the people that live there. I very much was like, I do not mind that this is available for you to do. If this is what this state wants, and like you collectively as a people, you want this, like I support you that you want this.
Sure.
And diseases like CWD and other things are another arena that I do think need to be looked at very, very seriously.
They'll be the ones that shut down corn.
But
baiting at some point.
But if like, if we're under the understanding that things are okay and baiting is legally allowed, I support you doing that.
Sure.
But
I've
said to Nick so many times, I'm like, I'm so thankful Pennsylvania doesn't do that.
I agree.
Because my experience is so rich and so special, and it would be tainted if I was in a state that allowed baiting. Now I'm in Florida, and it's an ick for me.
Yeah.
I wish that wasn't.
Well, here's what it does. It's like over a period of time, what's the word? It infiltrates, or it just
it's a distribution of the wealth is how we've related it in the past.
But it gets to a point like over time where baiting and crossbows are not new to Ohio. Okay, as long as I have been alive, these things have been legal. They're paired with the increase in technology, like cell cameras, better crossbows, better rifles. Over time, it gets to a point where it's like it just seems like that is what the deer are doing. Like they're going from corn pile to corn pile to corn pile. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, man, I just want to hunt a deer on a natural movement. I want to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I had a guy,
I feel that so strong.
Yeah, there's a good friend of mine that hunts. He owns like 1,000 acres or more. And he said something to me that like it just hit me pretty hard this season. He's like, man, I just want to teach my son how to deer hunt. And I can't, because all of the properties around us are getting baited so heavily that these deer are just...
So all he can teach him how to do is fill his
The
fears.
movement is so influenced. I feel dumb for not dumping a corn pile. And I'm like, dude, you're not dumb. It's just we have an issue here, like at a state level. And it's unfortunate. It's a bummer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's delicate because, again, like I do feel very strongly that I don't like telling people what they should or shouldn't do.
I'm not going to.
And I think if there are states that want that and enjoy that, I support that happening.
Let me ask you this, Allie.
I just don't want it for me personally.
Who do you think should have a say in that? Is it the landowners in the state? Is it
I think it's
all of the hunters in the state? Is it the non-residents that buy tags in the state?
I definitely don't think that land ownership should increase your vote in what happens in the state.
Really?
Yes. I think it's a combination.
Regardless of residency or non-residency?
No. So I think that it boils down to the Game Commission and the biologist and what is truly happening with the wildlife that's there. And then the residents of that state, regardless of what land they do or do not own.
So residents.
Residents, yes. I personally
agree.
Very much support resident favor in every single state.
Me too.
And I know this is a hot topic in Western states with elk and mule deer and antelope, and I am always in favor of the residents that live in said state. And I think it should always be that way.
I agree.
I think there should be more opportunities for residents and non-residents, and states should make their dollar on non-residents. And so I support that. I think you should hunt in the state that you live in, which I'm sorry, I know you don't. But
it's all right.
So
I would if the opportunity existed.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
think it's the
earlier,
biologists,
right?
in the residents.
You heard us earlier that 57% of the dollars in Ohio from a license standpoint are made from non-residents.
I would bet that
more than half.
It's that way in many Western states as well.
Sure.
So for a single elk tag in like Wyoming, for example, one resident is like only a 1/10 of a non-resident.
That makes
sense.
So
you need, and there's only 500,000 people in the whole state.
Yeah.
So they're making most of their money on non-residents as well.
Yep. Makes sense.
Yeah. that continues on. But yeah, I'm in favor of residents, and I'm in favor of science, and I would hope that the biologists are doing something that is sound to have the right data to support things. Because I recognize that this is a renewable resource that is only available if we take care of it. And it has, without a doubt, been messed up in the past. And if
whose responsibility is that to take care of it?
It's the people who are using the land. That's all of us.
And the unfortunate thing there is those people don't necessarily have the say most of the
Well,
time.
we're limited to the state's limitations.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Like
the
in the
state.
state of Pennsylvania, we're okay because our game commission manages most of it. But in a state like Ohio or Illinois or any of these guys that are DNRs that go up to the legislature, it's the legislature that makes the decisions.
And that's unfortunate.
Every state's different. Like we just talked to Mike Rex on the last podcast. So, Ohio's unique in that they have a board that's like it's just like a general email inquiry that they can like field and be like, oh, this is an issue. And we promoted to people on the last podcast that people reach out to, Mike Rex's group to, speak on behalf of, hey, we want this, and they vote on it. There's 8 people appointed by the governor. They vote on it.
They're the decision makers ultimately.
And in a lot of states, it's I don't know if it's exactly the same, but it basically takes a solicitor or like a
lobbyist.
A lobbyist. Like you'd pay for a lobbyist to go in and advocate on your behalf of a group to say, hey, we want this.
So here's a good example because we've talked about it and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but Kentucky's obviously doing it. Trail cameras. If we wanted trail cameras to be banned in the state of Pennsylvania during hunting season, right? Ultimately, there would be a lobbyist from trail camera manufacturers who would then counter that argument at the legislature level.
Absolutely.
Because it would have to be put into law in order to be applied by the Game Commission. So when you get into these different, and crossbows has been the big one, and I'm not picking on them, but there's been multiple lobbyists, and it sounds like, and I don't know this for a fact, but from everybody we've talked to, it sounds like Raven has been the biggest advocate of it, that they pay for a crossbow lobbyist to go to different states to open crossbows in that state. Well, it makes perfect sense, right? Because if
they're like, Raven, well, increase your revenue.
Yeah, if Raven pays $100,000 to the lobbyist, but it opens up the state to crossbows, they may make $100 million off of that. It sounds crazy, but that's the reality of this thing, right?
Absolutely.
So understandably, there are certain people on the offense, crossbows, there's certain people on the defense, trail cameras, in this lobbyist scenario that comes through. Where it becomes tough is that there are a lot of companies that are trying to promote that from a lobbyist standpoint, but on the biological side, right? Those biologists have very little voice in many of these places. They are the experts. They're the ones.
It's so crazy because to me, their voice is like
they're the
loudest.
They should be the loudest.
Yeah.
But when they do the recommendation, it goes to commissions and or legislatures to then test their constituents to determine where they're going to vote. To me, that's the craziest thing ever. Like, that's the one reason that Pennsylvania doesn't have complete Sunday hunting, right? Every, 40, 45, 46 states in the nation have Sunday hunting. Pennsylvania is one of the ones who has it because the state legislature says, well, farmers say this, churchgoers say this, and it's like, okay, cool. They don't have to hunt if they don't want to. Why can I not hunt? So when you have these other stakeholders involved, it's where things get really difficult. And because deer is a very passionate public thing, hunting is a very passionate public thing, land ownership is a very passionate public thing, you have these multiple stakeholders that clash, very difficult. And it's weird because we hear a guy like Mike Rex, who was in Ohio. I've heard other people talk about, well, if we lose hunters, hunting is threatened. On the other side of it, it seems very firm that like there are anti-hunters, But like at the end of the day, hunting is not threatened. Our lifestyle is not threatened.
It's kind of ambiguous. It's like, who's the threat? It's like,
I feel like there's probably a sweet spot that is kind of ambiguous. Like we don't exactly know what that number is, but clearly there would be a number of too many hunters that it would not
we're close, I think.
It would not fit with the amount of wildlife that we have.
well,
and then on
it's
the
not going that
inverse-
way though. It's going.
Yeah,
They claim they claim it, so we don't have enough hunters.
Well, but
It has
it's
been on the decline.
because it is
yeah.
fact. Been on the decline. We have too many hunters, but it's because access has decreased. So we're taking less hunters, but there's more hunters on
Less
public land and things like
acres.
that. Yes, because of leasing and because of recreational buying.
Crossbows.
So
Okay, so wait, do you guys support crossbows for first-time
Yes.
hunters?
I do.
Yeah.
Do you support crossbows for those over 60?
Yes.
Sure.
Do you support crossbows for those between ages 20 and 60?
No.
Well,
Not
it
if
depends
they're-
on their
Not if they're
physical
able.
situation.
Not if they're able-bodied.
So for disabled, yes. For
Not for able-bodied.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I would be in favor of a crossbow license that is valid for the first 2 years you buy a license.
Ooh.
Not
That's
not
to
kids.
answer your
Kid-
first time
Yeah, separate from kids.
as a
Like,
transitional
if you're-
weapon into hunting.
Yep. If
Sure.
you're
If you're 18
12,
years and older.
Yeah.
Sure.
If you're 12
At
to
any age.
17, whatever, the youth license.
If
I
you're
think
36 and it's your first year hunting and you want to try it with a
completely
crossbow,
in favor.
completely in favor.
But after 2 years, you can't buy that license. Once you buy 2 years of licenses,
So
it's
the
gone.
guy who, let's say your dad,
Mm-hmm.
59 years old.
Mhm.
59 is probably a bad example. 55 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Can't draw a compound bow back.
He goes to his doctor and gets a permit.
Definitely a crossbow.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Because he's not an able-bodied man.
The ability to draw a bow shouldn't keep anybody out of the archery season.
Correct. If I blow my
Yeah.
rotator cuff tomorrow,
Yeah.
I'll shoot a crossbow.
His dad, we were trying to talk his dad into
My
shooting
dad
a
has
crossbow this year.
stage 4 prostate cancer.
Has for multiple
Has-
years.
And
How's
and
he doing?
good.
Yeah, he's
Good.
doing all right.
What's
doing
his
good.
treatment like?
He's out of it now. He went through both chemo.
Still taking hormone stuff, right?
Yeah, he's got hormones every
That's
3
the-
months, which
that's the
really,
main thing.
yeah, it really messes with him. But because what was he saying? Like a normal testosterone was like, I don't know, 250
He has
or
no
something.
testosterone, none.
It's like 7. So like
His natural. So he's on like TRT.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, his thing was he
Good.
can't, he's worried about climbing tree stand. He's like, I'm concerned about my strength levels to be able to climb a tree
His
stand.
strength is down. His weight is
So
up.
we're like, okay, hunt a ground blind. And he's like, well, I can't draw a bow in my ground blind. I can't draw it. I'm like, okay, well, you need to shoot a crossbow. And he's like,
Yeah.
I'm not a bitch. So
Or get him a bigger blind.
He won't shoot a crossbow. He won't do it.
he's just not into it.
And of the guys that
Because
I'm
he's
like,
a hard ass.
hey,
He's
this
tough, you know?
this person is like, dude, you're the one who can shoot a crossbow. You check all the boxes. Won't do it.
How did I describe it? He's like,
so much love and respect, but also
Stubborn as fuck.
stubborn. Yeah.
Yeah. He basically.
he's like, we're like, dude, you can use the N-word. You're one of them. Like as from a crossbow standpoint,
he said something like,
you're allowed. You can say it.
He's like, what did he say about his boobs or something? He was like, he's like, I'm growing boobs. He's like, it's better than the alternative. I was like, a vagina?
Yeah. He meant
Shoot a crossbow.
shoot a crossbow. We're like, yeah, right.
We get it. Yeah, same one and the
A
same.
vagina.
But yeah, so to that point though, kids, 100%. I mean, my kids have killed. Well, I guess Carter hasn't. Harlan's killed 2 bucks with a crossbow, and it's awesome. It's easy entry for them.
Yeah,
It's so cool for them to be out. I mean, if I was back as a 7-8-year-old kid and I could use, absolutely.
Yeah.
So completely in favor of kids using a crossbow. Completely in favor of anybody who's bought a license. The first 2 years, they have a license on record. I don't care what age you are. Crossbow.
Pretty
Yeah.
simple to put it as
And
a
then-
transitional weapon.
Yes, I would
Yeah.
say whatever.
In or out of
60
hunting
That's
or
what got me into hunting.
Crossbow?
Yes, I wasn't familiar with firearms. Like, did not grow
They're
up
scary
around
for
them.
people.
Yeah, just didn't grow up around them, so wasn't
Sure.
comfortable with one. Didn't grow up in the hunting
Yeah.
world, so like that was new to me as it
Yeah.
is. And Nick had hunted his first few seasons with a crossbow and then gifted me his crossbow to be able to hunt my first season with. And that was so easy.
It's freaking perfect.
To be like, okay, I'm comfortable with
I've
this.
got to say, I honestly almost prefer it to starting with a compound. Almost.
Oh, yeah.
Dude,
compound is
100%.
very, very
also,
difficult.
think of how many deer people would wound
Well, listen,
on their first
Corey is a
couple
perfect
years.
example of like somebody who who wounded deer, of who missed deer, who had negative experiences, for him and for the animal that maybe could have been remedied by something that was a quick, like it was a more effective killing tool. It was like an easier, it required less experience.
And make it nominal in terms of like if I made you as a first time crossbow hunter buy a license, it would be whatever $10. I make $10, something super nominal in terms of it. I mean, hell, they charge what is it, $25 or $26 for a pheasant stamp now in Pennsylvania?
Yes,
It's ridiculous. So $10.
It's ridiculous.
I think it's $26.
Yeah, $10. You buy a crossbow
But think of that.
stamp.
You shoot 3 birds, it's $10 a bird.
And after the second license that you buy in the state of Pennsylvania, then it's not an option anymore. Can't do it. Doesn't exist. It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Because after 2 years, if you can't kill a deer with a crossbow, you need to proceed to the next level anyways.
Yeah. I feel like that's a good amount of time for
But
someone
the
to
excuse is-
listen, this differentiation is important. It's not because we're purists, like, it
We
should
hear
only
that
be
a lot.
bows. It's not because too many deer are getting killed necessarily. I don't think any more
No.
deer are getting
I
killed.
want you to evolve.
It's an access issue.
Yeah.
Because of crossbows, you have in the case of Ohio, you have 70% more people in the woods during the archery season.
In Pennsylvania, it's 50%.
Hunting woods that would have otherwise been vacant. And so that's driving property values, that's driving leasing prices, that's driving
How do you
lack
think
of permission.
the Tradbo folks feel?
They feel completely raped
Well,
over at this
listen.
Because imagine them listening to this conversation being like,
Well, they
compound bows
heard it in
ruined
compounds.
everything.
No doubt. No doubt in my mind.
From a purity
because
standpoint.
that's a much bigger jump from a trad bow to a compound bow
Absolutely.
than from a compound bow to a crossbow.
No doubt.
Like the guys who were hunting traditional archery when compound bows got introduced,
Insane.
and now they are so into the woven fabric of hunters, like those guys got screwed.
And it's a small number, right? The number of trad guys out there is very small.
Their voice wasn't loud enough.
I wounded a deer this year with trad because I really wanted to just shoot recurve. I just was focused on it, and I shot high and put one in the shoulder, and I didn't recover.
The difference is
It's tough.
Was that the first year that you had shot with a recurve?
Since I was 13 or 14. Yeah.
I
I practiced all last year. I did hunt with it last year. I didn't shoot at anything last year.
The HUNTR Podcast is brought to you by Hoyt Archery.
Oh, dude, it's almost fall. You and I are both going to be in a tree stand with brand new Hoyt bows. We're going to be shooting the RX-7 carbon bow this year. I know Hoyt's also got the Venoms out, both equally smooth shooting, quiet bows.
Heck yeah, man. And we got a convert on our hands this year. We got a lifelong crossbow guy with a vertical bow in his hands for maybe the first time ever, a good friend of mine. And we got him all decked out with the inline accessories from the QAD integrated Ultra Rest to the quiver. And also he's got the SL sidebar mount with a couple of stabilizers from Hoyt as well. So that's going to be a sick shooting bow.
Yeah, and Hoyt's been cool enough that anyone listening to this can save 20% on any of the soft good apparels online using the code HUNTR, HUNTR, no E. And if you want to look at the latest lineup of Hoyt bows, check out your local Hoyt dealer.
Get serious? Get Hoyt. Dude, we love you
Beautiful.
guys.
That's
yeah, for real.
beautiful.
This is awesome to have you back in studio. A lot of fun.
So we should plan mule deer for 2024.
North Dakota. Do you guys have points?
No.
No. So here's the thing.
So we can't with no points.
Well, no. You can. We would have
We've
to put in as
drawn
a
with
group.
no points.
We would have to put
in
in a
North
group,
Dakota-
and they draw the lowest. They
Or the median.
We
like
don't
they
know.
average
We
it.
don't know if they go if that's the lowest or the highest amount.
I
of
thought they
points.
may put all of us in for points. So if we do it as a group, then I think they would put Jared and I in twice and you guys in once. I think. Because I think they're weird about it.
Do you guys work with Huntin' Fool?
Who?
No.
Huntin' Fool?
No.
We work with them. It might be
heard of
worth
it. Yeah.
might be worth talking.
Is that a draw?
I could talk to them about it. They're a service. They're phenomenal.
Really good.
Really, really good.
Okay.
They're super woven into every single state's draw system.
Yeah,
and
we've
they
heard
know
of
the
them.
ins and outs.
Don't wait. Call them tomorrow.
I could call them and see what the deal for
It'd be cool.
North Dakota would be.
We not saying it's the best spot in North Dakota. We have a spot that's
You guys,
really good.
We would have so much fun.
We have a really good spot. We park a
Have
fifth
you ever
wheel.
been on a spot and stock hunt? Just period.
Antelope. Yeah.
Yeah, and mule
antelope.
deer and
That's dumb. I shot a goat too.
Yeah.
and elk.
We have a place that we park a fifth wheel, and then we have expansive badlands, like right at our fingertips, and it's fun as
That'd be
hell.
so much fun. Are you guys? Man, there is part of me that wants to have a film. I want to give that to people.
I would film for YouTube, but
Yeah.
But I don't like the I'm hunting with somebody filming me
Yeah,
at
I
the
get
time.
that. We've talked about
Say
it
that again?
numerous times.
I said I don't like I don't love the idea of somebody filming me with it not being Nick. Cuz that's
Yeah,
fun to
I
hunt
get
with
it.
him, but I don't want to hunt
I
with
get
some
it. I get it. I
random
get it.
person.
Yeah, I don't know how we would address that. I mean, we've talked about having
I wish.
that tool.
How
It's
have you ever seen a film that captured what we're talking? I mean, what we're talking about.
I don't know if you can. It literally would have to be
You know
running,
who
not
could-
24/7, but it'd have to be running 17, 18 hours
I have
a
to
day.
go. It's 7:00.
Okay.
But it would be
Sorry.
cool to
Alright.
do that stuff.
Your brother
I've-
just called me.
Did he?
Yeah.
It's because my phone's on Do Not Disturb.
Let's
All right.
I
let's,
gotta
let's
We'll
do,
wrap
like-
it.
Let's do 5 minutes.
No,
of,
we'll
like,
wrap it.
No.
Seriousness, and then
Okay, we'll
Super
wrap it.
cereal. Yep.
So,
there you go.
Syria. So North Dakota, possibility.
For
We'll
sure.
look at it.
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay.
And
Call Hunt Full. See what the possibilities are of us, because we have a point.
Yes.
We're pretty much guaranteed to draw.
Yeah.
If
And if
that
it-
means that you are too, great. If not,
Yeah.
Yes.
talk about
we'll
it.
figure it
Yeah,
out.
and if we can do it, then let's think about a film. I think that would
Sure.
be cool.
That'd be
As
fun.
shit.
I'm into that.
We could figure that out.
Either way, as buddies, it'd be fun.
no
Oh,
doubt.
shit, we
We're
do
not
that.
gonna do it because we can't film it. Yeah,
Point number
absolutely.
2 is how did Jared and I incorporate ourselves into the Pennsylvania hunting
Yes.
camp
Yep.
lifestyle
Yeah.
again?
That responsibility will fall on me.
Okay, Nick.
I'll make that happen.
We'll make that happen.
Yes.
Unless you guys buy a place.
I'm not gonna let you guys slip.
Yeah,
We're in PA.
I know.
Dude. Hey, we're good for it.
Not gonna let.
We're
slip.
in here.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah, I mean, we want to do
willing.
it.
I got you in PA. You got us out of state.
Okay.
Okay.
We can do that. Yeah, you can come to Kentucky,
Deal.
hunt the national forest.
Cool.
I don't care.
How about Florida though? I mean, come on.
I don't know.
I'd be into listen. I'd be into an Osceola hunt.
What the hell, dude? You hate
March.
turkeys with a passion. I don't understand that.
I'm not gonna go to
Where's it
Florida
coming
hunt
from?
deer. That's
Dude.
bullshit.
Well, the quota's already done.
Osceola
For Osceola.
is next level cool. You'll like it.
I'd be into that.
You'll like
I'd
it.
be into that.
It's cool.
I don't know. I mean, dude, in January, we don't have shit to hunt. Do you guys still hunt deer in
Yes.
Florida?
Yeah, hogs and deer. Yeah.
It goes all the way through January, February, and some WMAs, and then there's upland and hog.
Yeah, we
I'll
don't.
get
Drought,
hogs with
and
my
then
bare hands.
turkey, and then turkey. You could do that, and then turkey opens up March.
Yeah, I mean,
first.
I feel like that was the thing. We've talked about the South, and once we hit January, we're kind of flailing a little bit, and there's a lot of places in the South that January starts Alabama.
Yeah, like second rut.
being
vibes.
the best time.
Yeah.
And we're just kind of I don't know, what do we do?
I think there's coos deer in Arizona that also kicks up in January.
That would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
You see that monster blacktail that Cam killed the other day?
I did. Yeah, I did.
No.
Giant.
Haynes?
Yeah,
Yeah.
giant blacktail.
No.
Yeah, it was really cool to see.
Or
I don't even know what those are.
Yeah, it'd be cool. I don't know anything about blacktail, but it seemed like a giant. So, okay. So cookbook, Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com.
Yeah.
Anywhere else that you
Essentially-
find books?
Yeah, essentially
online?
anywhere you can find books.
Okay, and this is going to be. You need some time to think about it,
Yes.
to prepare,
Oh
to
yeah.
cook.
Yes, the recipes are definitely a little more intermediate to advanced. It's the kind of recipe that you want to pull out on a night that you want to
impress.
I feel like I can give you guys some
Special
pretty
nights.
good advice on the next book or two. We need QR codes and we need like ritualistic.
Jared Price.
Yes.
You're not the romantic type.
Oh, no, Nick. I am.
He makes a mean mac and cheese.
Oh.
Yeah.
I am the romantic type. You're mistaken, sir. You may have the mustache at this point in time, but I had one only moments ago.
A couple weeks ago, yeah.
And
I'll take it. If I can win that competition, I'll take it.
So if we look at, so put that out.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, though, we've got more to expect from you and Nick here in the next couple months. Like, what are you guys going to be putting out on YouTube?
I mean,
Do you have hunts coming out?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We'll have
I heard
more.
Nick has an OnlyFans.
He does.
Right.
His handle is.
Feet only or?
Biceps and beef.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Mustaches by
Follow
Yeti.
him. Mm-hmm.
No, but for real, we have all the YouTube videos we filmed. They're still coming.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, lots to come through the rest of December and
We're very
January.
late. We're very late, but that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So stuff we'll see in December and January is from earlier this season.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Yep. There's always a focus on butchering and cooking and the whole story of the hunt. So.
And then fishing and stuff will start here in Florida pretty quickly,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, out on the boat
Dude,
from the
a
beach.
fishing trip would be fun too.
Come on.
We'd
Come
come
to
down for a
Florida.
fishing
We've
trip.
got
you guys,
extra
you guys
bedrooms.
just bought a skiff, right? Not
It's not a skiff.
It's right in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's,
Right in the middle.
yeah, it's
Could you swing
just big enough that we can go
trip in
offshore.
January?
inshore.
Look, I mean, guys, we could do that.
Dude, you
Let's
can
do
come
it.
for a weekend. So there's an
We'd go
there's
fishing.
an
You like to
Allegiant
golf a little
flight.
bit too?
I'll golf. I don't golf, but I'll golf.
I don't
Yeah,
golf.
did you look at this guy?
There's
Does he look like a golfer?
I've got power.
Pompanos, par threes.
Pompanos and par threes.
threes.
Guys,
Pompanos.
hey, we would have so much fun.
there's a flight that leaves on a Friday and then comes back on a Monday
Is that a Spirit?
from Pittsburgh. Allegiant.
It's like 75
I was going to say Spirit, we would never get back because they just cancel
Never.
it.
We'll
Yeah.
do it.
Indefinitely.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
Yeah. Can
We're-
I stop
hey,
at Harry
we're
Potter
good.
World
We're
on the
good for
way,
that.
or is
Seriously.
that not
yes,
like
we have
some-
extra bedrooms. It's a great time.
If you guys see an opportunity, like let us. Yeah.
oh
let us
no,
know.
I mean
no.
all
If
of the
you see the
weekends are
opportunity,
open.
tell us.
Yes.
We're open. We're
Yeah,
open.
yeah.
Okay.
We'll come.
Let me look at Yep, we're open.
We'll come.
Come on.
Okay. So we got fishing coming up.
Yes.
We've got more hunting dropping.
Yes.
We have the book, what is the book cost?
$25
Okay.
MSRP.
That's what it is on Amazon?
Yep.
Does it come with the dick?
That's a special.
Special edition. I'm gonna
Yep.
hold on to this one
Uh-huh.
here.
I just want to say that mine's bigger than yours,
Yeah. Oh.
and we'll just put that.
There it is.
That was my
Uh,
only contribution.
Yep.
But it's really good for anybody who's trying to understand how to cook meat in general.
I'm pretty stoked to cook the Sloppy Joe recipe. A Sloppy Joe
Sloppy Joe
recipe
recipe's my
that takes me 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like,
For anybody
So
who's wanting
it's
to
about-
make the
it's about-
most of their meat, this
Yeah.
podcast is for you.
Yeah, it's about 2 hours for the sauce and then another hour to get it, from
Did you,
start to
hold on,
finish.
come on. You guys had to when you read this.
You're simmering the sauce though.
how do
so
I get a
you're not
7-year-old
slaving.
to appreciate a 2-hour Sloppy Joe?
Get him up on the counter with you. Mm.
Yeah,
Give him some
maybe.
wine.
Yeah, just take a look.
How do I get a 7-year-old to appreciate their meat to the fullest?
He's 5 years away from.
Yeah, 5 years.
Yeah, you'll get it one day.
One
son.
day.
Oh, one day.
All right, brother.
All right, cool. So
Thank
we
you
got this.
guys.
No, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
We love having you guys on here and ranting about everything and anything under the sun. That's pretty much the point of the podcast. So we accomplished that goal.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you guys.
Mhm. And for hanging out. I know we were a little late today too,
Yeah.
so appreciate
Well, we
you.
appreciate everybody listening for the last, 4 hours, Nick,
Maybe.
give or take. Nick will narrow it down. He'll cut it down.
There's gonna be some cuts in there.
Yeah, he'll be all right. And episode 160, that's a big deal. 160 episodes in to this thing.
I'm proud of you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
We
you.
appreciate it. And Christmas is coming. So
Merry
Merry
Chrysler.
Christmas. Merry Christmas.
For Christ.
Yep. And we'll see you next week.
Later.
Take me